This boy just sold every share he owned in his uncle's company. 3 billion in stock gone for 1 billion. And with that money he's buying food. 100 buckets of fried chicken. 100 portions of roast duck. Truck after truck pulling up to his place. The delivery guys hand it over and start laughing behind his back, thinking bro's insane for ordering so much food. Chen Luo doesn't say a word, just watches them leave. Then he opens the back of the truck alone and stands there smiling at a mountain of pork. Because in 27 days, every pound of that meat is worth more than gold by weight. See, 3 days ago this man was starving in the apocalypse. 80% of humanity turns into zombies. The rest get eaten by them. A tiny number wake up with powers, and Chen Luo pulled the rarest one, space. The ability that earned him the title Void Sovereign. Once he mastered void travel, nobody could touch him. So he did the smart thing and kept his head down while the world ate itself. He outlived all of it. Monsters everywhere. No humans left. Nobody to talk to. Bro survived so hard he stopped wanting to. So he buried himself but then woke up at home, 27 days before the first zombie. Most of his power is gone. But the subspace came back with him, and inside that space, time doesn't move. Whatever goes in stays exactly as fresh as the day it went in. So he starts buying. He barely finishes storing everything when his phone rings. The voice on the other end tells him to get to the office right now. They need to talk. It's his uncle Chen Jinan. The office Jinan opens with the concerned act. 3 billion in shares sold for 1 billion. Why didn't you tell me? Do you even see me as family? If someone's threatening you, just say the word and I'll handle it. Uncle's here. And our boy sits there listening to this man offer to protect him. The same man who killed his parents. Because in the last life, when everything was already burning, his cousin Fei let it slip. The car crash wasn't a crash. Jinan planned it, then took the shares his parents left behind, then spent years playing the loving uncle at family dinners. If Fei never opened his mouth, Chen Luo would have died trusting this guy. So he plays it dumb, tells Jinan nobody threatened him. He just really believes in pork, says the price is going to explode, so the million he spent turns into 5. Jianan is sitting there genuinely wondering if his nephew took a hit to the head. Dude's about to burst. But then Chen's phone goes off. He steps out, picks up, asks who's calling. Voice on the line says they found it. The black dog with one ear missing. And this is the moment my boy lights up for real. Because back in the apocalypse, people started ranking the awakened elemental users. Like the top fire user was a woman called Scarlet Rose. But the strongest lightning user in the entire world was a dog. Anything alive that didn't turn zombie could awaken. So the Lightning King was out there ranked above almost every human being on the planet. And in the early days when food ran out, that dog looked like dinner to everybody who saw it in China. Chen Luo was the only one who managed to catch it. He was also the one who ate it. I'll give him a pass because he was starving. He remembers the taste. Mouth waters a little. Okay, pass has been denied after that. But he opens the photo, sees the missing left ear, and confirms it's the same dog. So this time he's raising it instead. Second chance at life, and bro is not focused on revenge or thick Latina. Dude wants his dog. I respect it. Then an hour later, at Dog Meat Hall, Chen found the dog locked in a cage. The poor thing looked miserable, and the protagonist couldn't help thinking how different it would become in the apocalypse. Then MC walked up to it with a grin, and quietly said not to worry, he had come to save it. He turned and demanded the shop owner come out at once. The owner, Pasha, appeared and politely asked why Chen had come. He pointed at the dog and accused Pasha of stealing it. He said if he had come any later, his black dog would have ended up as meat. The protagonist explained that the dog used to be a stray, so he took it in, then asked if Pasha was really trying to cause him trouble. In reply, Pasha said he bought all the dogs through legal channels and claimed they all looked alike, so MC must be mistaken. MC only smiled and repeated, legal channels? He warned Pasha to call the police and verify that story if he was so sure. He knew shady businesses never want real checks, and just as he expected, Pasha panicked. Pasha rushed at him in anger, yelling that he couldn't do that. The protagonist laughed, asked if he wanted a fight, and said he'd teach him a lesson. He grabbed Pasha's arm and kicked him down in one clean move. After all the training MC had done in the apocalypse, a guy like Pasha didn't scare him. Pasha cried out in pain from the hit. Chen Luo looked down at Pasha and asked how that felt. Then he asked if Pasha still wanted to fight. To his surprise, Pasha instantly begged for mercy. He claimed it was all a misunderstanding, and swore he didn't know the dog belonged to him. Pasha quickly brought the dog out and said he'd deal with the person who sold him the black dog. He even told the protagonist to take the dog back for free. Chen Lu accepted and said Pasha's attitude was decent enough, so he'd let him off this time. Deep down, he was thrilled. MC had been ready to spend all his money for this dog, but since it was being handed over for free, there was no reason to say no. At last, he got the dog, and Pasha eagerly urged him to leave the shop. He named the dog Blackie and told him they were going home. On the way, he wondered if the dog was already spiritual enough to understand people. He was right. Blackie could hear and understand him, and was stunned that the protagonist had called him Blackie. Still, since the protagonist had saved him, he considered going along with him. Seeing that, Chen Lu was overjoyed. The dog really was spiritual, which meant he had picked up the Lightning King with almost no effort. Once they were settled in the car, MC told him that from now on his name would be Dharma King, and that they'd live together. Dharma King answered with a happy bark. As they headed home, he thought about how to build trust between them. He told Dharma King they'd first go get some supplies for him. On the way, Chen Lu spotted a guard and stopped in front of him. The guard was Suzaju, and seeing him stirred old memories. He was glad to meet Suzaju again. In his past life, before the protagonist Luo got the void ability, Suzaju had used his own body to hold back mutants, so the protagonist Luo could run. He died protecting him. MC smiled at Suzaju and decided that in this life, he'd make sure Suzaju lived well. He invited Suzaju to hang out after work, but Suzaju refused. His mother had taught him that boys who wander around can turn bad. He asked what else his mother said. Suzaju replied that nothing good came from that kind of thing. It was basically like robbery. He could only stare, shocked that Suzaju was comparing a night out to robbery. Chen Luo didn't know what to say. They weren't close enough yet, but that didn't matter. Suzaju would be on duty when the apocalypse began, and after that they'd surely become brothers. The story jumped ahead, and Dharma was left stunned. What shocked him was the pool in the protagonist's house. The protagonist led him over and said that for now this was his home, and the first thing they needed was a shower. While bathing Dharma with a scrubber and soap, Chen Lu thought about how different this life would be. After being reborn, he didn't want to repeat his old life or end up as the only survivor again. That gave him an idea. Since many gifted people would show their talents later, why not build a gathering place? What he did for Dharma King, he could do for others too. He even used a blower to dry Dharma, and Dharma was impressed by it. Chen Lu also felt this could make up for the void ability's weakness in direct combat. If he wanted to build a safe place, he'd need huge supplies: grain, fruit, salt, vegetables, seeds, generators, medicine, tools, and more. Most important of all was water, since every water source became polluted after the apocalypse, and the virus in it couldn't be purified. If anyone wanted clean water, they'd have to wait for rain. Then MC Luo suddenly slapped his forehead, startling Dharma. He yelled that he'd forgotten something important. He needed to prepare a batch of high-voltage electric batons first. That made Dharma nervous, but Chen Luo patted him and said not to worry. They were for zombies, not him. In the early days of the apocalypse, those batons were practically divine weapons. Fired up by the idea, he decided to order a few sets of alloy armor too. He quickly pulled out his phone and started placing orders. Making sure to choose carefully, the scene shifted again, and later the protagonist Luo and Dharma were eating together. Dharma ate so fast that the protagonist Luo warned him to slow down before he choked. After they finished, MC told Dharma there was plenty of food stocked up, so delicious meals wouldn't be a problem in the future. As he tossed aside a leftover chicken bone, Dharma copied him, which made him smile. Still, the protagonist Luo was lost in thought when suddenly someone knocked at the door. He opened it and found a beautiful young woman outside, so he asked who she was. She introduced herself as Ma Yu. Hearing that, Chen Lu froze for a second. She was the cooking teacher he had hired. He quickly apologized for forgetting about the cooking lesson and invited her in with a smile. Ma Yu, meanwhile, thought that anyone paying 50,000 yuan just to learn cooking had to be rich. She'd worried this employer might have bad intentions, but after meeting MC Lu, she felt much more at ease. She also couldn't help wondering how many women outside could resist someone like him, and whether Chen Lu had any interest in her. In the kitchen, he showed Ma Yu that all the tools and ingredients she asked for were already prepared. Privately, he knew supplies alone weren't enough for the apocalypse. He also needed cooking skills, which was why he had spent so much to hire her as a chef. Ma Yu got started and said she'd first teach him sweet and sour pork ribs. The protagonist agreed, pleased because he knew he'd only need to pay her for 1 month, a future that wouldn't even arrive once the apocalypse began. As Chen Lu cooked, Ma Yu guided him step by step. She told him to chop the ribs smaller and blanch them in cold water for a while. Next, she told him to add oil, but he poured in way too much. Ma Yu could only ask if his oil was free. Then when it was time for salt, he grabbed sugar instead, making Ma Yu yell and ask how he still couldn't tell them apart. In the end, the dish looked so awful that Ma Yu handed it to the dog. Even the dog refused to eat it. Still, she told Chen Lu he had at least made some progress, but MC Lu only felt miserable. If even the dog wouldn't touch his cooking, there was no need to comfort him. Dharma started barking at Ma Yu too, as if asking why she was trying to poison him. Ma Yu defended herself by saying the kitchen hadn't burned down, so that was already a win. Chen Lu was speechless and finally accepted that cooking just wasn't for him. He'd have to rely on a real chef. After that, Ma Yu said goodbye and left his house. Once she was gone, Lu thought about her skill and admitted she was actually pretty good. He couldn't help wondering what had happened to her after the apocalypse in his past life. He was thinking about recruiting her as his chef, but in the end, all he could do was hope she got lucky. The story moved on again, and while out walking, Chen Lu suddenly noticed someone familiar. It was the sister pair, Millie and Myling. The protagonist knew they were far from ordinary. After Myling awakened her fire power, she became the first known user of that element, and earned the title Scarlet Rose Spirit Flame Princess. Even more amazing was her younger sister, Millie, who had a light ability. Her fighting power was weak, but she was an incredible support healer. MC had even heard that later on, she could use a revival skill. That made him serious. In his eyes, this wasn't a choice. He planned to bring both sisters over no matter what. So he called Raka, the same person who had helped track down the dog, and gave him 3 days to gather information on the sisters, even down to what they liked to eat. To Chen Luwu, food was the best way to win someone's heart, so whatever they loved, he'd stock up on it. A few more days passed, leaving 5 days before the apocalypse. He learned that Milling liked Sichuan food and loved grapes, while Millie preferred braised pig's trotters and watermelon. That also reminded him to stock up on classic dishes, since they tasted great. The next day, the protagonist checked the armor he bought for himself and Sutaju. Once he tried it on, he figured it was heavy but solid enough to keep him safe. With only 3 days left before the apocalypse, he started thinking about how to get the second set to Sutaju. He also picked up an electric baton. The seller warned that its high voltage could drop someone fast, so it had to be used carefully. MC, though, was thrilled. He was already imagining using it to wipe out huge numbers of zombies. Then he kept getting ready for what was coming. The next day, Chen asked about buying a truck. The owner agreed and said he'd tell him the price soon. That night, right before the apocalypse was supposed to begin, he lay in bed unable to sleep. His mind kept racing. He wondered if, after being reborn, the apocalypse would still happen at all. If it didn't, all the supplies he had stored up would become a massive loss. A part of him even wished it wouldn't happen. If peace stayed, losing money would still be better than living through that cruel disaster. He'd remain rich either way, so a normal, safe life sounded far better. The next morning, with just 1 hour and 20 minutes left, the protagonist called his uncle Jianan. He apologized for contacting him so early and said he needed help. Jianan gladly told him to go ahead, whatever the problem was, he'd help. AMC said he believed virtual currency was about to surge, maybe 8 to 10 times higher. Then he got to the point. He reminded Jan that he had used his money to buy pork, then said he wanted to mortgage the whole stockpile. It was worth 1 billion, but he only wanted to borrow 500 million. Chen promised that once his 500 million turned into 5 billion, he'd pay everything back with interest. Then he paused for Janan's answer. After that, he asked why Janan didn't just wait for him at home. He said he'd come over in person to talk, and it would be even better if he was there too. Janan agreed and told him to come as soon as possible. As the protagonist left the house for Janan's place, he smiled and muttered that today would be the day they died. Then he kept driving. When he got close to Janan's house, MC told Dharma to stay in the car. This was personal, and for safety, he didn't want him running off. Dharma barked and shook his head, but MC headed out anyway. That's when he spotted Sudorjo. He remembered that Sudhaju had survived just fine in his past life without any help. Still, he took it as fate and decided to help a little, so he went over. Sudhaju noticed him and asked if he was leaving. The protagonist said no, he came to warn him. Ever since waking up, he'd had a bad feeling that something huge was about to happen. He told Sudhaju to be extra careful at 9 a.m. and even made him promise. Sudhaju agreed and said he'd stay alert. A little later, the scene shifted to Janan's house, where MC Fat and Janan were talking about MC. Janan said MC wanted to put money into virtual currency, and that shocked him. Sure, the price was rising fast, but to him it still had no real value. MC Fat didn't get the concern and asked why they wouldn't take easy money, brought right to their door. Janan said he knew he was being set up, so why would he offer a deal that only helped them? That made him suspect he was running some kind of trick. Fat disagreed. He said this was just how speculation worked. People rushed in when they smelled profit. He was in a hurry, and there weren't many people who could hand over 500 million at once. That's why he came to them. Just then someone knocked at the door. Both of them instantly got cautious. A moment later, the protagonist walked in. It was already past 9 a.m., but since they'd been shut inside with the AC on, they had no idea what was happening outside. Without even greeting him, his companion joked that if he were as bold as the protagonist, he'd invest too, and sarcastically told him not to forget him after making money from it. MC played along and said sure. If he made 5 billion, he'd buy MC Faye a supercar. That was enough for MC Faye to rush over and hug him, making him repeat the promise. He then said dinner was ready, so they could talk while eating. MC hated the hug, but he had no problem with the food. By 9:15, he was eating like a starving animal, as if he hadn't tasted food like this in ages. Janan and he both stared, confused by how strange he was acting. But then an odd sound came from outside the room. Janan said it seemed to be from the maid's room, and told the protagonist to check it. The protagonist agreed and went to look. At the same time, MC turned serious. He knew that sound meant only one thing. The apocalypse had arrived. He got up and told Janan he'd go too, saying that if the maid was hurt, he could help him take her to the hospital. Inside, though, he was pleased. This looked like the painful end waiting for Janan and him. He followed right behind. When Chenfei opened the room, he froze. The maid was dead, and a zombie was inside. Blood was everywhere. The shock made him drop to the floor, and when the zombie started moving toward him, he tried to slam the door shut. But this was where his nightmare really began. Chen stopped him from closing it and coldly said they came to see what was going on. So why was he trying to shut the door now? Stunned, the protagonist Fei demanded to know what he was doing and why he wouldn't let him close the door. Before he could finish, MC struck him with the electric baton, dropping him to the floor. Laughing, he said he wouldn't let them die that easily. He wanted him torn apart by zombies, slowly and painfully. With that in mind, he pulled the door open and let the zombie rush out at Chen Fei. Janan saw everything and charged at the protagonist in fury, shouting about what he'd done and swearing to kill him himself. But MC was ready. He told Janan to come closer, then hit him with the baton, the instant he moved in. Seeing that, Janan raised his hands to block and he mocked him, asking if he really thought his hands could stop electricity. The shock knocked Janan out. The protagonist then walked over to the protagonist Faye and laughed, saying the pain had to be awful. He could tell just by looking at him. MC Phi screamed as the zombie bit into him, writhing in unbearable pain. Then he begged both him and his father to save him. He told him to shut up, saying he didn't have a useless son like him. Even while suffering, the protagonist Phi dragged himself over and grabbed the protagonist's feet, apologizing and hoping that would make him help. But MC stayed ice cold, hardened by what happened in his past life. He sternly told MC Phi not to come any closer, while his father lay on the ground. He tried to curse him out, but another wave of pain cut him off as his condition got worse. Watching him fall apart, the protagonist softened only a little and said he couldn't enjoy a scene this exciting alone. He needed someone to watch it with him. So he pressed the baton to Jian again, jolting him awake. The moment Jian saw what had happened to MC Faye, panic took over, and he moved toward MC. Then he dropped to his feet and begged him to save him, reminding him that he was his cousin. He gave no response. Left with nothing else, Jian confessed that he was the one who had secretly cheated him out of his shares. He claimed, knew nothing, and was innocent. He then asked if that wasn't enough reason for a bigger apology. That left Jian stunned. He couldn't understand why the protagonist said that and started to wonder if the protagonist already knew the truth. Even now, MC Jian won't apologize for killing MC Luo's parents. MC Luo coldly asks if that's really his final answer, because MC Faye is almost out of time. Instead, he snaps and demands that he save him right now. He even says he won't call the police, then warns that if the cops get involved, his future is finished. The protagonist Luo says he already gave him one chance and there won't be another. That makes Jian explode, cursing him as an ungrateful bastard for turning on his own uncle and cousin. MC fires back that the truly ungrateful one is MC. He slaps him and reminds him that MC's father still gave MC a place in the company after all his failures. Yet MC repaid that kindness by plotting against his parents. He can barely believe he can speak so shamelessly. Then he dies and he is hit with grief and rage. He loses it. The protagonist shouts that he was the protagonist's father's own brother and helped build the company too. So why did he get only 10%? Was he supposed to live like a beggar and die for that? He then warns the protagonist that modern police will never let him get away. Chen Lu is furious. He points out that even back then that 10% was worth 1.5 billion. What worker could ever earn shares worth that much? Shares? Seeing how rotten MC Jian really is, MC Luo throws him toward the zombies. Deep down, he feels a grim bit of peace. His father was too kind to someone like him, and this is the only thing he can do for his parents now. Tears even well up when he thinks of them. After a while, another zombie comes at the protagonist Luo. Just like he expected, once someone turns, all that's left is the urge to eat people. So as soon as it gets close, he shocks it with the baton. He explains that zombies may not feel fear, but they still feel pain, and stun attacks still work on them. After stunning the zombie, he pulls out his sword and stabs the spot between the eyebrows. Killing zombies isn't that hard, as long as you hit that exact place. Chen Luo smiles a little, thinking that while killing is disgusting, piercing that spot reveals a hidden treasure, the core crystal. After taking the crystal, he stores it in his void and notes that things are happening just as he expected. At the start of the apocalypse, these crystals are still low rank. He recalls that early in the outbreak, both zombies and ability users form a crystal between the eyebrows. The energy inside helps awakened people recover faster and grow stronger. So to Chen Lu, it's a treasure worth collecting in large numbers. MC Lu adds that a crystal's size and color change with the owner's power. A fire-type zombie or ability user has a red crystal, while a wind-type one has a green crystal. A space-type crystal is transparent in color. Then he remembers the lightning core crystal he once took from the Lightning King's head, a dark purple crystal about the size of an egg. Once outside, Chen Lu runs into another zombie and mocks it, saying it must have tried real hard to help his uncle. The zombie lunges at him. Lu, who pulls out the baton and shocks it, sarcastically telling it to come closer so his uncle can reward it properly. The zombie is stunned by the baton, and while taking the crystal, Chen Lu mocks it again, asking if taking a little payment for all that help is really too much. He treats the whole thing almost like a joke. On the other hand, Dharma is shocked to watch the protagonist Lu wipe out zombies so ruthlessly and wonders why he is being so cruel. Chen Lu goes back to the car and tells Dharma they should awaken soon, so staying outside is dangerous. He says Dharma needs to come to his house for now and can leave after awakening. Inside, the floor is full of zombies. MC already killed. Dharma panics and barks, but MC calms him down and says he'll get used to it. After that, he quietly peels an apple and eats it, while Dharma starts feeling something strange in his body. Then Chen Lu notices lightning-like sparks coming off Dharma. That makes him nervous, since he has no idea what Dharma's awakening will do. As Dharma's lightning power starts forming, the protagonist Lu quickly hides behind a sofa, wondering if he's about to be the first one struck. But Dharma doesn't attack him. He just settles down after the awakening, and MC explains that strong talent depends on two things, awakening early and growing fast. Then Chunlu grows a little gloomy, realizing Dharma might already be at the top when it comes to lightning talent. He's honestly jealous that the dog seems more gifted than him. Out of nowhere, Apple suddenly dropped to the ground. He startles at first, then breaks into a strange smile, realizing he might be talented too as well. Chunlu gets back up, now looking serious. He forms a ball-like object in his hand, and out of nowhere he fires it at the wall with it. The wall is punched through, and Dharma is left stunned. But Chunlu isn't pleased. His void ball used up 25% of his power and still couldn't instantly kill even the weakest zombie. So he decides his first goal is to absorb a core crystal and level up. In his past life, Lightning King Dharma and Ling Yangji both reached King rank. Tianlu says his own body was King rank too, but after absorbing the Lightning King's crystal, he rose to an even higher rank. At the time though, he didn't know how useful it was. With no food, no water, and no one beside him, life felt empty, so dying seemed better. Die? He keeps thinking like that, and 5 minutes later, Chunlu is still pondering. This time he figures that if he absorbs around 20 core crystals, he should reach rank 2. After a yawn, the protagonist Lu tells Dharma he needs to practice using his power. He tells him to gather the energy in his body, move it to his throat, charge it up, and fire it where he's looking. Dharma follows the instructions, and the lightning blast that shoots from his mouth is huge. Seeing that, Chunlu happily pats his head and calls him a smart, good dog. Then he says they need to visit the cold storage first and secure all the supplies they stocked. Dharma gladly agrees. After that, MC heads to the Super MC Jan. Standing outside, he grins and tells Dharma the place is huge, which means plenty of resources are inside. He jokes that good stuff shouldn't be left for zombies to take. Then he asks if they should beat the zombies and claim everything. Dharma eagerly agrees and wants to start it. Chunlu equips his armor and weapon, then tells Dharma to attack only when he can and not fight head-on. Just use his speed to dodge. Dharma says he understands. So the two of them jump into the fight and start crushing the zombies with ease. But then Dharma hits a girl with lightning and freezes when he sees there isn't a single scratch on her. He doesn't know what's wrong with her, but Chunlu tells him not to panic and just lure them away. Dharma gets it and keeps fighting while drawing them away from the super protagonist Jan. Seeing him handle them well, the protagonist warns him to stay careful while he goes inside and says he'll be back soon. Inside the Super MC Jan, MC is thrilled by the high-end goods and materials. He was right. This place near the villa really does have top-quality supplies. He opens his void and starts taking in everything useful, laughing that it all belongs to him now. Little by little, Chunlu clears the place out and even pulls the crystals from the zombies. While finishing up the food and crystals, he walks back out with a happy yawn. A big storage space is great, especially when everything is free. Then he tells Dharma it's time to go, but looks up and sees him running for his life from a zombie. Ilua steps in and easily kills the monster. After that, Dharma starts whining, upset that his master can kill zombies so easily while he can't. Chunlu pats his head and tells him not to feel bad. He's already doing great if he keeps working hard. He'll become the strongest and coolest dog. Hearing that, Dharma perks right up and smiles like he just got the best reward ever. The protagonist Luo told Dharma they were heading to the cold storage. On the way, someone behind them called out and asked MP to stop for a second. It was a young guy who wanted to talk. He asked if he knew what was going on, since the police never answered. He calmly said it was obviously the apocalypse, a zombie outbreak. That answer made the boy panic as the truth sank in, but a moment later, he brightened up and asked to team up so they could watch each other's backs. Chunlu shut that down right away, said he didn't need a partner, and kept moving. The boy kept yelling for him to wait, but the protagonist ignored him. After leaving, MC thought about how he might take followers someday, but only the best ones. His supplies were huge, not endless, so staying picky was necessary. He had to be careful. Then something ahead made him stop. It was the road in front of the car. A huge group of zombies was blocking the only route to the cold storage. Chunlu remembered there was no other way through. That meant he had to clear them out. He got out and told Dharma to roam nearby and stay alert. Then the fight began. The zombies rushed in, and Chunlu started dropping them with his electric baton one after another. A few tried to jump him from the side, but he read them easily and turned the tables. They never had a chance. One zombie even clamped onto his arm, but Chunlu just flung it away and mocked them. His alloy armor wasn't something weak zombies could bite through. Then he joked that if they broke their teeth, there wasn't a dentist left in the city to fix them. But he quickly laughed and added that it didn't matter anyway. They had no future. Then out of nowhere, his electric baton ran out of power. For a second, Chunlu froze and tensed up. The zombies lunged for the weapon, and he let them grab it, acting like he was giving in. But that was only to stall. He needed a moment to pull out another baton from his void. As soon as the new one was in hand, he went right back to wiping out the zombies. Once they were all down, he dug out every crystal from inside them. A little later, Dharma came over, confused about why they still hadn't gone to the cold storage. Chunlu called him closer and pointed something out. It was a truck. He told Dharma this heavy truck was even better than alloy armor or an electric baton, and he'd hidden it away for the apocalypse. Dharma looked thrilled. He told Dharma to hop in because he was driving. Up ahead was a closed gate, and he basically said, "Watch this." There was no reason to get out and open it by hand. He smashed straight through it with the truck. Dharma was stunned, while the protagonist Lucio felt like he'd just pulled off a hero move. Deeper in, they ran into hundreds of zombies, and the protagonist Lucio knew killing that many with a baton would take forever and waste too much power. So he drove right through them and cut down the rest. Dharma watched in shock, nearly in tears at how savage his master could be. To him, MC looked downright ruthless. Meanwhile, on the second floor of the cold storage, two boys, Fang and Lang, and a girl named Mia watched from above. Lang was amazed by how much tougher Chen Luo's truck looked than the vehicles there, and Mia suggested asking him to take them out. Fang shot that down. He was alone, so why would he risk helping them? He wasn't their father, and Fang already saw him as a cold, dangerous guy. He said a man like that only came for the supplies. Once the protagonist Luo got what he wanted, he'd leave without caring about them. So instead of begging, Fang suggested helping themselves by stealing MC's truck, the safest ride they could ask for. As they planned, Lang pointed out that he seemed to be wearing armor. Fang still pushed the idea. If they got the truck, they'd be safe. Lang angrily agreed, saying Chen Luo was here to take the cold storage's resources, and that was unforgivable. A few moments later, while the protagonist Luo was pulling crystals from the zombies, Mia walked up and thanked him for saving them. MC immediately guessed where this was going, that they wanted him to escort them out safely. Luo asked if they were the only survivors left. Mia said yes, only the three of them had made it. While she kept him talking, Fang and Lang came up from behind and grabbed his shoulders. Chen Lu instantly understood they were trying to rob him right after pretending to thank him, so that was their plan. Fang told him not to resist and claimed they wouldn't hurt him. That only made the protagonist more disgusted, thinking how the apocalypse brought out the worst in people, and how kindness had become both worthless and dangerous. Then, to everyone's surprise, Dharma rushed over barking. Fang stared at the dog, and Lang guessed it hadn't been infected. That distraction gave MC the opening he needed. Now that he didn't care about hiding it from them, he opened his void, pulled out a baton, and struck. He coldly added that dead people keep no secrets. In the end, he killed both boys. Mia panicked and begged Chen Luo not to kill her. He saw no reason to spare her just because she was a girl. She turned and ran, screaming for help. Luo noted she was fast and told Dharma she was his target. Dharma didn't hesitate and attacked Mia from behind. She crashed to the ground, and Chen Luo walked over and stunned her with the baton, saying that was why striking first mattered. After finishing them off, he told Dharma to get ready to store everything. Inside, they found seasonings, seafood, chicken, duck, all kinds of meat, pig trotters, offal, instant food, vegetables, and fruit, each in massive amounts, over 9,999 tons. In total, the protagonist Luo told Dharma they'd taken 60,000 tons of supplies from the cold storage. On the way back, Chen Luo said they'd head home, rest a bit, then hit the grain storage next. He also wondered how Sutaju was doing. Then a boy stepped in front of the truck, begging for help and asking for a ride. But MC noticed a bunch of stuff hidden under the boy's shirt, which made him instantly suspicious. He stayed guarded because his survival rule was simple: never allow even a small threat to grow. When he didn't stop, the boy kept shouting, but he had already decided that if he didn't move, he'd get run over. Once the truck got close, the boy panicked and jumped aside. Then he started yelling that the protagonist Luo had actually tried to hit him. He swore Chen Luo would regret it and that he'd get revenge the first chance he got. That threat annoyed MC. In the old world, grudges meant gossip or schemes. Now, with awakened powers, grudges could turn into murder. So he asked Dharma, the Lightning King, if he heard that boy saying he wanted to eat dog meat. Dharma replied that he didn't really understand human words, but he was pretty sure the boy never said that. Once the protagonist Luo stopped, the boy marched over angrily, ready to fight back, then froze when he saw Dharma charging at him. The boy raised a rod to defend himself, but Dharma had already made up his mind. Whether the boy mentioned dog meat or not didn't matter. If his master wanted him dead, then he needed to die. A lightning strike dropped the boy on the spot. After that, Chen Luo told Dharma to make sure the boy was really dead, not just shock him. Dharma looked confused. MC explained that hesitation in a fight gets you killed. If Dharma wanted to survive this world, he had to adapt. That clicked. Dharma bit down on the boy, and he praised him, saying that was exactly the point. He was happy Dharma had handled the guy on his own, so easily. After that, the protagonist told Dharma to head home. When they reached the villa, Chen Luo said the road was too narrow to park the heavy truck easily. He told Dharma to get out and lure the zombies away while he pulled the truck over to the side of the road. Dharma agrees, jumps out, and pulls the zombies away from the truck. That makes MC pretty happy. In his mind, Dharma is doing more than clearing the road. Once the zombies wander back, they can guard the truck for free and keep other survivors from messing with it. That thought helps him relax. He's also glad his rebirth didn't change this part of the future. Sutaju still didn't turn into a zombie, so he should be alive. Then a zombie lunges at Chen Luo, and he drops it with his electric baton. While he's fighting, Sutaju shows up with a girl. Sutaju praises him, and the girl says that baton is so strong. No wonder he's this fearless. Once the zombie is down, Sutaju calls out to him. Seeing Sutaju alive, the protagonist feels relieved, just like he expected. Still, the girl surprises him. He recognizes her right away as MC Luo Jing. The three of them start talking. Chenluo cuts it short and tells them to move fast instead of chatting out in the open. If more zombies show up, things will get messy. He clearly doesn't like that and makes a face. Even so, she still says yes, but inside, the protagonist is already thinking ahead. If she can raise the protagonist's favor, then with both Sudhaju and the protagonist protecting her, she can stay safe until the country rescues them. Now we see how this looked from the protagonist's side. When MC first entered the villa area and fought zombies, he was already thinking about Sudhaju. Had he run deeper inside or climbed a wall and hidden in one of the villas, he gets annoyed because he can't remember which villa Sudhaju might be in. He only remembers the general area, so Chenluo stops overthinking and goes with a simple plan. He starts yelling Sudhaju's name, asking where he is if he can hear him. Dharma is stunned. His master is basically calling the zombies over too. Inside a villa, Sudhaju hears the voice and realizes it's him. The protagonist Luo Jing tries to stop him. She says Chen Lu has gone crazy, shouting like that means he wants to die and drag them down with him. Sudhaju also finds it strange. MC Lu is smart, so how could he not know yelling is dangerous? Why use a method like this? But he keeps calling for him, so Sudhaju has no choice but to go out. Sudhaju quickly says she's coming too and begs him not to leave her behind. The second they step outside, they see the protagonist fighting zombies. The protagonist Jing keeps trying to stir things up, but then Sudhaju praises the protagonist, and MC Jing is stunned to see him like that. What really goes through Chenluo's head when he sees her is simple. How did he forget this girl? In his last life, she was dead weight and nearly got them killed. He remembers how sneaky Luo Jing was. Back then, she thought the water wasn't clean and was scared to drink tap water, so she always had Sudhaju try it first. Later, after he teamed up with Sudhaju, she kept acting sweet to both of them. With Sudhaju, she said she felt safe beside him, unlike the protagonist. Then she turned to the protagonist and said he seemed sincere from the start. Unlike brother Sudhaju, when food was handed out, she would hide some first, then act starving and pitiful, so Sudhaju would give her his share too. She played him for a fool. So Chen Lu decides that if she dares to act that shameless again in this life, he won't feel bad using her to teach Sudhaju how ugly people can be. He invites Sudhaju to stay at his house so they can watch each other's backs, and Sudhaju gratefully agrees. Then MC Jing cuts in, introduces herself, and even tries to bond with MC by saying they share the same surname. Maybe they were one family 500 years ago. But while she's talking, Dharma suddenly attacks her. He leaps in, rips her bag open, and supplies spill all over the ground. Even he, Luo, is surprised by how much she was hiding. No wonder she was guarding that bag so hard. He figures she probably planned to save the snacks for herself later. Instead of caring, Chen Luo casually opens a cold canned drink. He tells the protagonist Luo Jing he's hungry, so he's taking it. He tosses Sudhaju some snacks too and says they should eat first, then go look for more supplies. That makes Sudhaju furious. He had risked his life to save her, and all this time she'd been hiding food while lying that she had nothing. Now he understands she never planned to share, so he decides he's done caring about her. Chen Lu Jing panics when she sees them eating. Teary-eyed, she goes to Sudhaju and says he can't eat that because it's her food. Sudhaju sets it down to give it back, but MC sticks out a leg and trips her to the floor. She drops hard, cries out in pain, and yells that they're bullying a poor girl. Are they even men? He just smiles. He says she should ask the zombies if they care whether someone is a man or a woman. Still, he knows this alone isn't enough to open Sudhaju's eyes, so he decides to push her into showing even more of her true self. Chen Lu calmly asks why she's crying. They need food to have the strength to search for more, right? So this time she can stay behind. Since they ate some of her food, they'll bring back double later. Hearing that, the protagonist Jing realizes she can't afford to turn the protagonist and Sudhaju against her, so she has to accept it. She quickly apologizes and says it was just instinct. When she was younger, she often went hungry, and she didn't mean what she just did. MC is annoyed she's way too good at making up stories. Then Chen Lu tells Sudhaju to come with him to the Super Chen Jianet. He says he'll go first and get a few things ready, and Sudhaju agrees to follow his lead. Next, he goes to Dharma and tells him to head outside and lure some zombies into their house. Dharma is completely confused. Luring zombies away made sense, but bringing them into the house? Seeing that reaction, the protagonist tells him not to worry. He'll understand when the protagonist comes back. After that, Sudhaju pulls garlic out of the void and lets out a small laugh. The show is about to start. He walks over to Sudhaju and Chen Lu Jing with fresh garlic juice, asks if they've rested enough, and tells them to look at this. The smell instantly puts her on edge, and she asks why he made so much garlic juice. The protagonist says he's not totally sure either, but when he came back earlier, he saw someone copying a movie scene by hanging garlic all over himself. According to the protagonist, the zombies got scared and backed away. He's pleased they buy the story. Too bad for them. Though in real life, garlic doesn't repel zombies at all. If anything, the smell draws them in even more. Then he says it's a shame the house only had enough garlic for 2 people. So he asks Sudhaju to go with him to the Super MC Janet Lin to look for more. Right then, strange noises echo nearby, and Chen Lu smiles. Sounds like a group of zombies is getting close. He goes pale. Meanwhile, he watches her, waiting to see if she'll stand with them or grab the so-called life-saving garlic juice for herself. As the noises get louder, the protagonist Lu Jing nervously asks if that's the iron door being broken. MC immediately tells Sarhaju to use the bowl of garlic juice. But Sarhaju hesitates. He may be angry at her, yet he still doesn't think she deserves to die. With that many zombies outside, if he uses the bowl, wouldn't that leave her dead? He even starts thinking about giving it to Chen Lu Jing. While she stares at the bowl and reaches a colder thought, there's only one bowl, which means only one person gets to live. Sarhaju moves to take it and hand it over, but before he can, the protagonist snatches the bowl and dumps it all over herself. In her mind, she's the one who should survive. That makes Sarhaju furious. He had actually been ready to give it to her, but after this, he's done wasting concern on her. Chen Lua steps over and asks Sarhaju if he saw that clearly. In the apocalypse, he says, kindness is wasted on some people. They simply don't deserve it. Hearing that, MC understood right away and asked if he had set her up. The MC just smiled. Did he really? She chose to pour the garlic on herself. He never forced her. Then he laughed and told her the truth. Zombies are drawn to garlic, so she was basically dead already. That made Chen panic. She yelled, asking if he had lied about the juice and what was so wrong with wanting to survive. He said wanting to live wasn't the problem. The problem was using other people's kindness and pushing him around, especially Sarhaju. Since she said everyone wants to live, then sacrificing her so they could survive wasn't wrong either. After that, the protagonist pulled out armor and weapons from his void. He figured the protagonist would die soon, and the dead don't leak secrets. As for Sarhaju, he'd tell him himself that his power was the void. Watching him take out the armor, MC was stunned. She realized he had planned this from the start, which was why he never poured the garlic on himself. Chen told Sarhaju to find a room and hide, saying he'd only slow him down otherwise. Sarhaju agreed and went to hide. Even then, he moved close and tried one last trick. In a sweet, tempting tone, she begged him to spare her, and promised that later he could do whatever he wanted. With no options left, she tried to win him over with her charm and body. But Chen didn't budge. Coldly, he said he only wanted her to die, and once she was dead, he'd let her off. That made her snap. She cursed him out, saying she had never wronged him, so why had he been making her life hard ever since they met? A moment later, the zombies got her. As she died, the protagonist screamed that he would meet a miserable end too. The story jumps ahead a bit. MC had already wiped out all the zombies, but he admitted he had misjudged things. He'd lived there for over 10 years, and today had been way too lucky. Sarhaju came over, shocked to see him dead, and was about to speak. He cut him off. They didn't have time for feelings. The house was a disaster, and they couldn't stay like this, so he told Sarhaju to help drag the bodies outside. After half an hour, they got every corpse out. Now only the blood was left, and the protagonist had to clean it. He couldn't help thinking a maid would make this job much easier. That made him think of Mayu. She looked good, worked hard, and wasn't so bad overall. He started wondering if she was still alive. While he was thinking about Mayu, Sarhaju cut in and asked about going to the Super Chen Janet. Chen smiled, told him not to worry, and said he had better food with him. Then he suggested they go upstairs to eat. When MC brought out food and drinks, Sarhaju was stunned that it all appeared out of nowhere. He immediately asked about it in shock, but he answered with a question of his own. Had Sarhaju noticed any changes in his body? Sarhaju said his head had hurt earlier in the day, but now he felt much stronger. The protagonist explained that changes like this often happen before an apocalypse, and he had gone through one too. Everyone changes in different ways. Since Sarhaju seemed tied to strength, the protagonist guessed his own might be linked to the void. He told Sarhaju he had suddenly gained some control over void power. Feeling that a disaster might be coming, he had stocked up on supplies. Sarhaju said he understood. MC felt relieved this story was way easier to accept than something wild like reincarnation. He then told Sarhaju he had a feeling they'd become like brothers, so there was no need to hold back. They should just eat. Sarhaju looked at the spread and said it was way too much for them to finish. A couple dishes would be enough, and they should save the rest. Chen brushed it off, saying even if they ate their fill, Dharma the Lightning King still hadn't eaten. Hearing that, Dharma protested at once. He didn't want to be treated like a leftover eater, remembering how rough life was as a stray, when even trash food felt lucky. He thanked him, then sadly asked if cleaning bloodstains was a dog's job now. And yes, the protagonist really had made Dharma clean the blood. After eating, MC tried making a void sword, but it only lasted 5 seconds before vanishing. Lying on the bed, he laughed to himself. He had absorbed 42 core crystals and even made a void sword. In his past life, he couldn't do that until level 7, and back then he only learned the void passage at rank 9. At this rate, he might reach it as early as rank 4 now. He also wondered if he could unlock the elemental blade much sooner this time, instead of waiting until king rank. Just thinking about it felt great. The next morning, Sarhaju happily told Chen that he had been right. After absorbing 7 core crystals, he felt way stronger. Dharma answered by barking 9 times in front of them. He smiled and asked if Sarhaju had heard that right, 9. Then he joked that at least it wasn't 99, or Dharma would be barking forever. Sarhaju, meanwhile, was stunned that a dog had absorbed more crystals than he had. The protagonist opened his void and pulled out a set of armor for Satoju. He told him not to underestimate Dharma, because the dog was seriously gifted. Chen said Sudaju should try the armor on after breakfast. Since they were heading to the grain storage after that, Sudaju agreed. Later they headed for the truck. Zombies were wandering around it, and that actually pleased MC. To him they were free workers guarding the truck. Sudaju asked if they should clear them out, but he stopped him and said the free workers would be handled by Lightning King Dharma, who would lure them away. Just as he said that, Dharma started pulling the zombies away. Sudaju could only ask why it felt like the dog was more useful than him. Chen told him not to compare himself to a dog. Some things a dog can do, he can't, and the other way around too. Everyone has their own use. Sudaju, surprisingly serious, asked if there really was something a dog could do that he couldn't. The protagonist said yes, then asked if Sudaju dared to eat poop like a dog. He meant it as a joke, but Dharma froze, then turned away in outrage, barking that it was slander and he never ate stuff like that. The scene shifts to the grain storage, where Chen is mowing down zombies with the truck. Sudaju praises him for bringing it along, but MC felt something was off. A place like this should have had plenty of workers, and they shouldn't all be dead. With all the noise outside, someone should have called for help. Sudaju guessed there might be a basement where people were hiding, which would explain the silence. He thought that made sense. When they reached a passage, he said it might lead down to that basement. He told Sudaju to come check it out. As they moved deeper, they found a human skull. That shocked Chen. Regular zombies bite people, but they don't usually strip someone down to a single bone. He started wondering if a mutated creature was inside and said it could be ants or rats. Both move in groups, and if there were that many, he couldn't risk it. Staying alive came first. Then they heard a noise. The protagonist looked closer, and his face changed. A whole swarm of rats was coming. Chen shouted for everyone to run. The rat horde was rushing straight at them. As MC and Sudaju tried to escape, Dharma stayed behind for a moment to hold the rats back. Seeing that, he yelled for Dharma to protect himself, so the dog turned and ran with them. Then a slightly mutated rat appeared. The moment it saw the humans, it got excited, like it had found fresh meat. It leaped at Chen, eager to see how they thought they could escape. Because of the sudden hit, the protagonist was knocked to the ground. Sudaju quickly pulled him up and said they might really be finished this time. Realizing how bad things were, MC told Sudaju not to freeze up and to fight the rats. Together, and with Dharma's electricity, they somehow managed to wipe out the smaller rats. Still, Chen stayed tense about the Rat King. It was obviously a mutant. Even more unsettling, the Rat King seemed to be smiling as it watched them. He explained that survivors, zombies, and beasts all usually grow stronger little by little, but sometimes a mutant burns through its life force to make its power rise like crazy. Chen cursed his luck. Those mutants get stronger fast, but their lifespan drops, and somehow he had run into one this early. While fighting the smaller rats, Sudaju fell to the ground. The Rat King saw the opening and decided it was the perfect time to attack. Sudaju swung a baton, but the Rat King slapped it away like it was nothing. Then it launched a non-stop assault on Sudhaju's armor. As the armor neared its limit, Sudaju realized one more strike might pierce it. Chen rushed over and shouted for him to be careful. He said the Rat King was at least level 3 or 4, so there was no time for fancy moves. He'd have to use normal methods to kill it. The protagonist Luo throws out some food to pull the rats away. He thinks that if he hadn't reached rank 2 last night, they all would have died down there. The Rat King watches MC raise what looks like an electric baton and wonders if it can hurt him. If it can, he plans to kill MC first, then Sudaju. But it isn't a baton at all. He is charging in with the Void Sword, his last shot at killing the Rat King. This is his final chance. The second the Rat King realizes it's a Void Sword, he panics and tries to escape. Chen Lu grins and mocks him. Running now? Keep dreaming. After killing the Rat King, the protagonist finds a core crystal inside it that's much bigger than the others, and that makes him happy. Then he tells Sudaju the Rat King's front fangs look useful and could make a good weapon later. Since he isn't strong enough to pull them out, he asks Sudaju to do it. Sudaju agrees and tells him to step aside. After struggling for a bit, Sudaju finally rips out one fang. Chen Lu praises him, then says they should keep searching the basement. Later, MC starts storing the grain. Sudaju is amazed and asks how big MC's void space really is. MC says it's still nowhere near as big as the grain storage. Once everything is packed away, he walks over and warns Sudaju not to tell anyone about these supplies. No matter what happens, this secret has to stay hidden. Sudaju tells him not to worry, he gets it, and even if someone beat him to death, he still wouldn't talk. Then the lights suddenly cut out. Sudaju asks why it got dark so fast. Chen Luo says it's probably a blackout, so they need to finish up and head back. Later, they return to the protagonist Luo's home. MC says the fight with the Rat King was way too risky, so for now they should stay home and get stronger first. He adds that at his current rate, he should reach rank 3 in 2 or 3 days. Until then, if anyone gets bored, they can play games or watch movies. Sudaju says that's fine with him. Chen Luo smiles, says it's settled, and tells everyone to go eat. Then the story jumps ahead 3 days. He tells Dharma he should learn how to wash bowls. Dharma immediately gets nervous, hoping he won't be too hard on him. The protagonist Luo says he's been training for 3 days and it's worn him out, then asks if Dharma reached level 2 last night. Dharma happily says yes. Chen Luo says getting stronger takes training, so Dharma should go test his new lightning skills on some zombies. Skills. Dharma looks a little down and slowly heads for the door, but MC Luo suddenly stops him. That makes Dharma perk up. Maybe Chen Luo is worried about him, or at least wants to remind him to be careful. Instead, he hands him 2 trash bags and tells him to take them out. Dharma gets mad, calls him a bastard, and storms off with the garbage full of anger. The protagonist Luo says that kind of sulking is childish. In his view, Dharma becomes a real grown-up dog, only when he can clean, take out trash, and handle chores without being told every time. Even Sudhaju watches this and feels bad for Dharma. After that, Chen Luo thinks he really needs Meiju around to handle daily life. He remembers she lives in a nearby 5-star hotel staff dormitory. So once he reaches level 3, he plans to go find Meiju. That night, Chen Lu suddenly feels a strong jolt. When he wakes up, he realizes something huge in his past life. Reaching rank 3 took half a month, but this time it only took 3 days. He even thinks Dharma should be glad he stayed with him, or he might have been taken out without even seeing it coming from him. Chen Lu also notices the Void Sword now lasts 20 seconds instead of 5. At last, he can go out now. MC Lu decides that in the morning they'll find Meiju and collect the core crystals too. The next day, near the hotel staff dormitory, Chen Lu fights off zombies while Sujiju manages to locate the dormitory. Hearing the noise outside, someone comes out and begs them for help. He introduces himself as Lu Wenbo, a waiter from the 5-star hotel. Luo is glad to see him. After killing zombies for half an hour, he's finally found someone alive. He doesn't waste time and asks Luo right away if he's seen Mayu. Then the story cuts to Mayu getting beaten by Lin Lai. Lin wants her gone, but Mayu refuses to leave because she has just as much right to stay alive and have a place there. Lin Lai gets even angrier at that and grabs Mayu in rage. A wealthy businessman named Lei Lin steps in and says the vegetables they have left may not be enough for everyone. If Mayu won't listen, he says they should throw her out. Lin Lai agrees, saying Mayu asked for this. Then the hotel manager Harry tells Mayu there isn't enough room, so for everyone else's sake, she has to be the one sacrificed. So he calmly tells her to leave and find somewhere else to hide. Mayu, panicking, asks if he's serious. Outside is full of zombies. How is she supposed to get through that? But before she can resist, the guards grab her and drag her out. As she's pulled away, Mayu says Harry is basically sending her to die. He snaps back, telling her to stop talking and get lost. Meiju is thrown out of the room. Afterward, Lin Lai says this is what happens when someone refuses her. The zombies start moving toward Meiju. In that moment, Meiju forces herself not to cry. She won't give them the satisfaction. She's so angry that she'd pay any price to find someone who can help her kill those bastards. Suddenly, the zombies lunge at her, and Meiju thinks this is it. She won't even get the chance to take revenge. Out of nowhere, Chen Lu appears and saves her. Meiju tries to thank him, but the protagonist covers her mouth and tells her to stay quiet. He says they'll talk after he and Sudaju finish cleaning this up. He also praises Dharma for easily taking down that boy by himself. Bit by bit, MC and Sudaju wipe out all the nearby zombies. Seeing them clear the area, Lin Lai and the others are thrilled. They've finally been saved after holding out for 5 days. Once the zombies were gone, Lin Lai and the others come outside. She thanks Chen Lu and Sudaju for saving them and introduces herself. But inside, Lin Lai is already hoping He Lu and Sudaju will become her supporters. The protagonist Lu ignores her and asks Meiju what happened and whether she wants his help. Meiju breaks down crying and tells him everything from start to finish. At the end, she cries even harder and says she never should have saved them. She gave them shelter, and now they all turned on her. Hearing that, Chen Lu gets annoyed and thinks this is exactly why kindness is so hard. Then Lin Li walks up and asks MC to escort her home safely. On top of that, she offers him a job at her company after the crisis, with a monthly salary of 2 lakhs. Hearing that, Sudaju angrily asks what being rich changes. Then he suddenly punches Lin Li hard, saying he hates people who repay kindness with betrayal. More than anything, Li was stunned by what he sees. To him, Chen Lu and Sudaju are unbelievably bold. Those people are powerful, yet the two of them don't seem scared of revenge at all. After taking the punch, Lin Li slowly says she understands. They're angry over what happened to their friend. Even so, she again asks them to get her home safely and says they can name any condition they want. That only makes He Lu angrier. He says he almost feels sorry for them, but he lives by one rule. If someone becomes his enemy, he won't spare them when he gets the chance to end it. Then the protagonist Luo opens his coat and pulls something out, telling them not to worry. He won't kill them even if they hurt his friend. The protagonist Luo smiles and says he'll just tie them up and leave whether they live or die to luck. Leland snaps back that it's basically the same as killing them and asks how Chen Lu and Suchaju can be so cruel. Suchaju fires right back. Were they saying that when they threw Mayu out into a zombie-filled death trap? Leland drops to the ground in front of MC and begs him to save her. She says she'll do anything to stay alive, and he realizes she's even ready to offer her body if that's what it takes. He tells her to get lost. She's filthy. As Sudhaju ties them up, Lin Li says she hasn't bathed in days, so of course she's dirty, then shamelessly asks if he can help wash her body. At the end, Chenlu and Sudhaju stuffed paper into their mouths so none of them could yell. Once they left the dorm and headed back, Lua ran up and asked to come with them. The protagonist Lu asked what made Lu worth taking along, and Lu froze. But before he could answer, Chenlu handed him a baseball bat and said to kill 10 zombies with it. If he could do that, he'd earn a spot with them. Without pausing, Lu refused. He admitted he didn't dare fight zombies with just a bat. MC Lu smiled to himself. He had given Lu a shot, and Lu wasted it. He told Lu he couldn't join them, but he could still get some help. Chenlu gave him 3 minutes to grab whatever he wanted, then said he'd escort him back to the dorm as thanks. Lu immediately ran to the hotel to collect supplies. While Lu gathered essentials, the protagonist Lu spoke to Meiju. He said they needed someone to handle food and cooking, so he thought of her. He'd rather fight zombies than wash pots, and he promised to keep her safe. He also swore he'd treat her well, saying meeting him was the best luck she could have had in this mess. Then Chenlu asked if she wanted to return with him. Meiju answered yes right away. She was willing to join. MC gladly welcomed her to the group and said that after taking Lua back, they'd return home and celebrate with a big meal. He added that she'd obviously be the one cooking, and Meiju lit up and agreed. That night, back at his home, he talked with Sutaju about their powers, then asked Meiju if she'd felt anything strange these past few days. Maybe her ability had awakened. She said she had a headache on the 3rd day, but since she was starving, she never paid attention to it. Chenlua said awakening on day 3 wasn't especially good or bad, just average. Then he told her to focus and slowly feel the power inside her body. When Meira tried to sense it, flames appeared in her hand. Both of them were shocked. Chenlu was surprised but also thrilled. Meira had a fire ability, which meant her cooking could be even better. About an hour and a half later, a huge spread of food was set in front of Sudaju and the protagonist. They were amazed, and MC Luo told everyone to dig in. As they ate, the food tasted incredible, like heaven. They felt bringing Mayu back was absolutely the right choice, and he was especially happy he wouldn't have to do dishes anymore. Later that night, Chen Lu told Mayu not to worry, because he was taking her to her own room. He had her check inside and tell him if she needed anything. He also said she could shower, but she had to be careful not to get water in her mouth. Then he asked if she'd lost her phone, and since she had, he gave her a new phone and a portable charger. He said it already had movies and novels on it for when she got bored. Mayu was touched and started blushing. The protagonist added that they wouldn't go out for the next few days because they'd stay home and level up their abilities, and he'd explain the method later. Thanking him, Mayu happily went into her room. More days passed, and in the present, MC was glad he'd fully reached rank 3. At this pace, rank 4 would still take a few more days, so he decided to go out for more core crystals, and also look for the sisters Myling and Millie. He wondered how much the two sisters had suffered during these last 10 days of the apocalypse. Chenlu knew it still wasn't the right time to help them, but he wanted to keep watch so no one else could get to them. He was thinking that if one of them really had a revival-type power, that person had to end up on his side, otherwise it could cause serious trouble. Before heading out, Chenlu gathered everyone and told Mayu that he and Sudhaju were leaving to collect crystal cores. While they were gone, she was not to open the door for anyone, no matter what. Even if someone dropped dead right in front of her, she still couldn't open it. He also told her to keep the doors and windows shut, not look outside, and never go out under any condition. If she ignored that, the consequences were on her. Mayu said she understood and told him not to worry. Sometime later, he and Sudhaju were out killing zombies. He asked how many core crystals they'd gathered, and Sudhaju said around 500. That was enough for the day, so the protagonist Luo suggested they stop collecting and check on the Mi sisters, since he remembered they lived up ahead. He told Sudhaju to head back to the truck first, while he took Lightning King Dharma for a walk and cleaned up the remaining zombies. Sudhaju happily agreed with that. A little later, Chenlu arrived at the Mi sisters building with Dharma. He remembered they lived on the 3rd floor, room 201. MC told Dharma to check whether anyone was in room 201. To his surprise, Dharma answered yes, and MC got excited because for once he was giving Dharma a job that actually fit a doctor. All of a sudden, Dharma dashed toward the bushes and started fighting something, catching him off guard. He kept yelling for him to come back. Then he saw a cat jump out of the bushes and realized Dharma had just been chasing a cat. The protagonist Luo felt bad for it and even thought about taking it as a pet, but Dharma was already biting the cat, so MC hurriedly told him not to hurt her. Then, to his shock, the cat talked back and told him to make that stupid dog let her go. Hearing a cat speak, Chenlu was stunned and wondered if she had awakened telepathy. That only made him more excited, and he decided he wanted her as his pet. He told Dharma to back off and complained that he was being way too rough, but Dharma kept giving him a strange look, so he had to step in and separate them. After pulling them apart, he scolded Dharma, who made a weird face like he knew it was his fault. As the protagonist Lua held the cat, she complained that she hadn't done anything to Dharma and hadn't attacked him, so getting bitten was unfair. The protagonist Lua agreed the dog had behaved badly. Then the cat sniffed the air and suddenly asked if MC had dried fish. That stunned him again, and he wondered how she knew. Was it instinct or something else? Even so, he figured he didn't mind feeding her. If she ate his food, she'd be his cat soon enough. Just then, a girl's voice called down from above asking for her rice. When the protagonist Luo looked up, he was surprised to see it was Millie. He quickly realized the cat's name was Rice, and that she belonged to Millie. At the same time, he wondered why he'd never seen this cat in his past life, and why the sisters had never mentioned her. While MC was thinking that over, Millie came downstairs and asked him to return her cat. MC just smiled, thinking the trip had already been worth it. Millie grabbed Rice back from his arms and apologized to Rice for something. Watching them, Chenlu guessed the sisters probably weren't staying together. If the older sister were around, she wouldn't have let Millie come out alone. Millie said goodbye and started to leave, but Rice suddenly struggled and told her to let go because the protagonist had dried fish and wasn't a bad person. Somehow, the cat slipped out of Millie's lap. Rice ran to MC Luo and begged for dried fish, saying she hadn't had any for a whole week. MC Luo started thinking this might be the perfect chance to convince Millie to come with him. He picked Rice up and told her that Super Hygiene definitely had dried fish, and he'd take her there. Then the protagonist Luo asked Millie why she and her sister weren't working together to gather supplies. Millie hesitated before answering, but Rice urged her to agree. She said she could tell Qian Luo meant no harm, and that they could trust him. Millie still couldn't decide, so Rice got mad and told her fine, don't come, stay home alone, and she'd go with MC Luo instead. Rice even tugged at Millie and said she was still the same, so she should just wait for her to bring food back. That made Millie feel ashamed, and she quickly denied that was what she meant. In the end, Millie agreed to go with Chen Luo, but asked him to wait while she grabbed something. After a few minutes, Millie returned wearing a helmet and holding a wooden rolling pin. She said she was ready, but then got startled when she saw Sudaju and asked who he was. He said Sudaju was his buddy, basically the warrior of the group. He also introduced Dharma, explaining that the dog was a lightning king who could use lightning attacks. Millie was shocked that a dog could control lightning, and she realized it wasn't just Rice, other animals had powers too. Chen Lu then introduced himself as the protagonist Lu and said his own ability was like a void magician's. After that, he asked Millie about herself. Millie says MC already knows Rice can talk to people, then introduces herself as Millie. Her class is like a priest. Right when Rice suddenly yells that zombies are coming, Chen Lu warns Millie to stay sharp, and she says she can boost their strength. She activates her skill, and he is shocked that even at level 1, Millie raises his power by about a third. But while Sudaju is busy fighting, the protagonist gets distracted thinking about her skill. A zombie slips past him and rushes straight at Millie. He reacts at once, telling her to get back and leave it to him. To MC Luo's surprise, she refuses. Millie says she can't rely on him forever, and since she's never fought a zombie before, this is her chance to learn before she has no choice. Later, that impresses Chen Luo. She looks fragile, but she's tougher than he expected. No wonder she survived so long before. Still, he knows a rolling pin won't do much against zombies, so he tells Sudachu to hand her the iron rod. As he does, Sudachu tells Millie he knows she can handle it. With the rod in hand, Millie tries to steady herself, telling herself not to be scared. At the instant the zombie grabs at her, she swings the rod and strikes it. Even after it drops, she keeps smashing it. Seeing that, Chen Luo tenses up and nearly tells her it's already dead. But he stays quiet so she can build confidence. Once it's over, Millie throws up from seeing the corpse. Luo praises her and gives her water to help her calm down. Millie quietly thanks him. Meanwhile, Rice is annoyed they're wasting time instead of looking for dried fish. The story then jumps ahead to the mall's second floor, where the group is clearing out zombies. When the fight ends, Chen Lu tells Millie to grab a bag and pack as much as she wants. She agrees. Rice comes over next, asking the protagonist to open a packet of fish. He starts thinking the cat's power might be more than simple mind-based ability, as telepathy usually shouldn't appear this early in the apocalypse. So he starts thinking about getting Rice onto his team. Then he tells her not to eat too much of the packaged fish. He also has fresh fish, and later he'll even cook braised fish. That instantly excites Rice, and she declares she'll definitely go with him. At the same time, Millie is filling her bag and doesn't notice a mutated zombie creeping up behind her, but Dharma senses it first and barks to warn everyone. At the sound, Millie turns and is horrified to find the mutant right behind her. She tries to back away, but her foot catches on something, leaving her stuck as the danger closes in. The zombie is thrilled too. It hasn't eaten in a while and thinks Millie is its next meal. Millie throws something at it to distract it. After that, she tries to run but crashes right into Chen Lu. He had already come over to check on her, but seeing the mutant shocks him. From one look, he recognizes it as a devourer, a monster he saw many times in his past life. He explains that devourers are strong, tough, and can charge or self-destruct. Judging by its size, this one is level 3. He tells Millie not to panic and stay behind him. Chen Lu starts forming his void sword, but before he's done, Dharma fires a lightning strike at the devourer. The hit distracts it, and MC Lu takes the opening, slashing with his void sword. With a single clean strike, the devourer is killed. After that, Chen Lu steps in front of Millie and tells her not to look. The body is too nasty. Shaking, Millie grabs onto him and stares in awe at how he erased that monster in one hit. This makes her see him as incredibly cool. Noticing how scared she is, he takes her hand and leads her away. A few seconds later, once they're safe, Chen Lu tells Millie they made it out, and she can open her eyes. When she looks at him, Millie starts blushing, thinking he looks smart and handsome. She can't believe she only noticed it now. The protagonist Lu, meanwhile, gets flustered by her reaction. He even thinks the Devourer unexpectedly helped him pull off a perfect hero saving the girl moment. Taking the chance, he asks if they should team up and watch each other's backs. Flustered and red-faced, Millie blurts out a yes. Chen Luo then says they should head back and eat together. But Millie apologizes. She has to go home and wait for her older sister Milling. If Milling returns and Millie isn't there, she'll panic and worry about her. So Millie tells MC Luo to go first, while she waits for her sister. Rice gets mad and asks why she'd turn that down. Rice says Millie can just leave a note so Milling won't worry, and adds that she has a feeling Milling won't be back today. Chen Luo throws in that he'll make braised fish, and Rice flat out says Millie has to go because she wants that fish. Hearing Rice push so hard, Millie gets torn for a moment, then finally agrees to go with him. She asks if his place is far, and he happily says no. The story then cuts to the protagonist's home, where Millie and Rice are stunned by the meal in front of them. Millie says it's her first time visiting, yet MC prepared a feast. Chen Luo tells her it's nothing. They're companions now and urges her to eat before it gets cold. As she eats, Millie tears up because the fish tastes even better than she imagined. After the meal, she thanks him, then apologizes again and says she needs to go home. She's worried Milling will panic if she doesn't find her there. Chen Luo says it's already late, and staying home alone would be dangerous. He then suggests another plan. Sutaju and Mayu could stay at her place for now. He also wants to meet Milling, or since there are empty houses nearby, they can move in next door and look out for each other. Millie says okay, then shyly corrects him. It wouldn't be everyone taking care of each other. It would mostly be Chen Lu taking care of them. He just smiles and accepts it. He then tells everyone to pack up because they're moving. Later, the group arrives at Millie's house. As they get there, he tells everyone to be careful getting off the truck. Once they're down, Millie hesitantly asks why they can't all stay inside her house together. She says there are 4 bedrooms and a living room, so there should be enough space if everyone would be okay with it. Chen Lu smiles, secretly pleased that Millie is giving him a chance to stay close and protect her. Later at dinner, he hands out watermelon to everyone. When he gives some to Millie, she starts thinking about everything he's done. Even with the world so dangerous, the protagonist keeps protecting her, feeding her, giving her light, and now even her favorite watermelon during a blackout. Then, to everyone's surprise, Millie suddenly jumps forward and hugs Chen Lu, saying meeting him and her sister was the luckiest thing that's happened to her. Even MC gets flustered. Millie's charm is so strong that the hug completely throws him off. She adds that from now on they should be friends, help each other, and stop acting so formal with her. Luo almost feels sorry for himself. A cute girl is hugging him, but since they only met today, he knows he can't rush things or his real thoughts will show. Chen Luo smiles and asks if she really doesn't want the watermelon still in his hand before hugging him. Embarrassed, Millie quickly lets go and goes quiet. The protagonist Lubo then asks how everyone should split the rooms. Millie says Meiju can use the room she keeps for guests and Sudhaju can stay in her sister's study once a bed is set up. Finally, she says Chen Luo can stay in her sister's room. That catches him off guard, and he wonders where Millie will sleep when her sister returns. For now, though, he decides not to overthink it and agrees. Then he gives Millie some crystals, shows her how to use them, and asks if she gets it. Looking a little lost, she gives a hesitant yes. MC Luo tells her to head back to her room and try it herself, while he gets some rest. Millie agrees and wishes him good night, but when Chen got to his room and opened the door, he froze. Rice was already inside. She asked why he was back so late. Then Rice moved in close, acting like a spoiled cat, and said she wanted to sleep with him tonight and with Millie the next night. Chen was thrilled and started playing with her, figuring a cat loves attention from its owner. He called her a naughty cat, so he'd spoil her tonight, but tomorrow she had to sleep with Millie. Rice simply agreed. In the morning, the story cuts to another place, where someone with fire powers was burning through zombies. That's when Miling appears with 2 new boys. The boys' names were Zhang Zhen and Wang Xinwo, both Millie's classmates. As they fought, they got scared and complained, asking Miling why she wasn't the one handling the zombies. Hearing that, Miling snapped and told them to stop hiding behind her. But when more zombies came, both of them panicked and ducked behind Miling again. She kept trying to fight them off, but before long she felt how badly the firepower was draining her energy. Even at rank 2, she still couldn't keep fighting non-stop. Later, Miling returned to Millie's home and finally met her sister again. Chen was glad to see Miling back, and watching the sisters reunite right in front of him was nice to see. Then he noticed Zhang and Wang and wondered who those 2 were. Meanwhile, Zhang quietly told Wang that Miling was the campus beauty, but Millie was just as pretty, so coming with Miling had been the right move. Wang agreed and said if they could win over both sisters, that would be perfect. Then they looked at Chen. Wang asked who that guy was doing with Millie, and Zhang said he had no idea since he'd never heard Miling had a brother. At the same time, Meling also asked Millie who the protagonist was. Millie explained that while Miling was gone, MC had been the one taking care of her. Miling said she understood and thought Millie looked healthy, which meant she'd clearly been well looked after. Of course, Wang was thinking Miling was hard to approach, while her little sister looked easier. Zhang started wondering if he should switch targets and go after Millie first. So Zhang stepped up with a pack of bread and told Millie she must be hungry, so she should take the bread. Wang immediately got nervous and pulled out a sausage, telling her not to be shy and offering that instead. Zhang got mad, thinking Wang was trying to compete with him after this. Millie felt awkward with both of them suddenly pushing food at her, so she apologized and said she wasn't hungry. Zhang just smiled to himself. Their motives were way too obvious, so he told them to head upstairs first and catch up later. Millie agreed and urged Myling to come home, since staying out on the road was dangerous. Myling thought she'd been stupid to bring along two useless burdens. She couldn't keep letting them drag her and her sister down, so going back sounded fine to her too. Hearing that, Zhang got excited, already dreaming that living with the campus beauty was about to begin. Wang was just as happy, thinking that if he stayed with Myling, they'd naturally grow closer. Neither of them noticed the truth. They'd only made themselves look worse by hiding behind her and being dead weight in Myling's eyes. Myling asked Millie if there was food at home. Chen thought that of course there was. If they hadn't followed him, they wouldn't even get to dream about eating. So the protagonist asked Meiju if there was rice. If there was, she should start cooking. Since Myling was Millie's sister, he figured it would be rude not to feed her. Meiju looked confused and asked if they weren't making barbecue. Once inside, Zhang remarked that times were hard for everyone, yet MC was still feeding a dog. Wang backed him up, saying MC had just said they only had some rice, so if it all got eaten, what would be left? That instantly made Dharma angry. Those two were talking like they wanted to eat him. Seeing Dharma react, Zhang nervously shouted that the dog was fierce, and said if it might hurt Millie or Myling, they should cook it. Wang acted bold too, saying they should leave that job to him and get ready to eat dog meat. Chen cut them off and said that was enough. Then he mocked them, saying when he talked about dogs, he meant the two of them, so they should get lost. Hearing that, Zhang got furious and told him to watch his mouth, asking if he'd ever even fought a zombie. The protagonist answered no. Zhang smirked and called him a coward who only hides at home. Then he turned to Myling and complained that they had suffered following her, and she knew how dangerous the trip had been. If food was so precious, then feeding it to a dog was just a waste of food. Zhang shouted too, saying they'd been starving the whole way, so shouldn't they be the ones eating it? Zhang quickly added that they didn't mean all of it. Everyone could share. Myling had heard enough and told them to shut up. She said she knew exactly why they followed her and how much they had really done. That only made Zhang and Wang angrier, and they warned Myling that she would regret provoking them. At that point, Chen patted Dharma and told him to kill them or else he'd have to deal with the bodies himself. Dharma had been waiting for that order and happily said to leave it to him. Myling saw Dharma heading for Zhang and Wang and got confused, wondering why the dog was going after them and if it had a death wish. After that, Meiyu came over and said it wasn't a problem, but if she started cooking now, it would still take at least an hour. Meiyu said that was fine. She could take her time and finish one dish at a time. Then Chen asked Millie to come into the room because he wanted to talk. She agreed and followed him. Seeing that, Myling got tense. A man and a woman going into the same room alone made her wonder what he was planning to do with Millie. Inside the room, the protagonist pressed Millie to the wall in a close, almost romantic pose and asked if she was worried about food and water after following him. Blushing hard, she still admitted yes. He moved on and asked if being with him made her feel safe and less afraid. She said yes again. Tammy leaned in closer and said he treated her well, because she listened and was capable. But what about her sister? Would Myling obey him or not? Millie thought about it and realized Myling always had her own opinions. Since she also didn't know MC well, there was a good chance she wouldn't listen to him. Then he asked who Millie thought could lead the group better, him or her sister. Without any pause, Millie chose him. After that, she grew nervous and asked what they were supposed to do. Chen thought saying it out loud would sound cruel, like he wanted to train Myling until she obeyed. So he explained it plainly. Myling had to accept him as captain. Otherwise, when something serious happened, he and her sister would argue, and that would cause trouble. Then he asked if she understood or not. Millie said she did. She needed to help make Myling listen to him. The protagonist added that until Myling obeyed, he wouldn't share any resources with her, so she would only be able to watch the others eat. Once Myling listened, then she could be fed too. He even told Millie this was for her sister's own good, and Millie agreed. In the kitchen, seeing all the vegetables, Myling asked Mayu why she had taken out so much food, how many dishes she planned to make, and whether she wasn't thinking about tomorrow. She felt it was pointless arguing with Mayu, so she decided to speak to Chen directly. Myling told MC to have Meiju cook less. If they ate everything today, what would they eat tomorrow? MC answered that today was her reunion with Millie, and if Millie was happy, then they should celebrate. Still, Myling didn't agree. Making that much food felt way too wasteful. He told her it was his issue, not hers, so she didn't need to worry about it. Myling then wondered if maybe she'd eaten too fast. She still wanted more, but her stomach was already getting full. Even so, she doubted they could finish all those dishes, though the smell was amazing. An hour later, the meal was ready, and Meiju started setting everything on the table. Millie noticed there were 5 people, but only 4 bottles, and wondered if there wasn't enough, so she decided not to take one, and would just eat the food and drink soup instead. When Meiju finished setting the table, she told everyone they could start it. Everyone takes a seat, but Millie is shocked when Chen asks why she sat down too. Upset, she asks if this isn't where she always sits. She feels hurt and wants to apologize, but since she still thinks the protagonist is a good person, she decides to endure it for now. MC coldly says the seat isn't for her. Then he tells Milling that if she just wants to watch, she can sit nearby, near them. Millie freezes confused and asks what he means. Does that mean she doesn't get a share? Milling also reminds him that he said this meal was for her reunion with Millie. Chen says he never promised Milling could eat with them. Everyone else is on his side and he'll only share the food he risked his life to get with people who stand with him. Then he turns to Millie and asks whose side she's on. Millie quickly says she's with him and he asks Sudhaju and Meiju next. Sudhaju says he'll stay with the protagonist no matter what. Meiju adds that ever since the protagonist saved her, her life has belonged to him. Dharma barks that he's with his master, and Rice makes it clear that with food this good, she's sticking with MC2, his side. Chen tells Mealing to look around, the whole table is with him, so he's happy to share everything with them. But who is Mealing to him? In his eyes, she has no right to eat with them unless she agrees to follow him too. Then she can join them. That sets Mealing off, and she asks if he's really trying to humiliate her over a meal. She jumps up and slams a hand down on the table, warning Chen not to push it too far. Meidling says she won't eat it, she's not that desperate. But while she stands off to the side, he starts praising Meiju's chicken and says it tastes amazing. He tells Mealy to try the spicy crab too, saying it's great. Mealy thanks him. After that, Chen gives Mealy braised fish and reminds her it's the dried fragrant one she asked for. Hearing all this food talk drives Mealing crazy, and she tells Mealy she's going to her room. But once inside, she gets even angrier when she spots the protagonist's underwear there. Furious, Mealing yells for Millie. She can't believe her sister was nice enough to let that jerk MC stay in her room. So Millie rushes over and apologizes, saying she forgot to mention that he had been staying there while Mealing was gone. She tells her not to worry. He is a gentleman and won't mess up the room. Mealing reluctantly says fine, since he did take care of Millie. Her room. Millie then says Mealing can still bathe. She just needs to keep water out of her mouth, and if she doesn't feel safe, she can just rinse off. Mealing says she understands, so Millie can go back. Mealing then goes to take a bath. While washing up, she feels completely left out. Even her own sister chose someone else over her just for good food. She also thinks about how little food a small fridge can really hold, then decides she'll make Chen see who gets the last laugh. After bathing, while getting dressed, she hears the protagonist asking why no one is eating fruit like grapes. That only makes her madder. Out of all the fruit, they had to pick her favorite. Mealing starts craving grapes but forces herself to resist, telling herself it's the apocalypse. Those grapes must be frozen, not fresh, and probably not even tasty. She says she's not hungry at all. Then Mealing comes out and calls for Miley. Chen is stunned by how beautiful she looks, even having dirty thoughts for a second. Mealing ignores that and asks Mealy to come to her room. She wants to talk. As Mealy leaves, MC tells her to come back soon because the grapes are really sweet and he'll save some for her. He even jokes about how people only spit out grape skins when they aren't really eating grapes, clearly trying to tempt Mealing on purpose. She knows exactly what he's doing, and it only annoys her more. Once inside the room, Mealing shoves Miley onto the bed, grabs her hand, and asks if she's really gotten bold enough to team up with a stranger just to get on her sister's nerves. Then she starts tickling Miley and demands the truth about what's going on and why she didn't help at dinner. Laughing and begging her to stop, Miley finally gives in and says they've already become a team that understands each other. To avoid arguments at important moments, everyone agreed Chen should be the captain. She goes on to explain that he was worried Mealing wouldn't listen, so he did this on purpose. He had told Mage beforehand, and Mage admits she thought it made sense. Hearing that, Mealing stiffens and asks if Mage got brainwashed. Mealing snaps that if the protagonist showed real fighting skill, she'd naturally follow him. Instead, he used a cheap, cowardly trick. Then she scoffs. Did he really think one meal would make her join him? Nervously, Miley asks what Mealing plans to do, since keeping this fight up with Chen won't end well. Mealing says that if MC wants her obedience, he has to prove his strength. She'll challenge him and see who really gets the last laugh. After getting ready, Mealing heads out. Mealing quickly asks where she's going, and Mealing says she won't eat someone else's food, so she's going to the district to find her own food and drinks. Mealing tries to stop her, warning that it's late and dangerous, but Mealing won't listen. So Mealing asks him to please talk her sister out of going. The protagonist says he's sorry, but he has no good reason to stop her. If Millie is worried though, Rice can go with Milling. As for Rice, she's unhappy about leaving Chen, and wonders why Milling has to be so stubborn. Still, with Rice along, Milling can sense danger early. MC also tells Dharma to go with Milling, and Dharma clearly hates the idea of going outside in the heat. Seeing that he is sending the pets, Millie asks if she can go help too. He says of course, but she has to be careful and should take a baton with her. After they leave, Chen wonders why he used this method on Milling. Then he remembers a past life, when Milling used to yell at him for stealing vegetables and even beat him up over it. So in his mind, this is just payback for all the times she kicked his butt before, not going too far at all. But he soon admits he may have pushed too hard trying to force her onto his side so quickly. The scene cuts to 10 minutes later. Milling comes back and says dinner tonight will be braised beef cup noodles and 2 eggs. It's not as fancy as someone else's meal, but she's satisfied. Chen laughs to himself, thinking anyone who doesn't know better might believe there's real beef in those noodles. To him, it's just the label tricking people. He calls for Meiju and says he wants beef cup noodles too. Meiju agrees. The protagonist is clearly doing it to annoy Milling by showing her what real beef noodles look like. Then he walks over and tells her not to be so fragile and asks to talk. Milling agrees. Once they start, Chen apologizes first and says he went too far that afternoon. Milling immediately asks if this is just another trick and why he's acting like this. MC says the apology is real, but until she accepts him as captain, he still won't share food with her. He says a captain needs both fighting power and brains, and he'll prove he completely outclasses her in both. First, he proposes they test combat skill. They can fight in 3 days, and if he loses, he'll listen to her. That makes Milling light up, and she asks if he's really serious or not. Chen says yes. Milling gets ready right away, but asks why they have to wait 3 days instead of fighting now. He says he can't fully control his power yet and is worried he might seriously hurt her. In truth, he expects to hit rank 4 in 2 or 3 days and handle his ability better then. The protagonist then needles her, saying she better not tell him she can't even beat the Lightning King. Milling explodes, asking what kind of nonsense that is. Does he think she can't even beat a dog? Chen shrugs and says fine, he understands she's stronger than Dharma. That only makes Milling feel more mocked and humiliated. Suddenly, Dharma starts growling and barking at the door. A woman from a nearby home, Aunt Maya, is outside knocking and calling out, asking if Meili and Milling are in there. Maya kept begging through the door. She said she came to see them and hadn't eaten in 2 days, so she wanted anything they could spare. Minnick coldly pointed out that if Maya ate 2 days ago, then she clearly wasn't starving the whole time. Hearing her answer so smoothly made Chen tense up, so things quickly turned awkward. Minnick told Maya to leave because they had no food to spare. Minnick stepped closer, looking like she wanted to ask her sister to show some mercy. But Minnick stopped her and said it wouldn't matter how much they gave Aunt Maya. She'd finish it in a day, and once it was gone, she'd just come back again. Were they supposed to keep feeding her forever? Even with their own survival already hard enough, Minnick stayed firm. Chen was pleased and praised her for it. But Minnick snapped at him to shut up and wait 3 days. Then he'd see where his confidence came from. Mansi just answered with a calm, okay. Right then, Rice ran over and hugged Chen. When he looked at her, she told him Aunt Maya felt hostile, so he picked Rice up and held her close, saying he already knew. He added that whatever their reason was, if they dared come here with bad intentions, they would die. The scene shifted to Maya heading downstairs, furious that Miling had been so heartless. She cursed both sisters the whole way down. Then Maya met up with a group of boys. They asked if she checked in whether Miling was home. Maya said yes, she had just spoken with her, and both sisters were inside. She also mentioned 2 boys had been going in and out. The group got excited. One said it would be a waste if Miling died, and the others started making filthy comments about her body and the sisters. It was obvious they planned to attack them. In the end, they decided not to wait any longer and to rush the house. Maya agreed right away, saying she had always hated the sisters, and she even urged the boys to torment them after they were done. When they reached the house, Sudaju looked out the window and told Chen that Aunt Maya had returned with armed men. It looked bad for sure. After hearing that, the protagonist decided to kill them. He told Sudaju to wipe them out, but then remembered not to let anyone die in the corridor. They'd have to clean it up. Sudaju said okay and got his weapon ready. Millie came over and said she'd help him some. Cedric said he'd be back soon and headed out. Dharma barked and went with him. While Cedric Sen and Dharma went down to fight, everyone else watched from above. At that moment, Melling ended up close to Chen and suddenly noticed how handsome he was. She quietly hoped both he and Cedric Seb were truly strong. Down on the street, the boys got cocky when they saw only one man and a dog. They even joked they'd get dog meat for dinner. Suddenly Sudru attacked, and they panicked, but they still rushed him together. Then they were stunned. None of their attacks hurt Sudru at all. That's when they realized he had awakened an ability. Once Dharma started using lightning too, they completely lost their nerve and felt death closing in. After the boys and Aunt Maya were beaten, Chen told Millie to dig the crystals out from between their eyebrows. She froze and nervously asked if he meant her. Chen said she'd need to do this in the future anyway, so she should start getting used to it now. Migling backed him up, saying Millie needed the experience too. MC handed Millie a knife and told her to go ahead. He'd stay with her. Millie got even more nervous since both her sister and he were pushing her now. She even tried asking Dharma for help, but he refused. So in the end, Millie had to do it herself. She even threw up while doing it, but Chen said she'd get used to it, so there was nothing to worry about. After that, they all sat down for dinner, and when the beef noodles came out, Miling was shocked that noodles could be made like that. The protagonist offered some to Millie, but she turned it down and said she had no appetite. Miling was annoyed that she couldn't even eat properly at her sister's place. The next morning and afternoon, watching them eat so much only made her more frustrated and wonder how their fridge could still hold that much food. That night, Milling finally lost her patience and checked the fridge herself, then stood there stunned because it was full again. She stormed over and demanded Chen explain the food, and then Millie revealed MC's ability. Miling got mad at her sister for not telling her sooner, but she still reminded Chen that their duel was in 2 days. Deep down, Myling was already dreaming about beating him and turning him into her personal food servant. Meanwhile, the protagonist thought he needed to reach rank 4 fast to raise his combat power, so before sleeping, he decided to use the Rat King crystal, since normal level 1 zombie crystals weren't enough anymore. The moment he absorbed the Rat King's crystal, a strange pain shot through his head. Seeing that, Rice got scared and wondered if Chen was okay. A few minutes later, MC was thrilled. He had finally reached rank 4. He gave the leftover Rat King crystal to Rice, so she could level up too. Then he went to test his new power and instantly appeared in the hall. A sudden teleport scared Dharma, who started barking loudly. Chen told Dharma to relax, it was just him. Dharma was still annoyed since he'd been guarding the door when the protagonist startled him. That barking woke Myling, and she asked if MC did it on purpose just to ruin her. He laughed and told her not to think so highly of herself. Then he said they'd fight after breakfast. Myling was surprised since the full 3 days weren't up yet, so she confirmed the bet and Chen raised the stakes. From 20 meters away, he said he'd make her admit defeat in 3 seconds. If he failed, she'd be the winner. Myling was shocked and asked if he was looking down on her. She figured once the fight started, she'd never give him that chance. Then she asked what the prize was. With a strange grin, Chen said it was simple. She had to stick her butt out and let him kick it once. Myling thought that was weird, but she agreed, adding that if she won, she'd do the same to him. The scene moved outside, where they got ready to fight while the others watched. The moment it began, Myling felt confident. She was sure the protagonist couldn't beat her in 3 seconds. Then, to her surprise, MC vanished from the front, and the next instant he was behind her, locking her down with his void space. Myling realized she couldn't move at all in his grip. That was it. Myling had lost, and she knew that if Chen had a knife, she'd already be dead for sure. After that, she started thinking about the bet, but to her surprise, Chen just told her to drop it and come eat with them. He also apologized for what happened 2 days earlier, saying that if they were comrades now, they needed to understand each other. After that, they all ate together, and Myling was honestly impressed by how they treated her. He was happy too. Without any trouble, he had gained a new comrade. At the end, Chen said that once everyone finished dinner, they should gather in the living room to talk about their future plans. The protagonist explained that zombies were getting stronger, so they needed to stay together and fight as a unit. Supplies were also getting harder to find, so they had to think about how survivors were adapting. Right now, the trend was surviving in groups. Even if their team was strong, a big zombie horde could still injure them, and he didn't want that. He then brought up the problem with joining someone else's team. He wouldn't want to live under another leader. On top of that, if they joined a larger group, some men might start making dirty demands toward Millie and Myling. Myling immediately said she'd kill anyone who had thoughts like that about them. So Chen suggested making sub-teams and building their own larger team. Millie and Sudhaju thought it was a great idea and agreed. MC then said that before, people in the city center hid in bushes to avoid zombies. Based on that, he guessed there should now be a gathering place with lots of survivors somewhere in the suburbs. Myling was impressed and praised him, saying his thinking made sense and even she hadn't looked that far ahead. Hearing that, he figured she was finally convinced, and he wondered if it was time to collect what she promised. Part of him even hoped Myling would break her promise so he could kick her more than once, but he also knew doing that in front of everyone would be too much. Chen ended the meeting by saying there was no need to rush, then asked Myling to come to his room because he needed to discuss something in detail. Myling asked why, confused, and the protagonist answered that it was private. She quickly realized it was about their bet and knew she couldn't take back her word. Once in the room, Myling stood there quietly and told Chen to kick. MC stared at her and asked if she misunderstood what stick your butt out meant or if she was just bad at school. Hearing that, Myling wonders why he is taking the punishment so seriously. She pauses, then asks him about it. Chen Lu almost changes the deal, thinking maybe one kick on the butt would be enough if he doesn't go too far. But he shuts that down and asks her straight up if she's going to keep her promise or not. He's clearly getting annoyed. Myling realizes she really has to bend over and let the protagonist Luo kick her. That part sinks in fast. MC Luo is thrilled too. He never imagined the future fire fairy and war god would one day stand in front of him like this. It feels unreal. Then Chen Lu starts taking off his shoe, and Myling wonders if he's really about to kick her hard. She tenses up, then tells him not to drag it out. She'll count to 10, and if he still doesn't do it, he'll never get another chance. So now Chen Lu starts doubting himself. Kicking her there feels like the kind of move that could leave him single forever. Still, by the time her count is almost over, only 2 seconds are left, so without thinking, he smacks her butt with his hand instead. Myling turns red and asks why he used his hand. Chen Lu awkwardly apologizes, saying he forgot, and asks if he can do the kick over. That only makes Myling angrier. She storms up, pinches him hard, and warns that if he tells anyone, she'll kill him. Then he changes the topic and says he'll ask Mayu to make some of her favorite food to celebrate her joining the team. At first, Myling is still mad, but then something feels off. He shouldn't know what food she likes. She figures Myling must have told him. Soon, Myling eats happily and thanks Chen Lu for looking after Millie. He tells her not to worry, that's what he should be doing. After that, the protagonist gathers everyone and says they need to move back to his mansion for safety and easier supply runs. If they find capable survivors, they can recruit them too. The next day, while driving back, MC is thinking about Myling's training and the others' progress when he suddenly hears someone yelling for help. He finds 4 boys fighting zombies with one of them holding the line for the others. The 3 tell Fang to run, but he refuses. If they die together. Chenlu is impressed. Even after Olong was hurt by poisonous zombies, Fang still didn't abandon the other 3. Then Fang spots him and begs him to save them, promising they'll repay his kindness. The protagonist Luo tells Dharma to help them. Then the boys introduce themselves one by one. First is Fang Lu, whose power boosts his strength and body. The second says his name is Yang Xuan, and he uses ice. The third is Li Fei. His power is lightning, though it's much weaker than Dharma's. The last boy introduces himself as Xu Lan, and his ability is sand. Fang Lu explains that they all work security together. They came out for supplies and ran into poisonous zombies. Chen Lu then asks about forming a team with him as captain. Fang Lu agrees right away. MC Luo tells them to get in the truck. If they need to grab anything first, they can go do it. Otherwise, just sit in the truck. The story jumps ahead to Chen Lu's villa, where he lets Fang Lu and the others stay for now in the empty house next door. After they leave, Myling praises Fang and the others for being brave enough to fight, but Chen Luo tells Soba Haju and Myling not to relax yet. They need to watch the newcomers first just to be sure. Then he sends Myling and Miley to pick a room on the 3rd floor, and says Soba Haju and Mayu will stay on the 2nd. Next, Chen Lu asks Sudaju to come with him and check on the new neighbors. When they arrive, the protagonist Lua hears the boys talking about Dharma and how they probably couldn't beat him. So MC Lua coughs to announce himself, then asks if any of them know how to cook rice, and he hands over some food. Fang is too polite to accept, saying they still haven't repaid Chen Lua for saving them. He just smiles and tells them to take it now that they're teammates. Sharing food is normal. He also tells Sudaju to give them a communication device. Chen Lu adds that they'll be staying there a while, so they should take care of themselves and settle in. Later, Milling gets upset with the protagonist for bringing her along instead of Sudaju. She's worried about Millie being grouped with someone else if danger shows up. Suddenly, MC senses someone nearby and tells Milling to hide. Someone's coming. A girl steps out of a car, and he is stunned. It's Mutanji. He blurts out that he can't believe he forgot about her. Myling, surprised, asks if he knows the girl. Chenlu says she's the CEO and lead designer of a clothing company, famous in her field. Then he remembers something worse. Mu Qianjie is completely insane. After the apocalypse began, she and her staff built a shelter that only accepted female survivors. That part sounded fine, but the real problem was her rules. She wouldn't allow her followers to fall in love, and anyone caught was punished badly. He also remembers Mu Qianjie later became notorious for her twisted desires. In the end, she died too, and after that Myling took over and allowed male survivors to join. Thinking it over, Chen Lu is pleased. Mu Qianjie could make a useful subordinate. As he keeps staring, Mi Yetlung asks why he's looking at her like that. Before he can answer, Mu Qianjie's group notices them. One of the girls calls out asking who's hiding there. When Chen Lu looks closer, he remembers the girl's name is Shuyun. She's a very strong ice user, though in his last life she died early. Mu Qianjie walks up to Milling, introduces herself, and asks who Milling is. Then she explains that their group is made up only of girls and invites Milling to join them. The protagonist Lu is instantly irritated that Mu Qianjie is trying to steal one of his people, but Milling refuses, saying she already has a team. Mu Qianjie then asks if MC is her boyfriend. Chen Luo cuts in and says that's none of her business, then tells Myling to come on. They need to check how the others are doing. Mu Qianjie is shocked. In her eyes, he is a lustful creep, so how does a girl like Myling stay with him? She decides to show Myling his true face. So Mu Qianjie tells her group they'll stay there for the night, and starts thinking of the best way to turn Myling against Chen Lu. The story moves to night, where the protagonist Luo and Mu Qianjie talk alone. He says he didn't expect to spend the night chatting with her, and Mu Qian says she wants to work with him on something. MC tells her to explain, and Mu Qianjie says they plan to raid a shopping mall in the east for supplies. She believes zombies will be there, so she wants his help. If he joins, he can take 30% of the supplies while her group keeps 70%. Hearing that, Luo gets tense. It sounds like the same mall where he and Mealy met mutant zombies, and he already took all the supplies there, so what exactly is Mu Qian after? Because of that, Chen Luo refuses, acting like a coward and saying he doesn't dare go. Mu Qianjie gets angry, wondering how a loser like the protagonist Luo ended up with someone as beautiful as Myling. Her real plan had been to expose him in front of Myling by setting something up at the mall, but that won't work now, so she decides to get help from someone else. On the other side, Chen Lu realizes Mu Qianjie is trying to get rid of him just because he's with Myling. That makes him mad too. If she's really hostile, there's no reason to spare her, and he starts thinking about who he can send to eliminate the threat. Then he spots Dharma and decides to use him. Meanwhile, Mu Qianjie goes to someone's place, knocks and calls for Fang. When Fang comes out, he tells her not to call him brother. Mu Qianjie is annoyed, but for Myling's sake, she swallows it. She says she needs a favor, and a few minutes later, she explains the whole thing. In the end, she asks Fang to use his wind ability to draw zombies toward Chen Lu's place. Fang agrees, saying it would be an honor to help CEO Mu Qianjie get rid of trash like MC. He starts to make a demand, but before he can finish, Mutian promises he can join their group once he is gone. Fang accepts. Truth is, he was already willing to do it because of a girl named Wang Ling. He wanted to stay by her side anyway. Fang also happens to know Sujaju and thinks he might find him at the mansion since Sujaju worked there as a bodyguard. That matters. In the next scene, Fang leads a group of zombies toward the mansion. But he's shocked to see Sujaju standing there too, along with a dog and a boy. Dharma moves to attack, but Chen Lua tells him to wait. Fang asks Sujaju why he's at the mansion. Right then, Fang realizes Mutian Jie never told him his friend was inside, and he can't let his friends get hurt just to join some girls' team, so he turns around and draws the zombies away instead. Seeing Fang, the protagonist Lua remembers he used to be one of their friends, and once helped lure zombies away so they could grab supplies, and in Chen Lua's last life, Fang died badly after being bitten by too many zombies. Fang comes back and apologizes for leading the zombies there. Saju says he knows Fang wouldn't do that on purpose to hurt him. Then MC asks if Mutian Jie was the one who told him to bring zombies to the mansion. Fang freezes and asks how he knew. Then it hits him. The trash Mutian Jie talked about was him. The protagonist asks Fang if Mutian said anything else. Nervous. Fang says no, only the two of them were there, and she just mentioned showing up at a key moment. Then Chen spots Mutian arriving on a bus with her team. Right then the noise draws a level 5 zombie and it mutates as it charges at them. Behind them, Mutian is still assuming Fang brought the zombies in. She had really come to take Muling back, so she orders everyone to prepare as the zombies rush in and the fight begins. Then the zombies start firing fireballs, which terrifies the girls. Mutian panics and tells everyone to get off the bus fast. The fuel tank is full. Even though she can't understand why these zombies are so strong, she still orders a group attack. So Mutian swings her sword, but the zombie dodges and sprints straight at her. That instantly scares her, and without thinking, she yanks one of her own teammates in front of her like a shield. Chen is stunned by that. At that point, he decides Mutian has to die, and he wants the mutant crystal too. Meanwhile, the other girls are horrified to see Mutian using her own people to block an attack. They can barely believe it. Cornered, Mutian suddenly decides she can use Chen to block the zombie, so she runs toward him, but MC meets her with a furious punch and blasts her back, calling her out for treating her comrades like a shield. Mutian is shocked by how strong he is, but it's already too late. The zombie hits her. Shijun tells the girls to run and says she'll hold it off for them. That earns Chen's respect, and he decides to save her because that kind of bravery is rare. So Chen steps in, clashes with the mutant zombie, and cuts it apart in a single strike. Everyone is left stunned. The zombie went down in one slash. Then the protagonist tells Shijun to throw the gas tank away already, instead of standing there with it. And the second she tosses it aside, the tank explodes into the air. After being saved, Shiyun breaks down crying, relieved that the battle is finally over. Meanwhile, Chen pulls the crystals from the zombie's head and walks over to Shiyun, telling her to stop struggling since he'll help her up. He also tells her to comfort the others. The dead still need to be buried. Shiyun is moved and thanks Chen for the help. Then MC asks what they plan to do now. At that, Shiyun realizes he's right. They need a plan, because the survivors still have to keep living. Later, Shiyun comes to Chen's room and asks if he's inside. That makes him happy, since he'd been waiting for her. It looks like offering 50 tons of rice to bring her over wasn't for nothing. Back at the fight, he had told Shiyun that if her group joined him, he could make sure they wouldn't starve for a while. She asked for time to talk it over with her sisters, then said she'd come back with an answer. Now she returns and says their remaining 20 people want to join. The protagonist agrees, but says they must follow his rules. First, everyone obeys his orders at all times. Anyone who refuses will be dealt with harshly. The main? Second, he won't treat men and women differently. Everyone fights under the same rules. For the third rule, Chen says that if anyone wants a partner, it has to be someone from inside the team. No outsiders unless marriage brings them fully into the group. When they ask why, MC says he won't let his people get taken away, and he especially won't allow creeps to target the girls. Jinyun and the others agree with it. He thanks them for joining and says he has a surprise waiting. A little later, the girls are stunned by how many supplies he has. Some even cry with relief. Yuan, the protagonist, and the other boy figure their chances of getting girlfriends just went way up. There are only 7 guys and more than 20 girls. Feng asks the protagonist if he can join too. After that, MC records everyone's powers. In total, there are 6 physical types, 4 fire, 2 lightning, 4 ice, 2 earth, and 1 each with light and nature. When he hears about the light user, he realizes it's Wang Ling, the girl Feng likes. He decides to keep an eye on Wang, and he also sees that Shiyun has the potential to reach king rank. The protagonist tells Feng Yu and Shulin to guard the house while he trains the team. If one person shows up, beat him. If it's a group, wait for the protagonist to return. Sometime later, everyone heads to the training area by bus and truck. Chen picked that spot on purpose because it only had around 300 to 400 zombies, which made it perfect for training. He tells Feng to lure them in, but no more than 30 at a time. Once Feng brings the zombies over, Su Deju asks the others if he can lead the charge against the zombies. Meling takes command of the magic users and tells them to attack, but training is messy, some can't even strike, while others fight over the same target. A few even start crying mid-battle. That puts Chen on edge. The girl's combat skill is still terrible, and if not for his men, they would have been wiped out by now. After 2 hours, training ends, and MC still praises them for doing well on their first try. Then he tells everyone to hurry and pick clothes that fit them. While they do that, he secretly takes a black cloth and stores it in his void. Myling notices him collecting black clothes. At first, she thinks he has weird taste, but then she starts wondering who it's for, maybe even her. That guess only makes her more annoyed, since black doesn't suit her sister anyway. A girl calls the others over after finding a pile of supplies. Everyone is thrilled when they see bottled water, but Javyun tells them to wait and asks Chen how it should be handed out. He says to give 2 bottles each. Watching all this, Millie starts wondering if staying with the protagonist is the best thing that ever happened to them. Since joining him, she's never gone hungry and has always been protected by him. She'd been keeping something in her heart, and that night she decides to tell Chen. Later that night, MC is playing a game when Millie quietly comes in. Seeing her at his door that late, he instantly starts getting the wrong idea. Millie tells him she knows how lucky she is to have him, which leaves the protagonist confused. Then she admits there's something she's wanted to say for a long time. Seeing her blush, MC starts reading into it. But before he can guess any further, Millie directly asks if he'll be her boyfriend. Chen lights up, moves close, and eases her onto the bed, saying of course he's been waiting for this. Then he kisses her cheek, which makes her tense up as she admits she's not ready for more yet. He says there may never be a perfect time. In a world like this, nobody knows what tomorrow brings. He's already died once. Then he kisses her forehead and asks if they'd really want to leave things unsaid like this. Millie understands what he means and decides to accept it, reaching out and holding on to Chen. But the protagonist notices Rice is still in the room, so he tosses her outside. Rice gets mad and starts clawing at the door. A little later, Myling finds Rice in the living room and asks why she isn't with MC. Rice says MC is bullying Millie, and because Rice looked upset for Millie's sake, he threw her out. Hearing that, Myling wonders what kind of bullying is going on and heads over to check. Dharma tries to stop her, but when Myling knocks, she hears her sister moaning inside. Then she understands what's happening and backs off. If Millie wants this, interfering would only make things worse. The next morning, Chen is in such a good mood that he tells Mayu to give every team member 20 kilos of pork. Mayu asks where Millie is, since she usually wakes up early in the morning. Myling says it's all because of someone, and the protagonist immediately realizes she knows what happened last night. Major starts wondering how MC is going to deal with Milling. Chen also notices Rice sitting there quietly, angry and refusing to eat, so he asks what's wrong. Rice says if she's mad, then it's serious. He laughs and asks how serious. Rice says 1 dried fish won't be enough to fix it. So the protagonist offers 10, then 20 dried fish. At 20, Rice finally forgives him. Then he tells Rice to sleep by herself from now on because she's grown up. Deep down though, MC really means he has a woman now, so he can't keep sleeping with Rice. After that, everyone eats dinner together. Everyone was having dinner all together. While dinner is going on, a car pulls up outside Chen's villa, drawn in by the smell of the food. A girl named Li Hui wants to eat right away, but Li Ming tells her to wait. They need to solve the water problem first. Then Li Ming heads inside and asks if they have water to trade for food. Chen agrees to the trade and tells Shu Yun to bring out 2 bottles of water. After the trade, Li Ming tried to pull Li Hui away, but she stopped and asked him if his group was a team and if they were still taking new people. The protagonist Luo told her that if they wanted in, they had to prove themselves first. He told them to kill 10 zombies, bring back the crystals, and then come see him again. Li Hui was glad to hear it since that was something they could actually do. MC was willing to give them a shot too. They were siblings and they didn't seem like useless people. Once they left the villa, Li Hui said she thought only they knew about crystals, but now it clearly wasn't a secret. Li Ming replied that plenty of smart people were still out there, and the fact that Chen Lu could feed a whole team meat showed he wasn't ordinary. So Li Ming decided they wouldn't just kill 10 zombies, they'd kill 20 to prove their value. An hour later, they returned with the crystals. He praised them, then asked what their powers were. Then Li Yering introduced them both. His own ability boosted his body, while Li Hui's power was like a magician's. Chen Lu asked what kind of magic she had, so Li Hui gave him a quick show. That got the protagonist Luo's attention. Her power had a dark element, which meant it could become curses, undead summons, or direct attacks later on. It would be a big help to the team. So MC told Meiyu to make braised pork for Li Ming and Li Hui. That night, Chen Luo waited for Millie to finish absorbing the crystals, hoping they could spend some time together after. He told Rice to go sleep with Millie because he had things to do. Rice proudly said she was a good cat so he could handle his work and she'd stay quiet. At that, he quickly left, leaving Rice confused about why he suddenly didn't want her around at night. Then he went to Millie's room and gently brought up doing it again that night. Millie hid under the blanket and said she couldn't, she was still sore. Chen Lu accepted that and just held her as they went to sleep. Then he remembered her healing power and suggested she try using it on herself. Millie blushed and got even more nervous. The next morning, everyone headed out in the bus. The protagonist, Lu, explained that their target was the Yulin community in the south where they'd gather supplies. Since the place would be packed with zombies, everyone had to stay alert. He told them not to panic. First, they'd use the vehicles to deal with the zombies chasing them. When they arrived, there were zombies all over the road, so Chen Lu had the elemental users attack while the others protected them. He also told Fang to draw part of the horde away. After that, Shu took command of the assault, and the fight began. Seeing their attacks land much better this time, MC was pleased. Su and the other boys stacked stones nearby to build a barrier. Meanwhile, he took a short break with Rice, and out of nowhere, Rice repeated Millie's words. That left Chen Lu stunned. He asked where she heard that, and Rice admitted she had sneaked over to listen last night, through the balcony. The protagonist Lu warned her to be careful. She knew too much now, and he might have to kill her for it. That made Rice both scared and tense. Half an hour later, once the outside was cleared, Chen Lu told everyone to grab weapons and get ready to fight inside. Millie guessed it used to be a restaurant, so there should be plenty of good supplies. MC agreed and reminded everyone they were split into 4 groups and not to move alone. Bit by bit, they loaded the truck with rice, noodles, oil, and meat. Then a girl ran over and told him Luo there was a supermarket that hadn't been touched. When Millie entered the supermarket, she started looking for something. Shu noticed Millie hiding something, so she went to check and saw Millie putting away protection. That made Shu wonder if Millie and Chen Lu were already in that kind of relationship. Millie tried to explain that Shu had it wrong, but before she could say much, Shu left, saying someone was calling her. After that, Millie felt horribly embarrassed. If not for the protagonist, none of this would have happened, and she got mad at him again. At the same time, MC Luo felt eyes on him. Looking up, he noticed a bunch of people hiding in the hotel. A woman upstairs called down, saying she knew he was a kind young man, and since she hadn't had watermelon in forever, could he bring her some? Then more people started shouting down requests for all kinds of things. Chen Luo was speechless at how shameless they were. Luo answered that his legs were bad, so he couldn't climb the stairs, and because of that, he wouldn't be giving them anything. That set them off. They decided to come down, kill the protagonist Luo's group, and take all the supplies, including the truck. Then someone suggested calling MC Guang's group, but Lioli refused, saying MC Guang was their enemy. Instead, they demanded he leave behind all the supplies he had been taking. The protagonist Luo shot back that this wasn't their home, so they had no right to order him around. Lioli yelled that it was his brother's supermarket, which made it his too. They even tried to take the truck. Chen Lu told them to get lost and stop asking for trouble, but they still wouldn't back off. Lioli even walked right up to MC and dared him to hit him. He was ready to play dead and act like the victim. Chen Lu got tired of hearing it, so he slapped him and said he'd grant his wish. One hit was enough to kill Lioli, but the people in the hotel still thought he was just putting on a show. He laughed at them and asked his teammates what they were waiting for. These people wanted to steal their supplies, so they should just wipe them out. Only then did the hotel crowd realize Lioli was actually dead, and they tried to bluff by saying they knew magic. But the second Fang and the others moved in, the whole hotel group ran. Soon after, a young man arrived with 2 others. Chen Lua recognized his face after a moment. It was the protagonist Guang, someone who used to look down on him when he was weak. MC Guang laughed and said those old fools were just his neighbors, so he had shown them some respect. He never expected them to die at his hands. He asked if he came to avenge them. The protagonist Guang told him not to get the wrong idea. They were here to make friends and ask a favor. MC asked what kind of help he wanted. He explained that there were lots of supplies in the neighborhood, but 2 days ago a husky turned into a zombie. It stayed hidden when they moved in groups, then attacked whenever someone was alone. Since the protagonist had so many people, the protagonist wanted to team up and kill it. MC asked what the reward would be. Chen Guang offered 300 caddies of rice and 5 barrels of water. Rice came over and told him not to worry. She could tell they didn't mean any harm. The protagonist Lu agreed. He told MC Guang to lead the way, and had Dharma come with him. He also ordered the others to guard the supplies while he went and came back soon. Guang was shocked that he was really going with so few people. He just asked if he couldn't see the dog right behind him. The protagonist Guang couldn't help noticing how well the protagonist Luo was living, and that so many girls were around him. Millie walked up and asked if she could come too and help. Seeing that, MC could only think that he was still single while MC already had a dog, a cat, and even a wife. As they moved on, he asked if he had any plan for dealing with the zombie husky. The protagonist Luo said he'd use a dog to handle a dog. That shocked MC Guang. He asked if MC Luo really meant to send his own dog in, and whether he had some grudge against it. MC Luo told him to relax. Everything would be fine. A little farther in, they caught a heavy smell of blood. Then Dharma spotted the zombie husky ahead. Chen Luo immediately told Dharma to charge. As the husky attacked, he used his speed to dodge, then dropped it with a lightning strike. Guang and his men were stunned by how fast he moved. Even the protagonist was impressed that Dharma had picked up new skills without being taught. Then after beating the husky, MC Luo told Guang to hand over the promised supplies. Guang was still shocked by that speed. Then he asked the protagonist Luo if they could join forces. His own team had killed more than 10 zombies already, and they had enough food for over half a month. But the protagonist Luo had no interest in sharing command, so he said MC Guang's group wasn't good enough for an equal alliance. He could wipe them all out by himself. MC Guang answered that this was exactly why he wanted to join him. Weak people naturally follow the strong. He said they could join, but only if everyone obeyed him. Before the protagonist Guang could answer, one of his men rushed over and said their teammate Zhang Liang had been hurt by a zombie that could shoot fireballs. The protagonist Guang ran off to check on him. MC told Millie to come with him and look at the injury too. When they reached them, he asked him if there was any way to save Liang. The protagonist Luo turned to Millie and told her to handle it. Then Millie used her power and healed Liang. On the way back, MC Luo told MC Guang to think about his offer. So he talked it over with his people. They wanted to join him, and since his condition was simple, that they treat him as captain and follow his orders, they agreed one by one. After that, they told the protagonist Luo they were ready to follow him. He made it clear one more time, if they joined, they had to obey him and fight zombies. Then MC asked if they were fine staying at his place. Now that they were one team, MC and the others agreed. The story then moves on. Near Chenlad's villa, a group of boys was beating someone for blocking their way inside. They were trying to force their way into the villa. Their real goal was to search the place for supplies. A little later, Wei and his group got close to the villa. Shulan asked Fang what they should do since there were too many people, and a direct fight would end badly. Then Lu suggested pretending they hadn't seen them, but Fang Yu refused. They couldn't just watch others loot the place, so Fang Yu said they should warn the survivors coming back. If things turned into a fight, they could still run. Luckily, Zhen Lu spotted Chenlad's bus coming back, so they no longer had to worry. With that, they went to confront Wei's group at the villa. Meanwhile, Hilek noticed a lot of vehicles ahead that told him many survivors had gathered there, but when he got to the villa, he was surprised to see them right at his gate. Once Chenlu and the others arrived, he saw a crowd there, including many girls. The moment he looked at them, he recognized old enemies from his past life, Fan Wei and the protagonist Lu Jing. Harry saw the truck and asked MC's group to share their supplies with them. Instead, Wei suddenly slapped Harry. He snapped at him, asking who he thought he was and why they should hand over supplies they earned through hard work. Wei actually had his eyes on the girls, so he quickly switched tones and apologized to Chenlu's group. Then he told his own men to back off and leave the villa. Slua remembered that Wei had a poison-type power which made him a real threat. Rice nervously came over and said she felt strange, like those people were aiming hostile intent at her. At the same time, Harry complained that Wei had come back empty-handed. Wei slapped him again and said a direct attack would be tough, so they'd strike at midnight instead. Harry happily said he understood, but that smile vanished at once when his head suddenly exploded from an attack. So it was Chen Lu. Right after that, he told his team to finish the rest. He said he already knew they meant harm, and waiting for them to attack first would be stupid of him. That night, the protagonist thought about the next day. Some zombies would evolve to rank 1, so he needed the protagonist Guang and the others to bring back as many supplies as possible. Then someone knocked on his door. He figured it had to be Mealy, since only Mealy and Myling lived on his floor. But when he opened it, he was surprised. It was Myling. Without a word, Myling handed him a bag full of protection. Chenlo stared at it in shock. Myling asked why he looked so surprised, saying she used to do the same for Miley when she was younger and had free time. She also told him that if he was ready to become a father, then he could stop using protection. After that, she ran off. Once she was gone, Chenlu thought he shouldn't waste Myling's effort, so he headed to Miley's room for some romance. The next morning, everyone gathered for a meeting. Miley Lu said they had all noticed zombies seemed to be using magic now, and everyone agreed, so he said he was about to share some important information. He explained that rank 1 zombies would have powers like theirs. To fight them, the best team setup was 4 people, 2 close-range fighters and 2 mage types, so they could battle directly or escape if they ran into a horde of zombies. Next, he said he'd show them how to dodge attacks and asked Shu and Myling to attack him. The 2 girls struck together, but to everyone's shock, he dodged both with ease. Chenlu explained that once you actually see a spell coming, it's already too late. To dodge it, you have to read the attacker's movement first and guess the path of the spell. Using that trick, rank 1 zombies could be handled. Myling then asked him to dodge one more attack, but this time, she said he wouldn't escape it, because she had already predicted where he would move while dodging. Chenlu appraised her, and deep down he was sure she really was a fire fairy. Then he told everyone not to panic. Zombies weren't smart enough to predict like that, but if anyone ever met a zombie that could, they should run immediately. He ordered everyone to split into groups and practice, because they would head out after lunch. By evening, Chenlu gave them a task. Each team had to bring back 3 rank 1 crystals. Any team that failed would lose dinner. On the way, he knew that as more zombies evolved, survivors would start killing each other. Then he and Myling noticed some men threatening a girl and her father. Mealy recognized the girl as her classmate, her best friend, and asked the protagonist if they could help. MC said that if she really was Mealy's best friend, then of course they would step in. He only had to call Dharma's name, and Dharma understood at once and rushed the men. Seeing Dharma, the boys got excited and talked about eating dog meat for dinner. But before they could do anything, Miling and Sudhaju hit them with a sneak attack. The other side rushed in too, and a full fight broke out. In the chaos, Yan Li was killed. Furious, Chen Lu's group cut down 3 or 4 of the men responsible. Then their boss, Lu Yuan, showed up. He said the ones who started it were already dead and he had also killed one of his people, so the matter should end there. He refused. Killing Yan Li wasn't something they could pay back that easily. In his eyes, they all deserved to die. Lu Yuan told the protagonist to be reasonable, but the protagonist still wouldn't back down. Lu Yuan said he had never seen anyone as arrogant as MC. He then asked if he really wanted to fight people who had already killed zombies. His group started to head back before it got too late. At that moment, the protagonist Lu Yuan realized that if he wanted to keep his subordinates in line, he needed to show his strength. He hadn't fought in front of the new members yet, so he told everyone else to go back. He would handle this alone. Lu Yuan was stunned, thinking MC wanted to die. Then Chen Luyu struck at Lu Yuan with his void sword. Lu Yuan panicked and tried to fight back with his sand power, but he was too slow. One slash was enough to kill him. The rest of Lu Yuan's team was left frozen in shock and fear. Chen Lu was pleased too, because Millie had boosted him with her ability. One by one, Lu Guang and the others were stunned by his strength. Even the new subordinate Feng felt relieved he had chosen not to oppose him. Millie told everyone not to leave any danger behind, so they joined the protagonist and wiped out the remaining people. After it was over, MC praised MC's strength and courage. MC said it was nothing. He felt bad about Yan Li's death, but his real goal was also to toughen everyone up through real fights. And no matter what, anyone who bullied his teammates would pay. Then he told everyone to gather the supplies, and since it was getting late, whoever could cook should head back and start dinner. Sometime later at the villa, two boys named Miao Hui and Sita came looking for supplies. The moment they saw Dharma, they were stunned. They started thinking about catching him and turning him into dog meat for dinner. Sita immediately moved to attack, but Miao Hui stopped him. He said they couldn't catch a dog that fast, so they needed to lure him. Then Miao Hui came up with a disgusting idea. He wanted to use his own crap as bait because he thought dogs liked to eat it. It was completely ridiculous. That was enough to break Dharma's patience. He had ignored them up till then, but hearing that filthy plan made him snap, and he struck them down with lightning. When they saw the attack, both tried to run, but it was too late, and in the end they died. He came over and asked Dharma what happened. When Dharma said the intruders were both shit, he was left speechless. That got the protagonist Luo thinking. If he ever ran into a team of 100, numbers alone could crush his group, and he couldn't protect everyone. With his current people, he didn't even know how many would still be alive in 2 or 3 months. Since he had plenty of supplies, he decided to recruit more people and put up a notice outside the villa. Sometime later, a recruitment board was set up, and MC Luo Guang sat there to speak with survivors who came by. Soon, a group of boys in a car noticed the sign, stopped, and started talking it over. Then Luo Qi asked Wang Chao what he thought. Wang Chao said they should join, but only he and Luo Qi met the requirements. The others were just level 1, so they went to ask whether family members could come too. When they asked Chen Luo Guang, he apologized and said only blood relatives were allowed. Otherwise, a level 1 survivor could still join by paying 3 level 1 crystals. Lu Qi then said he was a healer, hoping that would count as an exception. Chen Luo Guang was impressed since healing was rare. He said it might be possible, but they would have to obey their captain's orders. So they went to meet him, and he told him some people wanted to join. And one of them was a healer named Lu Qi. The name rings a bell for the protagonist. He remembers hearing it in his past life. Lu Qi later became a famous healer. Rice assured Chen they meant no harm, so he let them stay and told Guang to show them their rooms. That night, MC sat in his room feeling lucky. He had just recruited a well-known level 2 healer without even trying. Then he took out a crystal and figured that if nothing went wrong, reaching level 5 should be easy. At rank 5, he could cut through big groups of zombies without getting hurt. Even a level 1 zombie wouldn't be able to injure him. After absorbing the crystal, Chen really did break through to rank 5. Reaching it in less than a month made him happy, but he knew this was only the start. Without special chances, it would still be hard for him to grow. Still, he pushed that thought aside. For now, he wanted to celebrate with Millie, so he told Rice he was going to spend the night with Millie. Rice got annoyed once again. She had to sleep alone. The next day, Chen announced a group mission. This time he was going too, and their target was the vegetable market on Xingfu Road. He told Gran to stay behind with his people, and Dharma King to protect the home. After that, the team left the villa. On the way, he explained that the market had cold storage, grain and oil plus farm goods. Since it used to be crowded, there would also be a lot of zombies, so they needed to work in teams. He added that once spells were used together, timing and position got tricky. Their usual 4-person setup wouldn't work well, so they had to move carefully. Then he told Feng to draw the zombies out so everyone else could kill them one at a time. Millie even begged Feng to lend a hand. Feng started pulling the zombies in. Chen reminded them that if they stayed about 20 meters from the zombies, they wouldn't get hurt. He said they should use that trick anytime they faced a bigger group. But if the numbers got too crazy, run. Otherwise, their deaths were on them. With that, everyone began clearing a path to the market entrance. An hour later, the protagonist counted around 100 zombies down. Then he decided to head lower and lure more out. He also remembered hearing in his past life that this market held a sand-type mutated zombie with combat power around level 4 or 5. So he already knew where that zombie liked to hide. All of a sudden, Chen sensed something rushing at him fast. When he turned and saw what it was, he was actually glad they had found that zombie much sooner than expected. MC used his void space, slipped behind the zombie, and cut its head off in one strike. After that, he pulled the crystal from its body. Everyone stared in shock after Chen killed the mutated zombie so easily, but their surprise only grew when he suddenly ran and yelled for them to run too. He did it because a zombie horde was rushing straight at them. While they ran, Chen told them to ready their spells, turn and fire with rough aim, then keep running. Somehow it worked. In a short time, they wiped out 200 zombies, and the group started feeling like together they could beat any kind of zombie. But the protagonist warned them that only worked if they could keep up with how fast the zombies were evolving. The others were still celebrating, so Chen snapped at them to quit staring around and load the supplies into the truck. Meanwhile, MC guessed the cold storage had been out too long, so the meat inside would probably be bad. Even so, his void could hold it for now, and later he could refresh it there. 2 hours later, he was heading back to the villa, but someone named Long spotted their bus and stepped in front of it to stop them. Chen told the guy to move aside and stop blocking the road. Then the protagonist noticed another boy riding toward them on a bike. When he took off his helmet, MC was surprised. It was Xia. In the future, Xia would become known as the Invincible Iron Fist. Xia had come to talk to Long. He asked if the rumor was true that Long had a live chicken. If so, could he have one? His mother didn't have long left, and before she died, she wanted one bowl of chicken soup. Xia even said he'd give his life in return. Long refused, and his men mocked Xia, acting like he wanted to be fed forever. Hearing that, Chen lit up. To him, this was a great deal to make. He walked over to Xia and said he had chicken. Since he was a chef, he could grant that wish if Xia was serious about giving his life to him. Xia agreed right away, but said the chicken had to be good quality. Chen then told Sudhaju and Millie to swap vehicles with Xia and go help bring his mother to the villa. Until then, he would ride the bike. When they reached Xia's house, Chen realized Xia's mother had cancer. That hit hard, especially since Millie's power couldn't heal her. The protagonist told Xia he'd prepare the chicken soup as soon as they got back. At the villa, MC asked Shuyun to get a room ready for Xia and his mother and take care of her personally. Meanwhile, he went to find someone to cook the chicken soup. He found Meiju and asked her to make the best chicken soup she could, then listed the ingredients she would need. Meiju got offended and asked if he thought her food wasn't good. Chen quickly explained that he meant it had to be better than ever. Meiju said it would take 3 hours, so he asked for extra dishes to be made too. He figured Xia's mother might want one last meal with her son. 3 hours later, several chicken dishes were set in front of Xia's mother. She thanked Chen and cried with joy. Xia's mother told the protagonist she knew he was a good person and asked her son to cherish that and never betray him. Then mother and son shared a tearful moment. Chen quietly stepped out of the room. A while later, Xia came to him and said sadly that his mother had passed away, but at least she didn't have to suffer anymore. He also told Chen to watch what he could do from now on. MC started thinking that with Xia's talent, becoming the Invincible Iron Fist was only a matter of time. Then he realized the team was getting stronger fast, which meant it was time to manage them better. He decided to create rewards, punishments, and a clear rank system to motivate everyone. He remembered how gathering camps did it before. Leader, deputy leader, elder, elite, regular member, and new member. And there would also be special slots for people like Sudhaju and Millie. He decided anyone who reached level 3 would become elite. Everyone else would be regular members, and new people could earn promotions through their actions. Later, points could be traded for supplies. Since points would come from performance, every rank would depend on merit. The next day, Chen told everyone the point system was starting. Any elite member with leadership skill could become a captain and lead a small squad. For now, Xu Yun would lead the women's team, while Fang Yu and Guang would serve as temporary captains for the men. He said the new system was now in place, and anyone who performed well could live well too. Hearing that, everyone got fired up and wanted to kill more zombies to earn a better life. Elsewhere, another group was heading toward Chen's villa area. A man in a car named Zhao asked a boy what was going on, and why there weren't any zombies around. The boy said a team near the villas had wiped them out, they were strong fighters, and they even ate meat for dinner. That shocked Zhao. He turned to his companion Jin Tao and asked if they should go check it out, maybe even make friends with them. Jin Tao agreed, hoping they might get some meat. On the way, he told Zhao he remembered that before the world ended, a rich man named Chen, the main shareholder in his company, had asked for $300 million. Soon they noticed a barricade in front of the villas. Zhao asked what money even meant. Now, Jin Tao started thinking Chen might have died long ago. Back at the villa, Lan was standing outside on guard. Seeing such a large group approach, he got nervous and called the protagonist for help, saying a lot of people were coming toward the villa. As soon as MC came out, Zhao and Jin Tao were stunned to see him alive. Chen tensed up too when he realized who they were, his creditors, and wondered what they wanted. After greeting each other, Zhao asked if he was in charge of the villa. He said yes, so Zhao brought up the loan and said it had grown to 330 million with interest, though he was still willing to accept the original 300 million. The protagonist just smiled, wondering why Zhao thought he'd pay anything back. Then he said the debt had already been paid. If Zhao never got the message, that was probably because of the broken network, not Chen or his bank account. From the back, Jintao yells at MC Luo for trying to trick them over such a huge debt. He just smiles and tells Jintao to bring proof that the money was never paid. He already knows they can't. Then the protagonist says they actually helped him before, so as thanks he can give them a ton of rice. Jahai says the protagonist is clearly lying, but he'll still give him a chance if he hands over some meat. Jahai quickly raises the price and demands 15 tons. Jintao cuts in. If MC doesn't have that much, he can pay with the girl behind him. That makes Chen Luo snap, and he coldly asks what they'll do if he refuses it. Jahai sees how tense things are and realizes his confidence comes from real strength, so acting reckless would be stupid. So Jahai backs down and says he doesn't want the meat anymore. Jintao instantly blows up and demands to know what he was doing. Chen Lu is pleased and tells Jintao Hai to leave safely before anything bad happens. Zhao Hai made that choice because he could tell Jintao only wanted the women behind the protagonist. He also wanted to test the protagonist's strength first, so for now he chose to leave. Jintao, still furious, challenges MC Lua and his group. He gives everyone else one warning. If they don't want to die with him, they should stand with Zhao Hai. Jintao is stunned when the others really do step back with Zhao Hai, so he activates his power and summons skeletons. Chen Lo is a little impressed. Jintao has dark element abilities, but it's a shame he isn't going to live. Jintao laughs, thinking they're all seeing this for the first time, and shouts that they'll be dragged down to hell. The protagonist Lo orders his people to fight, 5 points for each enemy, and 100 points if they capture Jintao alive. Right then, Dharma runs over barking. Chen Lu asks Rice to translate. Rice says Dharma wants a point system for dogs too, or he'll sue for dog discrimination. MC gets annoyed and asks when he ever stopped feeding Dharma meat. Then he tells him fine, he'll get points just like everyone else. Dharma is thrilled and jumps right into the fight. He tears through enemies already dreaming of 20 points and becoming an elder. Hilubo unleashes a lightning attack and wipes out a huge number at once. Till then, Myling tells everyone to ready their spells so the enemies can't rush. Dharma keeps dropping enemies with pure speed, leaving Jintao shocked and Chen Luo annoyed, since this was supposed to train his people, but the dog is stealing the whole battle. Then Dharma charges straight at Jintao. Terrified, he begs the dog to stop and squeezes his eyes shut, but nothing hits him. When Jintao looks again, he's horrified to see Dharma peeing right in front of him. Dharma is marking him as his points, then runs off to keep killing enemies while thinking about points. On the other side, Chen Luo feels embarrassed and wonders if Dharma really had to do that in front of everyone like that. Jintao completely breaks down and grabs the protagonist's leg, begging to be spared. Meanwhile, Zhao Hai feels lucky he didn't push MC any further. Chen Lu tells Jintao he won't kill him. Secretly, he's pleased, because Jintao's summons can help farm crystals. The issue is that only level 3 summons have crystals, so Jintao needs to be pushed up to level 4 first. Relieved to be alive, Jintao quickly asks what he wants him to do. The protagonist Lu says he has high hopes for him, then tells the protagonist Guang to lock Jintao in a room and treat him as a new member. After that, Zhao Hai comes over and apologizes for offending MC again and again and offers him a gun as a gift to make up for it. Chen Lumo knows a gun means nothing to him, now that he's rank 5, so he uses it to shock Zhao Hai. He fires the gun, and Zhao Hai freezes in surprise at it. Then he realizes he sent the bullet away with a void space. After seeing that, Zhao Hai finally understands Chen Lu is on a completely different level. Compared to him, Zhao Hai is nothing, so he'd better stay careful. Nervously, Zhao Hai shakes the protagonist's hand and admits his view of him has totally changed. The protagonist says they can work together later, as long as Zhao Hai doesn't have bad intentions. Then MC asks Zhao Hai's people if any of them have dark earth, natural, or even auxiliary type abilities. Anyone interested in joining can step forward. He glances at Lenghim, expecting him to speak up and protect his image as a leader. The protagonist Lu understands right away, steps forward and tells everyone they get 3 meals a day and even meat sometimes, but joining depends on their strength. That excites a lot of people, and they start sharing their powers while asking to be accepted. Chen Lu then asks Zhao Hai if he has any issue with it, and Zhao Hai quickly says no, still scared of MC's power. Now everyone grows serious and begins reporting their abilities and levels, hoping they qualify. Chen Lu says the test is simple, kill 10 zombies, and bring back the crystals as proof. Do that and they can join. Hearing that, everyone happily heads out to hunt zombies. Before leaving, Zhao Hai tells him he can find him at Jinlong Garden, and says he hopes he will help him sometime in the future. That night, Myling says the new recruits seem strong, so why not let them clear the nearby zombies too? According to her count, they should be able to wipe them all out before the zombies evolve. Chen Lo says many survivors still don't want to fight, and if a huge group runs into a mutant zombie, they could all be wiped out. But inside, he knows that's only half the truth. He actually wants the zombies to mutate, because stronger crystals are the only way for them to evolve too. Without that, they'd just be waiting to die when the real monsters show up. The next morning, Chen Lu warns everyone to stay alert because the zombies are getting smarter. He says this because he knows they're about to level up. After they were gone, the protagonist Luo thinks that death and injuries are part of survival. If people don't fight enough and build real battle sense, they'll die sooner or later. Then Rice suddenly tells MC Luo she has a bad feeling. Miling is going to get hurt, though not badly enough to die. Luo remembers Muling, Maizlu, Sudaju, and Dharma are together, so normally there shouldn't be any chance of injury. Tense now, Chenlu asks Rice if it's life-threatening, and Rice says no. Then the protagonist Luo starts wondering if he should go after them, but he quickly stops himself. If he rescues them every time, they won't grow, and even if Muling reaches king level, she still won't become the spirit flame fairy that way. He pats Rice and praises her for being an amazing cat while thinking that only level 10 spiritual users can sense danger ahead of time. That means Rice has reached something close to that, so Chenlu decides to feed her better crystals and help her level faster. The scene shifts to Miling's group fighting zombies. Miling says that before, one punch was enough to kill them. But now level 2 zombies are clearly tougher, which should mean their crystals are better than level 1. Sudaju says he doesn't feel a huge difference between them. After the fight, Miling says they made a pretty good haul today. But danger is already nearby. A mutant zombie is watching them from a distance. It realizes these humans are nothing like the ones it used to eat. So instead of charging in, it sends other zombies to swarm them first. Dharma senses more zombies coming and warns the group with loud barking. Miyaja tells everyone not to panic, and Miling and Sudaju decide to deal with the zombies one by one. They try, but the numbers are overwhelming, so Miling pulls back for a moment to catch her breath. Then the mutant zombie uses its power to speed up the zombies. Seeing them suddenly move so fast, the group gets alarmed and wonders what changed. So now Miling and the others have no choice but to stand and fight. They started fighting, but the mutant zombie avoids Mage and sneaks around, planning to strike from behind. Miling spots it just in time and jumps in front of Mage to protect her. The mutant zombie scratches Miling's arm, but she doesn't hesitate and attacks right back. So the mutant zombie decides to run, realizing it's no longer safe. So Taju tells Miling to handle the normal zombies while he holds off the mutant until they can finish it together. Mead gets ready to buff Sotaju too. When Dharma comes back, he hears them yelling and freezes for a second, confused about what happened after being gone such a short while. The moment he sees the mutant zombie, he rushes in, thinking that if anything happens to those three, Chenlu will turn him into dog meat. Dharma's attack pulls the mutant zombie's focus, giving Sudaju a chance to strike, but even a slash to the head isn't enough to kill it, so Dharma keeps chasing and mauling the mutant zombie while it tries to escape. He knocks it to the ground, and then the whole group attacks together to finish it off. After they finished the mutant zombie, everyone was worn out, so Miling called off the search for the day. Dharma, though, was thrilled to get a pink crystal from the mutant zombie. Later, Dharma took the crystal to Chenlu and asked Rice how many points it was worth. MC Lua checked the pink crystal, saw it was level 4, and said Dharma would get 100 points for it. That instantly made Dharma happy, but the mood changed fast when he told Rice to absorb it and reach level 4. Dharma exploded, asking why the crystal he fought so hard for was being handed to a cat. Chenlua calmly told him it was his choice. Turn in the crystal and get the points, or keep the crystal and lose the points. Dharma quickly said he didn't need the crystal, only the points. The protagonist just smiled. Handling Dharma was easy for him. He wanted Rice to have it because she had helped him before, back when she warned him during Millibai's future reading. Still, he was worried because he still hadn't told her about Setaju's injury. Chenlu couldn't tell if her silence was because her level was too low or because Setaju's wound wasn't serious enough. That was why he decided to strengthen that broken ability, no matter what. A few days later, Dharma came over and called everyone to look at him. So when they did, Millie asked if he looked bigger. Millie said it wasn't her imagination. Dharma had definitely grown. Sudoju joked that maybe it was Mayu's cooking, but Dharma barked in protest. Rice translated, he had reached level 4 and his body had changed. Everyone was shocked, and even Milling felt annoyed that she was improving slower than a dog. Rice then said Dharma wanted to know how many points MC Luo would give him for this upgrade. Curious, MC Luo asked why he needed so many. Dharma's answer was wild. He wanted to become an elder first, then work his way up to deputy chief so one day everyone would... He got mad on the spot and kicked him, thinking Dharma was trying to steal his position. Right, then he got a call. Afterward, Chen Lu said Zhao Hai had sent someone again. They were asking for help. When the protagonist Lu went to meet the visitor, a boy handed him an envelope and introduced himself as Songling Hai. He said he came to show respect and deliver it. Songling Hai added that Zhao Hai told him to give over the envelope, whether MC agreed to help or not. Chen Lu then asked him to explain what was going on. Songling Hai said a supernatural being named Jiang Wu had suddenly appeared and started causing trouble. Even Zhao Hai didn't want to fight him, but Jiang Wu kept yelling that if Zhao Hai refused to be his little brother, he'd keep wrecking everything. He also said Jiang Wu had taken down 10 of their men by himself, and those men all had level 2 powers. That stunned him. If Jiang Wu could beat 10 people alone, he figured the guy had to be level 4. He started wondering how Jiang Wu evolved that far. It probably wasn't talent. More likely he got lucky, like Chen Lu once did, and found a level 4 crystal. Then another thought hit him. If he killed Jiang Wu, he could get that level 4 crystal and maybe push himself to level 6 or even 7. So the protagonist Luo kept asking Songling Hai question after question about Jiang Wu's power, and in the end, he agreed to help Zhao Hai and check Jiang Wu himself. He told Song Ling Hai he'd be back soon after packing. Inside the villa, MC Luo asked Rice if this trip would be dangerous. Rice said she couldn't tell yet. Nervous, Chen Lu asked if that meant it was safe or not. After a short pause, Rice said he could go without worry, so Chen Lu took Rice with him and left Dharma to watch the house. In the car, he was impressed by how nice it was. Hearing that, Song Ling Hai said he could keep it when he got back. Once the protagonist Luo reached their base, he only had to ask. Rao Hai wouldn't refuse. When they arrived, Rao Hai thanked MC Luo for coming, and the moment Chen Luo saw Jiang Wu, he laughed. To him, Jiang Wu was just leaning on a few powers. Then he attacked Jiang Wu and dropped him in a single move. Everyone was left stunned by the protagonist Luo's strength, and even Jiang Wu couldn't believe he lost that easily. After that, Chen Luo started looking for the crystal, but couldn't find it. Song Ling Hai asked if he was searching for something and offered to help, saying he was great at finding hidden things. Sure enough, he quickly guessed the spot Jiang Wu would have hidden it, and soon he pulled out a crystal. Song Ling Hai happily handed the crystal to MC Luo. Chen Luo saw it was a level 6 crystal, but only a quarter of its power remained. It was also a spiritual type, so he decided to give it to Rice. Zhao Hai, meanwhile, was curious about what these crystals could do. Soon after that, Zhao Hai told everyone there that they should unite and start clearing out the zombies. He even invited Jiang Wu's teammates to join them. Before leaving, Chen Luo told Zhao Hai he was heading home. She asked if he wanted someone to escort him back. Instead, he asked for the golden Bentley, and Zhao Hai agreed right away, giving it to him, Luo. After he left, Zhao Hai told Song Ling Hai that knowing the protagonist had huge benefits, when things got bad, he could save them. On the way home, Rice watched a show, and MC asked why she and Dharma liked TV so much. Was it really that good? It turned out the show was about someone who could predict the future, so Rice asked if that person was stronger than her. Chen Lu explained it was just acting, not real life, so there was no reason to compare anyone to her. After that, he started wondering if watching the show had inspired Rice and taught her fortune-telling. Suddenly, Rice shouted that she sensed a big breast omen. Chen Lu tensed up and asked if it was good or bad. He asked again if it was really a bad sign or if she was just scaring him. Rice insisted it was about a big breast, and it was bad. The protagonist Lu hurried toward the villa. When he got home, everyone was hurt, so he quickly asked what happened. Myling explained that during training by the artificial lake, they ran into a huge swarm of over 2,000 bees and barely handled it. Chan Lu realized he needed to inspect the area around the villa more carefully. Then he asked Miley about her and her sister. Miley said it wasn't serious. They were all okay, and Myling was only coughing a little. She leaned in and whispered that Myling had been stung on that part, then slipped off to her room. Not getting it, Chen Lu asked which part. Millie shyly pointed at her breast. That was when MC Lua understood Rice's warning. The big breast bad omen was about bees stinging Milling there. They later cut to two boys talking, one of them badly hurt. Mac urged Sack to go join the villa group since it was safe, but Sack wanted him to come too. Mac said he couldn't. The entry fee was 3 crystals, and they were 1 short. After he died, Sack could take his crystal and enter the villa alone. In the end, Mac died, and Sack raged over the rule. Why demand so much, force people to fight alone, and keep them from teaming up to kill zombies? In his mind, those villa people were the reason his brother died. So Sack decided to kill Chen Luo and the others for revenge. That night, Sack went to his villa and said he wanted to join the team. Rice immediately told the protagonist Luo that Sack was carrying killing intent toward him. Chen Luo wondered what kind of grudge made Sack come to murder him, so he told Sack to walk around with him. After they went farther away, MC Luo slapped Sack and demanded to know why he wanted him dead. Sack denied it, but he told him to talk fast, his time was limited. Sack knew he was about to get beaten to death, so he got up and prepared to fight back. That surprised Chen Luo. Sack had 2 different powers. Sack charged at him, yelling that the protagonist's harsh rules had killed his brother while the protagonist sat at home playing with a cat. MC got angry and snapped back, asking how Sack had twisted this into sounding like he caused the apocalypse. Sack told him to shut up and fight, but Chen Luo was far too strong, and Sack went down in a single slash. The next morning, he stood at the villa gate, staring at one of his own followers. He was watching the boy because Rice had said she felt he was going to die. The protagonist remembered his name was Shu Mingqing, and that he used wind powers. Shu Mingqing led his group toward the forest to get some experience. Chen Lu stayed there to see if Rice's prediction could be changed and if he could save him. Then MC saw a black cat attack Shu Mingqing. He wondered if this was what Rice had been talking about, so he struck the cat and saved Shu Mingqing. But the instant he did, Rice coughed up blood and collapsed. Dharma froze in shock, then started crying, not knowing what had happened. He tried to wake her up, but when she didn't respond, he rushed off to find Chen Lu. Meanwhile, he was thinking that for a prophecy to come true and still be stopped, Rice's power might be far beyond what he thought. Suddenly, he saw Dharma racing toward him. Dharma came running over in tears. Chen Lu's heart sank. Something had clearly gone wrong at home. He rushed back with Dharma right behind him, and the moment he got there, he froze. Rice had collapsed. When he checked her, he finally relaxed a little. Her heart was still beating. Then Chen Lu looked around. The guards at the gate were fine, so no intruder had come in. If that was true, who hurt Rice? Dharma was just as shocked and said he had no idea. Right then, Millie arrived and asked why the protagonist Lu called her back. But as soon as she saw Rice, she asked what happened. Chen Lu told her to forget everything else and heal Rice first. MC Luo first thought saving Su Mingqing had caused Rice's prophecy to rebound on her, but then he remembered Mealing's case and pushed that idea away. Rice soon woke up. They learned the prophecy had been disturbed, which made her cough blood and pass out. He apologized for what happened to her. Rice explained again that she felt like she stood on a track, and only the protagonist Luo, Millie and Mealing were on it with her. For them, she could strengthen the prophecy more safely. For other people, using it meant taking a huge risk. She also said Dharma was desperately trying to get onto that track, but he was the farthest from her. Chen Luo got it. Prophecy could be adjusted, but only after enough intimacy was built. So this power had to be used carefully. MC Luo then told Dharma to get closer to Rice since it would help him too. Dharma immediately refused, saying he wasn't some bootlicker. But once he heard it might save his life someday, Dharma quickly changed his tune. Chen Luo then told Rice that from now on, Dharma would serve as her part-time mount. A month later, he addressed everyone. He said they had already seen that some level 2 zombies had started evolving again, and the news made the crowd panic about it. The protagonist Luo told them not to freak out. Zombie evolution only meant better stats and a little more intelligence. It wasn't the same as human growth. Then he said he'd give them some time. He went on to announce a new rule. For the next few days, they only needed 1 level 3 crystal. After that, the requirement would rise to 2. By then, one of his men came over and said someone from Zhao Hai's side was back with new information. Chen Lu ended the meeting and went to see him. When he arrived, he saw it was Song Ling Hai. Song Ling Hai said someone had set up a trade fair near the toll station on National Highway 99. The organizer wanted everyone to gather and talk about how to deal with their problems. It would be held the next day. He added that Zhao Hai planned to go and asked if MC wanted to go. Chen Lu agreed. He remembered hearing about events like this in his past life, but he never joined them. After his rebirth, his goal was different. He wanted to gather and win over top talents from every field. The next day at the trade fair, a boy stopped him. Luan asked if they wanted to play. His stall offered everything for a fair price, 10 pounds of rice or super crystals, so the kid was really selling girls. Chen Lu was furious that even after the world ended, someone was still using girls to make money, and he turned it down at once, saying he was loyal to his partner. Meanwhile, the protagonist Luo's own people were setting up a stall to earn a little. They said too many people weren't needed there, so the rest could split up and look around. MC Luo told everyone to buy or enjoy whatever they wanted, but if they found anything valuable, they had to report it. Then he asked Su Zhao and MC Guang to follow him. A little later, he noticed a crowd gathered around something, so he went to look. He shoved through the people and saw Zhang Long, and he still had the chicken Zhao Hai had begged for. A boy named Zhou Mingliang was arguing with Zhang Long. He wanted the chicken, but Zhang Long kept asking for more. Zhou Mingliang snapped that Zhang Long had already burned his brother's head and still wanted money. Even so, he offered 100 kilos of rice and nothing more. Zhang Long still refused, so Chen Lu stepped in and offered 20 level 2 crystals for the chicken. Zhu Mingling instantly got mad and demanded to know if the protagonist was picking a fight. MC Lu ignored him, so Zhu lunged at him, but before he could touch Chen Lu, Xiahao sent him flying. Zhu Minglang yelled at Xiahao to stay out of it, warning that anyone who interfered would die. Xiahao asked him Lu to let him handle everything, and Lu agreed. He wanted Zhang Long to regret this choice for the rest of his life. In just seconds, Xiahao crushed several of them. His speed and punching power stunned everyone, and they had no idea what to do. In the end, many of them ran without even trying to fight. Watching Xiahao, Zhang Long was stunned. He knew Xiahao had been a boxing champion, but he never expected the gap in superpowers to be this huge. And since Chen Lo wanted him to regret refusing the chicken, he completed the trade without asking again and took the chicken with him. But the chicken kept pecking at the protagonist Ludi, so he grabbed its feathers and yanked one out to teach it a lesson. Then Chen Ludi scared it further, warning that he could pluck all its feathers. Just then, an announcement told everyone to head to the toll station on the east side of the meetup, and each group leader should bring 2 people. So MC Ludi chose Yao Hao and Sudhaju to go with him, while the others were told to move around freely. At the meetup, when Chen Ludi reached Zhao Hai invited him to sit near him. Zhao Hai explained that the organizer was Ye Gafei, heir to the Ye Group, a family involved in foreign trade. But he didn't really care about Ye Gafei. What mattered to him was the president beside Ye Gafei, Long Yu, a metal-type superpower user who could turn into different weapons to support others. In Chen Ludi's previous life, Long Yu had also become a king. The protagonist Lu Xu even wondered if, after recruiting him, he'd make Long Yu turn into a sword or a staff. Ye Gaofei then introduced himself and said his base had 1,252 survivors, with 812 at level 2, 56 at level 3, and 4 at level 4. That bothered MC Luo a little. In his own group, only 4 people plus a dog and a cat had reached level 4, which meant Ye Gaofei was strong and had plenty of high-grade crystals in his hands. Ye Gaofei then announced 2 pieces of good news. First, once someone reached level 4, they no longer had to worry about water, and even level 3 users could manage a little. Chenluo knew that part was true, but polluted water permanently damaged a person's potential, so anyone who drank it would pay for it later. Yegufei then pulled out a crystal and said the second good news was this level 6 crystal. He didn't know its exact rank, but with a level 6 crystal, people could rise to level 4 much faster. Hearing that, Zhao Hai was stunned, then relaxed. He realized Chenluo must have used even stronger crystals to become this powerful. Yegufei kept talking about crystals and evolution. Seeing this, Luo started wondering why Yegufei was sharing so much and acting so generous. Yegufei then said the reason was simple. He didn't want everyone killing each other, so he wanted to gather them, unite them, and build a collective. He added that nobody would be forced to join. This collective would create an elder council. Any strong leader could become an elder, and all major choices would be decided by vote. Chenlu saw through it right away. This wasn't charity. Yegufei was trying to gather followers. The other groups started whispering about whether they should join him. Then a girl shouted that Yegufei had said joining was voluntary, but if someone stayed out, they shouldn't complain later if they got bullied while gathering supplies. That set off a wave of murmurs. People had also received pamphlets from Yegufei, asking them to form an alliance and stand together. Chen Lu understood the trick. By handing those pamphlets to every member, Yegufei was tempting people directly. Even if a leader refused, their subordinates might still join in private. Yegufei then coldly told everyone that if they were interested, they could come sign up. The protagonist Luo knew he was ruthless, and he also remembered hearing little about him in his previous life. That probably meant Yegufei soon got himself killed. MC smiled to himself. Once Yegufei died, he'd go after Long Yu. A man then walked over to Zhao Hai and suggested they join forces against Yegufei. He said many people already hated him, so they could recruit more and deal with this together. So Zhao Hai asked Shen Lu about the offer, and Lu refused. He said he had no interest in joining a bunch of kids fighting. Later, the protagonist Guang reported that 3 more people wanted to join them, but he quietly warned Shen Lu that their level 3 recruitment plan had drawn a lot of attention, so they had to stay careful. MC Lu immediately suspected they were infiltrators trying to slip into his ranks, so he decided to have Rice check them, and told everyone to head back home. On the way, Lu spotted a girl and recognized her at once. She was Ming Yin, a natural ability user who had mastered the skill of improving seeds, so Chen Lu stopped. The protagonist Lu stopped the girl right away, thinking he needed to get that treasure from her fast. Meng Yin panicked when she saw people around her and ran. MC Lu even called out to her, telling her to stop, but she turned into a rabbit and sped up. That didn't help. With his void space, Shen Lu caught her easily. Meng Yin froze in shock the moment she was caught. Even then, Lu told her not to panic. He wasn't going to hurt her. He just wanted her to come with him, but she stayed silent. So he said he'd take that silence as a yes. Back at the villa, Millie asked where he found that chicken and rabbit. Right then, Meng Yin changed back, and Millie was stunned by the trick. Meng Yin was furious with Chen Lu, but he called Shu and told her to look after Meng Yin and give her food. She refused, saying she'd rather starve than eat what they gave her. A little later, the protagonist Lu found Meng Yin eating breakfast, so he tried to tease her, but she answered him directly. Then he sat beside her, apologized for dragging her there, and said he had seen her ability. So he knew she was a natural ability user, and his base really needed someone like her. He promised that if she grew vegetables, she'd get meat for dinner every day. Meng Yin agreed since she didn't have much choice. Still, she planned to watch everyone first, and if they were decent people, she'd have Chen Lu bring over a little fish. MC left her some seeds and told her to start growing vegetables. After that, he told Sudhaju the men who joined them at the trade meeting were spies. Sudhaju said not to worry. He and Jia had already beaten a confession out of them. They had admitted that 2 worked for Yegufei and 1 for Qilin, so Chen Lu told Sudhaju to get rid of them quietly. Then Song Linghai came to his villa again and said Qilin had suddenly invited Zhao Hai over to talk about taking down Yegufei. He added that Qilin kept insisting Zhao Hai bring the protagonist too, so Zhao Hai wanted the protagonist's answer. MC agreed. He wanted to hear the plan, and if Long Yu was in danger, he could step in. At Qilin's place, Qilin said he would face Yegufei himself. After winning, he'd take 30%, and everyone else could split the rest. Before he could go on, Chen Lu cut in and said he wouldn't join. He didn't have enough people. Qilin warned him to be careful, saying when 2 sides fight, the onlooker usually gets killed too. Hearing that, Zhao Hai tensed up. He couldn't believe Qilin was still provoking Chen Lu after saying that. Qilin pushed further, asking if he planned to let both sides wear each other out so he could steal their supplies after. Zhao Hai stood and said he could vouch for the protagonist. He stayed out of fights. Qilin brushed that off and sneered that if Zhao Hai weren't there, the protagonist wouldn't even be allowed to sit with them. He'd have to kneel to speak. Zhao Hai knew things were over now, so he stepped back. MC coldly asked, what gave Qilin the confidence to make him kneel, then stood up and showed he was ready to fight. Qilin laughed and said he might be level 4 like Yegufei, but no one beats 100 men alone. Then he demanded he hand over his crystals and lead the attack on Yegufei. Only then might they spare him. At that point, the protagonist understood everything. Qilin planted spies and used Zhao Hai to lure him there. Qilin then ordered his men to take everything MC had. He said he never wanted to touch them, but if Qilin died here, Ye Gaofei might live longer. But he still used void space and appeared behind Qilin. Kuai Lin jumped in shock and demanded to know if Chen Luo had a death wish. He didn't get to finish. The protagonist slapped him and told him to quit the nonsense. MC Luo then asked what plan Qi Lin had to kill Ye Gaofei. Kuai Lin still refused, saying that if Chen Lu dared kill him, he'd never leave the base alive. Kuai Lin's men rushed over, shouting for him, Luok, to let their brother go. The protagonist Luok said he hated threats most of all, then asked again if Qilin would talk. The others kept yelling that if he pushed this further, he'd die. MC Luok didn't back down, tell the plan or die. Qilin spat back that he should kill him and die with him. That set Chen Lu off and he killed him. Seeing that, more people charged at the protagonist to avenge Qilin. MC found it annoying. Now he'd have to deal with Ye Gaofei by himself. For the moment, though, he moved through the attackers and took them down one by one. The rest were stunned, while Zhao Hai just sat there, knowing it would end like this. After dropping a bunch of them, Chen Luo got bored and decided not to kill the rest. He told everyone not to panic. He wouldn't touch anyone who didn't start trouble. He only gets rid of people who come at him first. He added that unlike Ye Gaofei, he wasn't trying to use people for manpower. With no other choice, everyone begged for mercy so he would spare them. After he left, everyone started talking about the protagonist's strength. They were shocked a level 4 could be that strong. In the end, they chose to side with Ye Gaofei, figuring his 4 level 4 fighters could handle someone as dangerous and uncontrollable as the protagonist, so they went to speak with him. The scene shifts to Ye Gaofei's base, where a boy was crying to Long Yu, saying he had to make things right. Long Yu asked what happened, and the boy said that 3 days earlier he went out to kill zombies. When he came back, his wife was gone. Later, someone secretly gave him information, and he found her in a pit. He said Yuling Jie was the one who did that to her. Long Yu first made sure it was true, and then he stormed off to confront Yuling Jie. While looking for him, Long Yu heard someone say the woman died too soon, and now they'd have to find another one. Hearing that, Long Yu threw the door open and demanded to know what was going on. Yuling Jie acted confused and asked what was wrong. Long Yu marched up to him and shouted the question again. Yuling Jie had forced himself on another man's wife. Ye Gaofei stopped Long Yu and told him to calm down. He admitted Yuling Jie was wrong but said death was too much punishment because Yuling Jie was more valuable than most people. Long Yu fired back that if value was the issue, then he was worth more than Yuling Jie and he was going to kill him. Yuling Jie panicked and begged Ye Gaofei to save him, saying he was only taking the blame. Long Yu was stunned and demanded the truth. Yuling Jie said Ye Gaofei spent his days killing zombies, so what was wrong with enjoying women at night? Hearing that, Long Yu exploded. He shouted that Ye Gaofei was supposed to be leading everyone to kill zombies, gather supplies and fight for a better future, not wasting time with women. Furious, Long Yu declared he was leaving, and from now on their paths were separate. Yuling Jie begged Ye Gaofei to do something, warning that if Long Yu exposed the truth, they'd be in trouble. Ye Gaofei hesitated because many people in the base were close to Long Yu. Then Ye Gaofei came up with an idea. He told Yuling Jie to spread word that Long Yu had gone mad, preyed on the weak and lost his humanity. Ye Gaofei would spare him this time for his past service. But Long Yu had to take his men and leave the base, so Long Yu left with his people, wondering where they could go next, since he had been too naive to think everyone truly wanted to keep fighting zombies together. Sometime later, people from Qilin's side went to Ye Gaofei and told him a man named Chen Lo was gathering strength against him. Elsewhere, Sha came to MC and said he had reached level 4. He explained that once physical strength hits level 4, the crystals keep giving off power to temper the body, and that power can be guided to specific parts, so he told Sha to focus the rest of that tempering on his fist. Then someone cut in and reported that Zhao Hai had arrived asking for shelter because Ye Gaofei was coming after him. Chen Lu told them to bring Zhao Hai in. Then he asked how Ye Gaofei found the base, and Zhao Hai said it was because of Qilin's men, the ones the protagonist had let live. That made MC Luo angry. Every time he spared future trouble, it came back to bite him. Zhao Hai urged him to get ready fast because Ye Gaofei and the others were heading there in a rage. So he ordered everyone to prepare for defense. A while later, a long line of cars rolled toward the villa. Ye Gaofei was thrilled. He'd gathered a huge crowd under the excuse of unity and better survival. Then he stirred them up, claiming some selfish people were stopping that unity, so they had to be removed. Once they arrived at Chen Lu's villa, Ye Gaofei shouted that his side had more than 2,000 people, including 76 level 3s, over 1,500 level 2s, and 2 level 4s. He ordered everyone inside to surrender, saying anyone who gave up now would be treated like a brother in the days ahead. He even tossed out promises to lure them over, but no one answered. Hearing that, Chen Lu just laughed. Even the regular people in his villa ate better than what Ye Gaofei was offering. He also noticed Long Yu wasn't there and started wondering where he had gone, and whether he should look for him first. Ye Gaofei lost his temper when nobody responded. He told Zhang Hao to lead the first attack and promised a reward if he killed the protagonist's group. Nervous, Zhang Hao asked why his team had to be the ones to go first. Hanya pressed him, but Zhang Hao said willingness wasn't the issue. His men all knew the first group in would be the first to die. Ye was clearly disappointed and looked around, only to realize everyone else was hiding and avoiding being picked. Inside, Chen was getting annoyed. Were they going to attack or not? At this point, he was starting to think these people were a bunch of clowns sent by monkeys, so he casually tossed aside the core of the fruit he was eating, which shocked the crowd. They couldn't figure out where he was getting fresh fruit from. Ye then turned to Hanya and asked why she had charged in without letting him boost her defense first. If he had, the attacks wouldn't have hurt her. Looking pleased, he asked whether she would help him. Hanya agreed and ordered everyone forward. Luan backed her up, warning that anyone who refused would be electrocuted. The moment they got inside, Chen Lu's side opened fire. The attackers barely held on by using earth shields to block the hits. When Hanya opened the gate, she found a huge ridge standing between it and the villa. She had no idea why it was there, and before she could think more, Su Yun and Mealing struck. Dharma joined in and went straight for Hanya. One by one, Ye Gaofei's people started dropping, and he finally understood that Chen Lu's side was far stronger than his. Before Ye Gaofei could escape, Dharma chased him down and fired electric balls at him. Then Dharma followed up with kicks and punches until Ye Gaofei went down. The moment Ye Gaofei died, the rest broke down and surrendered, begging Chen Lu to spare them. MC told them to bring Hanya's partner to him. Crying, Luan begged not to be killed, saying he was a priest. He agreed to spare him, but only if he told the truth about whether Long Yu had really been guarding the base. Luan said Long Yu had been thrown out for bullying others and acting overbearing. That surprised the protagonist, because it didn't sound like Long Yu at all. Luan then admitted it was Ye Gaofei who framed Long Yu. After that, Chen Lu told Zhao Hai to bring his old people over, help clean up, and watch the entrance. He promised them a treat when he got back. MC Luan then told everyone to get in the cars. They were heading to Ye Gaofei's place to grab supplies. Dharma asked about his points, but Chen Lu told him to stay and guard the villa. They could talk about it after the trip. Songling Hai asked Zhao Hai about joining him, but he cut in and said the world had changed. Skills alone weren't enough anymore. Zhao Hai's people hesitated because joining now would make them juniors. Zhao Hai told Songling Hai that if they could get an advanced crystal, they might still have a shot at rising in the future. At Ye Gaofei's base, the protagonist Luo sent everyone to gather supplies while he checked the area himself. Then MC Luo spotted a golden dog and happily patted her head. When he realized it was a female, he got excited. He'd found Dharma King a mate and saved himself 1,000 points. Later, back at the villa, Chen Luo thanked Zhao Hai for the help and announced they'd have a barbecue the next day. When he went inside, he found Dharma waiting to talk about points, but first, the protagonist told him he had brought back something special. As soon as Dharma saw the golden dog, he started tearing up. Chen Luo was confused, wondering if he was really that happy about getting a female dog. In fact, Dharma thought MC wasn't only feeding rice, he'd also been keeping other dogs outside. He took the golden dog as his replacement and got mad, thinking all his efforts so far meant nothing to him. Seeing him cry, Chen Luo asked what was wrong. Didn't he like the wife he brought? He even asked whether Dharma preferred a big dog or a small one. That finally made Dharma feel a bit better once he understood she was meant to be his wife. Even so, Dharma King flat out refused to accept the golden retriever as his wife, so the protagonist Luo called Rice over to help settle things and translate, while he argued with Dharma King about the point total. MC Luo said Dharma would get 300 points for killing Ye Gaofei. Rice translated that Dharma was saying he also killed others too. So Chen Lu raised it to 500 and told him his total was now 1,500 points. Rice then translated that Dharma wanted to trade all those points for the title of Elder Dog. He tensed up but agreed, even though he couldn't understand why Dharma cared so much about that title. Rice added that Dharma wanted the news announced right away in front of everyone. The protagonist Luo told both of them to go sleep since it was getting late. The next morning, Zhao Hai and the others were thrilled that the barbecue was really happening. Chen Luo also told Zhao Hai that when he left the villa, he'd be given 200 pounds of meat. He was doing it because the meat was close to expiring and needed to be used. A bit later, MC Luo called everyone together and announced that one member had done amazing work lately and earned 1,500 points, the amount needed to qualify as an elder. So he was promoting that member to elder. Hearing that, everyone was stunned. Becoming an elder took 1,500 points, and most of them only earned 3 or 4 a day. They started guessing it had to be Xiahou, Mai Ling, or Shu Yun. Then Chen Lu introduced their new elder, and everyone relaxed when they saw it was Dharma King. That made sense to them. Dharma King was so strong that even all of them together couldn't beat him. Chen Lu praised Dharma's hard work and told everyone to call him Elder Dog, so they all did, while Zhao Hai felt like he was watching kids play house. Then he announced that Dharma was treating everyone at the bar and they could drink as much as they wanted. Everyone thanked Dharma for the gift. Elsewhere, a boy told Long Yu that Ye Gaofei and Hanya had been killed. Long Yu couldn't believe it, but the boy urged him to come see for himself since the base was nearby. When they arrived, they found people having a barbecue and started wondering if they could join. The guard told them they had to contribute something before eating or become members first. The rule was simple: be at least level 3 and after joining help fight zombies. Long Yu smiled because that idea matched his own beliefs. But his mood dropped when he remembered 2 people in his group were still only level 2. At first, they thought the level 3 members should join now, while Long Yu stayed behind to help the others reach level 3 first. But then they decided to ask anyway. They explained that only 2 of them were level 2, while they also had 1 level 4 and wanted to know if the villa would still let them join. So Long Yu asked the guard to inform the leader that he was Long Yu, a level 4 elementalist, and wanted to have a talk. The scene shifts to Chen Lu, who was telling Dharma that everyone had drunk 1,568 beers, which meant his points had dropped to negative 1,568. Dharma was horrified and wondered how that was possible. Did these people drink like pigs or what? Just then, a guard reported that a group wanted to join and their leader Long Yu hoped the protagonist would accept their 2 level 2 members too. Hearing that name, Chen Lu lit up and rushed to the entrance to meet Long Yu. When they met, MC asked why his group wanted to join. Long Yu said it was because his way of doing things matched their own. The protagonist Luo then asked about his ability. Long Yu explained that he could turn his body into metal, giving him strong defense and solid physical power. MC could tell Long Yu still didn't understand how valuable that power really was, so he decided to show him. Long Yu got ready, and Chen Lu punched him in the chest. Long Yu was shocked that one punch could shake his metal body back. He couldn't understand it because level 3 elementalists had attacked him before without causing that kind of force. Chen Lu then said he'd heard metal elementalists could reshape metal into different forms, making it stronger and sharper. Long Yu said he could do that too, but He Lu caught him off guard by telling him to turn it into gold. Long Yu tensed up. He had never tried that before. The protagonist Luo told him to study a gold ring, learn its atomic structure, and try. Long Yu nervously gave it a shot, and to his shock, he really turned the metal into a gold ring. Smiling, Chen Lu asked if he understood his true value now. He explained that the change didn't last because Long Yu's level was still low, but as he got stronger, he'd slowly be able to make transformed metals stay solid. MC Lu went on to explain even more uses for that power, and Long Yu said he finally understood. So He Lu happily welcomed Long Yu and his people, inviting them to join the barbecue. Meanwhile, a girl named Lifish arrived at Chen Lu's villa, using invisibility to look for Meng Yan. Meng Yan was eating without a care when she suddenly heard someone crying nearby. She looked up and froze. It was her friend Lifish. Lifish was stunned to find Meng Yan casually eating chicken fried rice, while she'd been worried sick. She had come looking for her. Outside, Dharma noticed an intruder had slipped in and rushed to tell the protagonist Luo. Chen Luo immediately ran toward Meng Yan's room. He wasn't about to let his future with Meng Yan fall apart. The moment he stepped in, MC Luo demanded to know who Lifish was and how she got inside. Meng Yan quickly explained that Lifish was her friend and used invisibility to sneak in. That made Chen Lu even happier. An ability like that could be really useful. He explained that he brought Meng Yan here to keep her safe, but didn't expect Lifish to care this much too. Then he invited Lifish to stay with them if she wanted. Lifish asked what she'd have to do. He said she'd need to use her invisibility to help find more mutants. Lifish asked if he meant the ones that look strange and stand out. The protagonist tensed and asked how she knew that. Lifish said that on the way here she saw a dead zombie still moving. They looked totally different, so she didn't dare get close. Chen Lu realized it had to be a high-level mutant zombie, so he asked Lifish where it was. Once he got the location, MC Luo was ready to check it out, but Zhao stopped him, saying something felt off. He saw Zhao shaking and asked what happened. Why was he so nervous? Zhao said he spotted a zombie 100 meters away, but in an instant it rushed over and killed several of his people. Chen Lu was shocked by how strong it sounded. He started wondering if this was the mutant that killed Zhao. Zhou's whole group kept talking about how fast and powerful that mutant was. Then, to the protagonist Luo's surprise, Rice showed up and said he was finished. Rice asked what he meant. How could the mighty Void King be finished? Chen Lu quickly pulled Rice into a black space and told her to sense it carefully. A few seconds later, Rice said it was nearly dead. It was insanely dangerous, but it also carried huge benefits. That made MC realize the mutant had actually come for him. From Zhao and the others' report, he guessed it was a level 7 wind mutant zombie. What bothered him was that he didn't remember anything like it from his past life. He also kept thinking about the huge benefits part, because even a level 7 crystal shouldn't be that valuable. Chen Lu then asked whether Melling and Millie were in danger too. Rice said no. This time only the protagonist Lu was in trouble. After they came back out, Zhao asked if they should evacuate right away. MC Lu told them to stay in the villa while he went ahead to see the zombie himself. At the same time, Su, Millie, and Myling were coming back with supplies and crystals. The mutant had followed them all the way to the villa. It lunged at the guards by the gate, forcing them to sound the alarm and alert Chen Lu that the terrifying mutant had attacked. When Su and the sisters turned around, they were stunned to finally see the mutant behind them. He rushed in and slashed at it with his void sword, but to his shock, the strike left no wound at all. Millie panicked and asked what was happening. Chen Lu knew he was in trouble. Millie and the others were there, so he couldn't just run and leave them. A moment later, the mutant zombie attacked the protagonist Luo, and everyone went tense. Then Chen Luo saw it turn toward Millie and Myling. Knowing he couldn't beat it head-on, he decided to escape through void space with the others. The problem was, he'd never tried taking 4 people with him before. Even so, he chose to risk it, and told everyone to hold on tight. He tried to get away, but just like he feared, only he was transported. Everyone else was left behind. The zombie immediately went after Millie, and Chenlo's heart dropped. He jumped back to fight, hoping the mutant's short lifespan would finally run out. The mutant closed in on Chenlo, and all he could do was pray it died first. Then a crystal lit up inside his head, and the zombie dropped dead. Before MC Lo could figure out what happened, he passed out. Millie and the others panicked. Milling ordered the guards to seal the main gate until he woke up, then had Sutraju carry him to his room. Back in the room, Dharma was horrified and yelled at everyone for letting their master end up like this again. Rice told them to calm down. She had already predicted the protagonist would be in danger, but he wouldn't die, and he might even gain something big from it. Milling kept crying, still scared for him. Rice got annoyed and asked why nobody believed her. The story then jumped ahead 2 days, when Chenlu finally woke up. Seeing him conscious again, Millie and Dharma were relieved. After hearing he'd been unconscious, MC Luo tried to remember what happened. Then it hit him. It seemed like he had used some kind of power to speed up the mutant's death. Now he was confused, wondering if that ability was time acceleration. Chenlu focused and tried to use that power again, thinking he might have gained a second ability. And he had his new power really was time acceleration. When Millie heard the word acceleration, she asked what he meant. He stiffly brushed it off and said it was nothing. Then he remembered that in his past life, he had only met one person with time-based acceleration. His mind flashed back to that life when he was stealing something, and Millie tried to stop him. He warned her not to forget that he was the Void King. Then he suddenly couldn't move, and a girl asked what he'd do if she stopped time. And right after that, Millie kicked him in the butt. Back in the present, Chenlu remembered the girl's name was Zhang Chushur, and she could stop time for one target with a single move. He also recalled that after Zhang Chushur died in his past life, he took her body away from the zombies and stored it in dimensional space. But back then, he never absorbed her crystal. He pushed the thought aside. In the present, his crystal had shattered, and it would need at least 3 months to recover. Chenlu asked Millie if they had taken out the mutant crystal. Millie handed him the crystal, and his mood sank after all that work. It was only an 8th grade crystal. He offered it to Dharma, telling the Dharma King to absorb it and reach level 5. The Dharma King refused at first, saying the protagonist Luo would probably charge him points for it, and he was already deep in debt. The protagonist Luo got mad and said he wouldn't deduct anything, and whoever reached level 5 first would get 500 points. The second he heard that, the Dharma King snatched the crystal, thrilled at the thought of earning 500 points. Millie said she'd go ask Mayu to cook, but MC Luo stopped her and sent the Dharma King to do it instead. He also told the Dharma King to let everyone know he was awake and announced 3 days of beef and mutton to celebrate. After the Dharma King left, Chenlu hugged Millie, feeling lucky to have someone who cared about him. Elsewhere, his subordinates were fighting a boy named Anchen Luo, who mocked them for not running when they had the chance. He said they were out of options now and couldn't blame him for what happened next. His side mocked him back, saying he only looked tough because of that elephant, while their elder dog was way stronger and cooler, and they kept baiting Anchen Luo, saying if he really fought that dog, he might die before he even understood what happened. They kept mocking him, warning that if he dared face it, he wouldn't even know how he died. Anchen Luo was shaken. He couldn't believe any dog could be braver than his unbeatable elephant. After wiping out Chenlu's men, Anchen Luo headed straight for the villa to find that dog. What he didn't know was that 2 wolves were trailing him and his group. Back at the villa, the girls were playing with the golden retriever when they spotted a huge elephant coming their way. They quickly warned everyone inside to get ready to fight and defend the villa. As soon as Chenlu heard about the elephant, he guessed the rider had to be Ain Chenlu. At the entrance, Miling asked Ain Chenlu what he wanted. After hearing they had an amazing dog, he assumed they meant the golden retriever, and laughed, saying that little dog sure was brave. The Myth sisters immediately got tense and realized he had the wrong dog. Still, the golden retriever really was fearless, standing right in front of the elephant, and Chenlu laughed again and asked if the dog really wanted to fight. Miling stepped in and accepted the challenge for the dog. Dharma tried to jump into the fight too, but Chenlu stopped him. This was Miling's training. The battle began, and when the elephant attacked with its trunk, Miling answered with Red Lotus Burst. Chenlu was impressed. Miling had really learned his signature move, Red Lotus Burst. The hit enraged the elephant, and it threw Anchen Luo off its back. Anchen Luo panicked and ordered his whole team to gang up on Miling. The protagonist Luo was irritated. This was supposed to be a one-on-one fight, and Anchen Luo was cheating. Even with the whole group attacking, Miling still held her ground, but Chen Luo finally told his people to join in. Within minutes, Ancient Luo's side was completely beaten. Seeing that, Ancient Luo turned and ran, so MC Luo told Dharma to chase him down. Dharma gladly took off, already thinking about the points he'd earned for killing Ancient Luo. But then Ancient Luo ran straight into the wolves following from the other side and got attacked by them. Dharma got excited, but before anything else he wanted the points for taking down Ancient Luo. The wolves were shocked by how strong Dharma was. Then everything got weird. Dharma fell for the white female wolf the second he saw her. When the wolves tried to run, he chased after them. He caught the white wolf and awkwardly asked if they could be friends. Just then, Chen and the others showed up and realized these were wolves, not dogs. He quickly saw what was going on. Dharma was acting like a total love-struck puppy around the white wolf, so the protagonist brought the wolves back to the villa. At the villa, Dharma kept yelling about his wolf, so Chen kicked him and told him to calm down. The wolf was never going to warm up to him like that. Then Enchen explained that wolves respect strength. If they won't submit, you either fight until they do or force the issue. Dharma was thrilled and praised Enchen Luo, Ika true master. He kicked him away again and told him to quit making a fool of himself. After that, the protagonist thought about their situation. At this rate, zombies would hit level 4 in a little over a month. Those zombies would be stronger and a bit smarter. For now, the villa was still safe, but being inside the city meant a huge zombie wave could come later. That risk was real. So Chen decided they needed a new base before it was too late. He pulled out a map. On it, he found a village about 30 miles from the city. He chose it as their next base, and planned to go there the next day to clear the zombies first. Then the next day came and everyone headed for the village. On the way, Chen warned them to stay alert for both normal zombies and mutant ones, then said he'd scout the area first. While checking the place, MC found the water was clean, but the fish in it tasted bitter and sour. That was strange. All of a sudden, a mutant attacked and the group started pulling back. Even so, some of them were grabbed by the mutant zombie. Taemin went over to inspect the mutant. To his surprise, it could talk. It called itself Ironhead and bragged that its head was so hard anyone who wanted to live should move aside. But Chain answered with a kick right to Ironhead's crotch. Ironhead cried out that his head was tough, not that part. He ignored him and kept attacking that spot while Ironhead kept shouting that his head wasn't down there. Then Chen switched targets and hit the head, following up with a rain of punches to Ironhead's face. In the end, Ironhead started crying and begged the protagonist to spare him, promising he wouldn't hurt anyone again. Chen figured Ironhead could be useful as a training dummy for Sa, Sudhaju, and Myling, so he kept him and ordered him into the truck with no trying to run. Elsewhere, some mutant crabs were moving toward a certain place. At another base, people reported a sudden tide had flooded a huge nearby area and asked if they should move toward the city. Everyone pushed for going there. Their leader, Feng, a level 5 player, told them to pack up and get the vehicle ready. They were leaving for the city the next morning. A month later, MC was yelling at a man named Lei Hao for keeping the supplies instead of sharing like they agreed. That was the issue. Lei Hao nervously denied it, saying he'd never dare trick them. Chen had shown up out of nowhere and forced that partnership on him in the first place. Hearing Fen's name, he remembered that in his past life, Fen had also been a major power in the region, with talented followers who all passed level 10. While they were still talking with Lei Hao, a guard came in and said a group was outside the villa, asking to meet the protagonist, and their leader was Fen. Chen told them to let Fen in. When Fen arrived, he apologized for taking MC's things by mistake. He said he had gotten 600 tons of rice and flour, and would give half his compensation. If that wasn't enough, he was willing to hand over all of it. He accepted the 300 tons of rice and flour. Then he asked Feng what he had really come for. The two went somewhere private to talk. Feng started by saying he'd just come from Cloud City, where he ruled as the top boss. He made it clear that no base leader there would dare refuse him. He added that big places near the sea and the coast were no good for survival anymore, so large groups would need to relocate. Divine City, the only major city nearby, would likely become the future meeting point for everyone. Then Feng asked Chen to work with him and deal with the coming storms together in the future. The protagonist understood the idea, but he kept wondering what Feng really wanted. The man seemed too quick to bend. That felt off. Feng finally got to it. He said he'd seen Chen's base outside the city and honestly envied it. Then he asked for half the land for himself, saying his man Ouyang Lu could grow vegetables there and split the harvest 50-50. That made MC furious. He could ignore Feng acting overly friendly, but asking for half the base crossed the line. He said an alliance was possible only if Feng had no hidden agenda, and if they worked together, it would be on his terms. Otherwise, there was nothing to discuss. Feng shot back that alliances usually follow the stronger side. The protagonist snapped and asked if Feng really thought he was stronger. Feng said he had reached level 5 more than half a month ago. He admitted he couldn't storm MC's base alone, but if he attacked little by little, dozens would die every day, and eventually everything would belong to him. He asked if that was a threat. In his head he scoffed. Dharma had hit level 5 a month and a half ago, and Myling Sudushu and the others reached level 5 a month ago too. Feng had nothing to brag about. Feng then proposed a best-of-3 duel, with the winner leading the alliance. Chen agreed and told Feng to do it today. After that, the protagonist figured beating Feng outright might be tough, so he decided he could always make an accident happen during the duel and kill him. Funny enough, Feng was thinking the same thing. He planned to accidentally kill Chen and settle everything at once. At the arena, Feng reminded MC that anyone who broke the agreement would be punished. He agreed and sent Sudahaju out for round 1. Feng chose a level 4 elemental user and told Sun Yu to step up and fight. As the match began, Sun Yu raised earth pillars as a shield. Sudhaju looked a little annoyed. If he were slimmer, he could have slipped right through. Next, Sun Yu used a swamp-type attack. Watching that, Chen was impressed. Sun Yu clearly had the talent to become someone important later on. Still, Sudhaju smashed through the defense with a few hard punches, and Sun Yu gave up the match. Feng was furious to lose the first round, so he ordered his people to bring out the truck. Inside was a level 3 mutant zombie, and the sight of it shocked everyone. Even Chen had to admit he'd underestimated Feng. He hadn't expected him to control a zombie too. So the protagonist decided to answer zombie with zombie and told Subtaju to bring out Ironhead. When Ironhead showed up, he immediately started complaining that he was starving because MC kept promising food tomorrow and never delivered. Chen responded with another kick to the crotch, saying he'd been happy with Ironhead's obedience for the past month, but not with this attitude. Then he ordered him to go kill Feng's zombie. Feng was stunned. Just like him, the protagonist had his own zombie under control, and he had no clue how strong Ironhead really was. So the zombie fight began. But after taking one fire attack from the other zombie, Ironhead forgot the fight and lunged at a girl to eat her instead. Seeing that, Chen rushed over to save her. He ordered Ironhead to get back, but Ironhead just yelled that he wanted to eat people. Chen reminded him food was promised for tomorrow, but Ironhead had already figured it out. Tomorrow was never coming. For a moment, Mex considered killing Ironhead, but right then, Ironhead mutated. He tensed up and tried to cut off his legs first, but his attack did nothing. Then Ironhead yelled that he'd evolved and was much stronger now. He tried to smash Chen under his paws, but the protagonist dodged and struck Ironhead's weak spot, only for it to fail. Ironhead bragged that even that place had become tougher now. MC realized the mutant's former weakness had turned into his hardest part. It was so tough that even the level 8 zombie Chen once killed with his time acceleration ability hadn't felt like this. So he used time acceleration again and charged in with the Void Sword. At the same time, he pictured the attack in his mind, imagining Ironhead being forced backward. Suddenly, Ironhead froze as his body began tearing apart on its own. The protagonist was confused too and wondered if those cuts came from the attack he had only imagined seconds earlier. Just as Chen moved in for the finishing blow, another attack came at them. It was Feng, trying to use the moment to kill MC and later pretend it was an accident while aiming for Ironhead. But Feng was stunned when Chen came out of his ultimate attack completely unharmed. He coldly told him that if he wanted to land another hit, he needed to move faster. That one line shut the attack down. Feng Zhengqing quickly tried to play it off and said it was just a mistake. At the same time, Ironhead begged the protagonist Luo not to cut him in half and kept apologizing, but it changed nothing. Chen Lu ignored the pleading and sliced through his waist, finishing him for good. While pulling out the crystal, MC noticed Feng Zhengqing staring at it in shock. From its size, Feng guessed Ironhead had reached level 8 or even 9, yet MC still beat him with ease. After that, Feng Zhengqing walked over, admitted defeat, and called him both the winner and their new leader. The protagonist Lu shot back with one question. What kind of friend sneaks in an attack like that? Feng Zhengqing kept insisting it was an accident, and begged him to believe him. Chen Lu wasn't buying it. He started slapping Feng Zhengqing around, then demanded a straight answer about who the leader was. With tears in his eyes, Feng Zhengqing finally gave in, and said the leader was MC Lu. Then he turned to the girl and the rest of Feng Zhengqing's people, asking if they would join him like the deal said. She agreed, and the protagonist told her to introduce herself and explain what everyone could do. Even so, Feng Zhengqing was boiling inside. He had lost every follower, but he still thought he could rebuild somewhere else if he made it to another city. So he begged MC Lu to let him go, promising his people would join willingly. MC Lu agreed and said neither he nor his men would touch Feng Zhengqing. Feng Zhengqing told his followers he wasn't their leader anymore, then took off running, trusting him Luo to keep that promise. Chen Luo only glanced at Dharma, and that was enough. Dharma understood right away. The protagonist said his people wouldn't kill Feng Zhengqing, but a dog still could. Once Feng Zhengqing got a little distance away, he started to relax, thinking no one was coming after him. Then a dog rushed straight at him. Feng Zhengqing froze and nervously asked what it was going to do. In that moment, he realized he didn't even measure up to MC's dog. After finishing the job, Dharma started thinking about how many points he would earn. On Chen Lu's side, he was going through Feng Zhengqing's roster. If he took them all in, his force would reach 3,000 people. So he decided to test everyone first and only keep those who passed. He told Lenghim Lu to spread the word. Not long after, Dharma came back and asked about his fee and the extra charge for burying the body to pay for the crystal and the service. Chen Lu handed Dharma 500 points. Then he told Dharma to come with him to the new base so they could inspect the area and see how the work was going. Next, the story moved to the new base, where Xiahao was under attack by bugs. Xiahao started cutting them down, and in the end, the mutated one begged for mercy and apologized. When Chen Lu arrived, he saw what it was and decided it could actually help improve the area, so he spared the mutated beetle. Then the protagonist Luo made a deal with it. The beetle had to help when called, and in return, it could eat dung whenever it wanted. It accepted the deal for 200 points worth of dung each day. After that, the scene shifted to Zhao Hai and Song Linghai talking about Chen Luo's new base outside the city. By the end of their talk, they decided to break up their own group and join MC together. When Xiahao and the others arrived, they were amazed by how big and impressive his new base was. Chen Lu saw them and asked Xiahao why they had come. Xiahao said they wanted to join his side and asked if he would accept them. The protagonist Lu agreed, since Xiahao seemed like a strong leader who could help gather people and useful information. He told Xiahao there were 2 teams open, one left behind by Zhongfeng and the second needed a leader, so Xiahao got that spot. Then the story moved outside the base, where two boys were talking. One of them was named Lin Tian. Lin Tian's friend told him Chen Lu's base was highly advanced and recruiting anyone level 4 or above. So Lin Tian told his friend to check their supplies while he went to meet the person in charge with a proper gift. Inside the house, MC and Zhao Hai were talking when MC Guang interrupted to say that someone named Lin Tian wanted to meet MC. He told him to bring him in. When they met, Lin Tian introduced himself and presented the gifts he had brought. But the moment Chen Lu saw him, rage hit hard. In his past life, Lin Tian and his men had blocked him and Big Sijaju. The next moment flashed back to that past life, when the protagonists Lu and Sijaju were surrounded by Lin Tian's group. As they chased them down, Sijaju told Chen Lu to run and died protecting him. Because of that, seeing Lin Tian again filled MC with fury. Even if Lin Tian hadn't done anything in this life yet, MC still felt he had to die for what he did before. Only then could MC get some peace. Still, he needed to wait until Lin Tian gathered the same people who had trapped them in the previous life, so he hid his anger and said he liked the gifts. Lin Tian brightened up and explained that he was new here, so he hoped the protagonist would look after his group. MC agreed and told Guang to spread the word. Anyone against Lin Tian was against him. Lin Tian thanked MC and said he had brought one more thing for him. He called his men over with the gift and explained that thousands of giant sea turtles had washed up near the shore, so he took the chance to hunt them. Lin Tian offered the turtle shells, saying even a level 4 evolver would struggle to break them. That made Chen Lu think about heading to the beach. On the way, he ran into a mutant zombie. The zombie asked him Lu if they could work together. Chen Lu was a little impressed, but then the mutant asked him to lure humans over as food. The protagonist Lu asked what he would get in return. He wasn't helping for free. That instantly made the mutant furious, and it barked back as if the protagonist Luo should be grateful just to be asked. That set MC off, and he started beating the zombie. After getting pummeled over and over, the mutant was left stunned, wondering why this human was so brutal. In the end, the mutant zombie apologized. Even then, he made his own deal. The mutant would lure strong zombies to him, and in exchange, he would give it meat to eat. Then the story moved to the beach, where the protagonist Luo went after the sea turtles. The turtles panicked when they saw him and lashed out by aiming straight for his groin. That made MC Luo furious. He pulled out the void sword and cut down the sea turtles in a few quick slashes. Afterward, he collected the shells and stored them in void space until he suddenly spotted the Turtle King and tensed up from its size. This monster looked enormous, with strength around level 7 or 8. Then Chen Lu noticed the Turtle King was laying eggs. He figured its bloodline had to be special, and raising those eggs from birth could be a huge gain for him. But while he was still thinking, the Turtle King noticed him, so Chen Lu had no choice but to try killing it and taking the eggs. Before he could make a move, the Turtle King struck first, shooting its neck out nearly 5 meters. The protagonist Luo barely dodged and was shocked by that ability, but he also felt a little better, knowing turtles usually rely on defense. Then, to his surprise, a water blast shot right at him, catching him off guard for a moment. Now Chen Luo realized this turtle fought like a Blastoise. He thought about going all out, but dropped the idea because it would drain his power too much. He also saw that using void movement in that area would be hard, and understood he couldn't win head-on. So he decided to draw the Turtle King away and steal the eggs instead. Chen Luo ran from the nest on purpose, making sure the Turtle King chased him. The bait worked, and MC Luo easily grabbed the eggs. When the Turtle King realized what happened, it became furious and confused, too late to stop him. As it attacked again, Chen Lu used his void space to escape. The Turtle King was left stunned, searching around for where he had gone. A short distance away, he laughed to himself, thinking there was nothing the Void King couldn't take. Then the story jumped ahead by 2 days. Chen Lu remembered it was time to meet the mutant zombie again, so he asked Rice what she sensed. She said the trip looked safe and that his luck was through the roof. With that answer, the protagonist Luo headed to the meeting. After he left, Rice got confused. She could still sense Millie and Mealing, but not MC anymore. The scene shifted to the meeting spot. This time, the mutant zombie had brought its boss and told him all about Chen Luo. Without waiting, the boss zombie attacked him with a spatial slash. The protagonist Luo was stunned. The zombie had actually brought a mutant with space powers. Once he saw how fast it was, his tension rose even more. He was sure he could handle a level 8 zombie alone, but level 9 or 10 was another story. On the other side, the mutant zombie was shocked that Chen Lu dodged with a similar power and asked if he was a spatial ability user too. That question surprised MC. It knew about that. Then the mutant attacked again, and he answered with his void sword. To his shock, the blade didn't even leave a scratch. Now he had to figure out how to break through a level 9 defense. He even got cut by the mutant's counterattack, so he had no choice left. Even with the risk of crystal rupture, Chen Lu decided to trust Rice and use time acceleration. He dodged, slipped behind the zombie, and activated the skill as he struck. To his surprise, it worked. The zombie's lifespan started burning away fast, but the effect was still too slow. Chen kept hoping the zombie would drop dead. Even so, the mutant zombie still lunged at the protagonist, desperate to get revenge. Right before it could reach him, it suddenly collapsed. As it hit the ground, the zombie couldn't understand what was happening. In the end, MC brought the mutant zombie down. The other zombie saw that and instantly tried to run for its life. Chen caught up with it with no trouble and mocked it, asking if it didn't want to rip out his guts anymore. The zombie burst into tears and begged him not to kill it. He just laughed. He said he would spare it, since it could help him lure in strong-level zombies every week. When the protagonist got back to the base, Wang Hao reported two things. Mutants had been seen nearby, and the Western base's boss seemed to have a level 7 crystal. Song Linghai also brought a list of evolvers he had found. Chen said the news itself wasn't a big deal, but one name shocked him. Jin Yuan Zhang. MC believed that guy could become a future king-level evolver, even though he was only mid-level now. He told Wang Hao and Song Linghai to gather everything they could on Jin Yuan Zhang. Then he got a call from him, Guang saying a man named Jia Shan was being hunted. He also said Jia Shan might trade level 7 crystals for protection. The protagonist Guang even thought about taking the crystal first and tossing Jia Shan out after. Hearing that, the protagonist wondered when the protagonist Guang had turned so ruthless. Then MC decided to use this chance to build a true sanctuary, one where he could settle things for people no matter how badly they'd messed up. So he told him Guang to spread the word. He was personally protecting Jia Shan, and anyone who wanted Jia Shan or anything he had could come take it themselves. Meanwhile, at the western base, a boy rushed over to Jian with the news. Jia Shan had escaped to the protagonist's base, and the protagonist was sheltering him now. They grew nervous. Since they couldn't fight MC head-on, they called for a mutant zombie named Iron Leg and said it was his turn. Iron Leg asked why he should help them. If he didn't, would he still get to eat? Before Jang could answer, an underling ran in shouting that someone had broken into the base and no one could stop them. He didn't even finish before the intruder killed him. Jang nervously demanded to know who it was. A man named Mo Ning stepped forward and asked if Jang was the leader. Then he coolly asked whether Jang wanted to handle this himself or if he should start. Iron Leg charged at Mo Ning, yelling that this was his territory. But Mo Ning blinked behind Jang and killed him in one move. Soon after, a girl named Mo Lai showed up and joked that she thought she was late. Mo Ning told her the mutant zombie was strong, but no one could beat his sword. Mo Lai then said she had found something. A notice sent from Chen's side. After reading it, Mo Ning laughed and decided to prove them wrong. After that, Mo Ning and his group headed back to their own base. The scene shifted to him near the Turtle King's eggs, waiting for them to hatch. Once they did, Chen went to greet the baby turtles, but one blasted a water ball right into his face. The protagonist was stunned, then delighted. The little turtle already had a level 2 ability. After that, he considered using time acceleration to help them grow faster. While MC was training and playing with the baby turtles, he got a report. 10 patrol members had been attacked by a level 4 enemy. 2 survived, 1 came back with the news, and the other was being held hostage at the enemy base. He Kwang added that the leader was named Mo Ning. Mo Ning said that if they wanted the hostage back, they had to come to the top of Mount Weiyun with only 3 people. Otherwise, the hostage would die. Hearing the name, Chen tried to remember if he'd ever met a Mo Ning before, and if not, why this guy was coming after him. The protagonist Kwang also said the survivor mentioned a strange sword. With a single slash, it cut their captain in half. That made MC pause. Could Mo Ning use a void sword too? That night on Weiyun Mountain, Mo Li said she didn't think anyone was coming, and suggested they leave early. Mo Ning shut that down. He was sure they would come, because the other side was probably planning to trap them with numbers. If so, that would make things fun. Then a voice replied that only a few beers could make someone think like that. Mo Ning was startled to find Chen already there, and wondered when he had shown up. The hostage lit up the moment he saw him. Noting that the protagonist MC then asked why Mo Ning had set his sights on him. Mo Ning said Chen's arrogance amused him, and he just wanted some fun. He smiled, thinking this was just like his past life. When he got bored, he chased the same kind of thrill. Mo Ning then drew the void sword. The protagonist praised him for having a spatial power like that, then said it was a shame he was asking for his own death. When Chen pulled out his own void sword, both Mo Ning and Mo Li froze. They couldn't believe someone else had the same power. MC laughed to himself, thinking they were idiots. Panicking, Mo Li summoned several creatures. Chen was actually pleased. He thought Mo Li might become a useful pawn later. With one slash, he wiped out every summoned creature. Mo Li was stunned, but Mo Ning's followers forced themselves to stay calm and rushed him together. He cut through all of them in no time. Mo Ning tensed up. Even at level 6, he couldn't track Chen at all. The protagonist told Mo Ning that since Mo Ning had slaughtered his people, he would return the favor and erase Mo Ning's group the same way. Then MC was suddenly smashed into a wall. Looking up, he saw Mo Li had used a dark ability. She yelled for Mo Ning to run. He said he'd let Mo Ning run for now. His 400-meter sword was already waiting for him. The moment they saw that sword, both Mo Ning and Mo Ning panicked and started begging for mercy. Chang then said he also had spatial manipulation and could even teach it to Mo Ning. Mo Ning quickly admitted it was an incredibly useful skill. The protagonist answered by slapping him around and asking if he was even worthy of being taught. Instead of killing Mo Ning, MC chose to break his limbs and drag him back as a warning to everyone else. Back at the base, Mo Ning begged for forgiveness and pleaded for her brother's life, even offering herself to take any punishment in his place. Sean walked over, patted her head, and told her to behave and listen. If everything went smoothly, he said, she'd be allowed to see her brother again in 2 months. Mo Ning agreed, and he told the girls to watch over her and make sure she stayed alive. He was doing all this because he wanted level 7 crystals. After that, Chen noticed Zhao Hai waiting and warned him to be more careful from now on. Zhao Hai then said they had taken in a small team of a few dozen people who had just arrived in the capital. His brother was Zhao Zichun and his sister was Zhao Zi. He added that his brother used wind, and his sister had the hearing that. The protagonist was pleased. Zhao Hai also brought over the latest news from Song Ling Hai about Jin Yuanzhang. He was willing to submit but wanted 30 cans of milk powder and regular vegetable supplies first. MC agreed and told Zhao Hai to send Su to Biahao with 3 luxury cars, since MC wanted to inspect the place himself and lock it down. He then met Jin Yuanzhang, pointed out where the supplies would be kept, and asked again about joining. Jin Yuanzhang said he would, but he had one condition. No base kept useless people around, he said, but his wife was pregnant. He hoped she could stay safely in the base and handle logistics work. Sean agreed but made one thing clear: if Jin Yuanzhang wanted points, he had to kill zombies. The scene then shifted to the sea, where the Turtle King cried out for help because someone had stolen his children. When a clamshell opened, a beautiful woman named Haiji came out. The Turtle King stared at her in shock and asked about her new form. She explained that she'd leveled up and could now switch easily between human and clam form. The Turtle King said he could still sense his children and asked her to help bring them back. She agreed but told him to have his turtles guard her clamshell first. The scene then returned to Chun as he headed home. On the way, he heard a girl's voice introducing herself as his new underling, Zhao Zi. She urged him to hurry back, saying that if he didn't, she and Millie would be dead. That instantly put the protagonist on edge. He couldn't imagine what could threaten Millie and Milling when the base had Dharma at level 7, and Millie, Milling, and Sudhaju were all level 6. In the middle of that tension, he told Sudhaju he was going back first, and the others needed to follow fast. When Chun arrived, he got annoyed seeing Millie and the others acting so calm. He asked why they looked relaxed when Millie had claimed it was a life-or-death emergency. Rice answered that now that MC was back, there was no danger. Then Zhao Zi explained that an 8-meter creature like a sea turtle was standing near the base. At once, Chen realized it was the same turtle whose eggs he had stolen. He rushed outside to face the turtle, feeling confident. He was level 7 now, and with the base backing him up, he figured he could win easily. The moment he got outside, he shouted at the turtle and demanded to know how it dared show up here. But Haiji cut in and asked who he was calling a beast. The second Chen saw her, he was stunned. She was a king-level powerhouse, the killing god. Seeing Haiji floating in the air, he froze. He guessed she had reached level 10. Still, he felt a little safer. In his past life, he had managed to kill her once, and he remembered her weak point, darkness. Then Haiji suddenly formed a barrier. It rose like a wall around him. Chenlu scoffed and asked if she really thought a weak barrier like that could hold him. As he searched for a way out, Haiji fired her annihilation light at him. He barely dodged it. The protagonist Luo countered with a surprise strike, but Haiji slipped away, catching him off guard. That made her even harder to pin down. Then the Turtle King seized the opening and lunged from behind, trying to swallow Chenlu whole, but MC escaped with Void Walk. Haiji laughed, mocking him. Did he really think those cheap tricks could hurt her? At the same time, she sent giant hands after him, but Chenlu kept dodging with Void Walk. While avoiding her, he tried to think fast. He couldn't use other attacks in midair, and normal skills did nothing to her. Worse, Void Walk only had a limit of 100 uses. Watching him blink away again and again, Haiji asked in surprise if he could use that move without any limit. He considered using his time power, but when he tried, nothing happened. That only made things worse. Meanwhile, the Turtle King turned toward Chenlu's followers, ready to wipe them out. Millie stepped up and started directing everyone, wondering how the protagonist had ended up tangled with freaks like these. Then the Turtle King noticed a dog holding one of his babies in its mouth. He got emotional for a second, but quickly understood the dog was dangerously strong. Dharma warned him that if one slap hit the baby turtle, he couldn't promise what would happen next. Did the Turtle King really want his children hurt? Chenlu was impressed by that move. He rushed over to Dharma and took the baby turtle into his hands. Then he shouted at Haiji and the Turtle King that if they attacked now, no one could say who would die first. Even the baby turtle cried out that anyone who wanted to kill its mother would have to kill it first. The Turtle King felt crushed hearing that his own child now saw Chenlu as its mother. Haiji coldly said the child was useless now and moved to attack Dharma. MC tensed up. He saw no clear way to stop her, and it looked like Dharma was finished. But when Haiji got close enough to strike, Chenlu jumped in front of Dharma and yelled for her to be banished to the ends of the earth. Haiji glared at him, furious. Then a spatial exile opened and Haiji vanished, showing he Lua had just used another strange power. Dharma let out a breath, knowing he would have died if his master hadn't stepped in. Chenlu was stunned too. Had he really pulled off spatial banishment and sent Haiji away? But the move drained him badly, and even his crystal started cracking. Knowing Haiji would return, the protagonist Lu decided his first job was to find her weak point, the clamshell. He went to the Turtle King and asked about it. The Turtle King was shocked and demanded to know how MC even knew. He told him to forget that and just answer. Haiji had tried to hurt the baby turtles, and that was cruel enough already. The Turtle King had to admit he was right. Haiji really had tried to harm the babies, so he agreed to talk, but only if Chenlu returned his children afterward. The protagonist refused. Once Haiji learned he gave away the clamshell's location, she'd be furious and might attack him. He also reminded the Turtle King that he wanted his children safe, and besides, the protagonist had grown a little attached to the baby turtles, so he suggested the Turtle King stay near Rice, where he and the babies could also be protected. The Turtle King agreed, then pulled a shell from his back and gave it to MC, saying his kind would not trouble anyone carrying it. He was pleased. He had gained something valuable with a very simple trick. After that, he told Millie that with the 4 baby turtles in hand, the Turtle King wouldn't dare act recklessly. He needed to head to Haiji's lair first. Millie offered to come and boost his speed, but Chenlu turned her down, saying he wasn't going there to fight Haiji head-on. Later, the protagonist Luo waited for Haiji and thought things through. Breaking the clamshell wouldn't kill her right away, it would only buy time, and if she lost control and started slaughtering people, he wouldn't be able to stop her. When Haiji arrived, MC greeted her. Confused, she asked how he knew her name. He calmly said he also knew that once her clamshell was destroyed, she wouldn't have long to live. Haiji was shaken at first, then figured the Turtle King must have told him everything. She asked what he wanted. Chenluo said they had no real grudge, so there was no need to fight to the death. Then he asked her to think about how long she had already lived, and how much longer she wanted to live. Haiji didn't understand, so he explained. He had time powers. He could speed time up now, and in the future he was sure he could reverse it too. That caught her attention. She asked if he really could do that, and the protagonist said yes, but only after reaching her level, which would take at least a year. Then he asked if she could wait 1 year. Haiji agreed, but warned him that if a year passed and he failed, he couldn't blame her for getting rough. Chenlu accepted. A year from now, who would threaten whom was still up in the air. He then said he would return her clamshell, but she had to show good faith too, by giving him the pearl on her head. To his surprise, Haiji agreed to that as well. She said she hoped that in 1 year, MC would truly learn to reverse time. Otherwise, she said, strength in the apocalypse was just wisdom. Chenlu laughed. By his own wisdom, he had already pulled both the Turtle King and Haiji to his side. The story then cut to a rare mutant zombie using a radiant attack to burn people alive, drying them out in seconds. Suddenly, a boy ran over and nervously delivered a message. His leader was willing to offer sacrifices and the zombie could eat all he wanted. The mutant zombie laughed and asked if such a good deal was real. He added that if the offer wasn't enough, he would eat them too, and they had better be fresh. Then the scene shifted to Chenlu's new base, where Zhao reported that Chengwen base had taken in a new light-type mutant zombie in a small village near North City. He figured that no matter how scary that mutation looked, it meant little against his time ability. He asked Rice about the attack and what she thought. Rice said this was a chance for Millie, and as for the protagonist himself, he should stop asking. The protagonist Lu was pleased. This meant Millie was about to get stronger. The scene shifted to Changyuan base, where Changyuan was already dreaming about the future. Once the luminous zombie was dealt with, he could claim a level 6 crystal and level up. To his shock, one of his men rushed in to report that someone had smashed into the base and was heading straight for the mutant zombie's room. Changyuan asked if the guards were all dead, and how they had let Chenlu in. The boy explained that MC Lua had broken through a wall and barged in. Some men were surrounding him now, so Changyuan needed to go see for himself. In the zombie's room, the luminous zombie was busy eating when Changyuan kicked in the door and walked inside. The luminous zombie looked at him and asked if he was the next meal, then told him to cut off his ears and hand them over. The protagonist snapped back, asking how he dared speak to his father like that. The zombie flew into a rage and attacked. Mimsy laughed at how slow it was and teleported away. The luminous zombie was stunned and looked around, trying to figure out where Chenlua had gone. Before it could react, he struck from behind and judged that the zombie was around level 8 or 9. He realized he'd have to use his trump card. The zombie attacked again, yelling that it would erase the protagonist. This time, Chenlu Wo didn't wait and activated his time acceleration move. To his surprise, pain spread through the zombie's whole body. It slowly died. MC Luo pulled out the crystal and saw that it was level 10. Then Chang Yuan showed up and shouted for Chen Lu to put down his crystal. He asked what he meant by his crystal. Once Chang Yuan recognized him, the protagonist casually asked if he could just take it as a gift. Chang Yuan admitted MC's base was powerful, but pointed out that MC was alone right now. Then he gave him a choice: drop the crystal or lose his life. Annoyed, Chen Lu said that if Chang Yuan refused to live in peace, then fine. Chang Yuan ordered his men to attack and promised big rewards to whoever brought him down. They got ready to move, but before anyone could act, the protagonist used his new power and warned that anyone blocking his path would be destroyed. Then a boy named Zhang Chuang stepped up, said Chang Yuan deserved to die, and declared MC his new boss. He Luo liked hearing that and praised Zhang Chuang. Zhang Chuang was overjoyed, thinking his future was now secure. And it was. Chen Lu really did make Zhang Chuang the new boss of that base. Sometime later, the protagonist Lu offered the level 10 crystal to Millie. She refused, saying it should go to him since he was the base's anchor. MC said he was close to level 8 already, and the crystal wouldn't be enough to push him to level 9, so it was better for her. He added that she needed to keep up with him in strength for his sake. Millie blushed, knowing he was teasing her in a romantic way. Then a week passed, and Chanluo finally reached level 8. He noticed that with both space and time powers working together, his upgraded energy had risen by 2.4 times. Even if his body had only barely reached level 10, he knew he could start his plan. The next day, Luo gathered everyone and announced some good news. The base had improved a batch of seeds, boosting yield by 50%. After that, he decided to hold a trade meeting at South Stadium in Divine City. 5 days later, he told everyone to spread the word nearby. Chanlu was thrilled. If people bought into this, he could make a huge profit selling seeds. The news made everyone excited, and they praised the protagonist Lu, glad they had chosen to stay with him. Once they settled down, MC said he had one more announcement. Starting that day, anyone who brought him enough chips could get his help and support. Then the story jumped ahead 5 days. At the exchange meeting, Chen Lu Guang took charge as host. He brought Ouyang Lu up to explain planting and the key rules. She said only natural ability users could do it, and they had to be at least level 4. After planting, they also needed to keep using their powers to clean the soil's pollution. Watching from afar, Lu noticed the turnout was small. Still, he hoped this would raise the value of natural ability users. Then he spotted someone, Wang Li. Chen Lu remembered that in his past life, Wang Li had been obsessed with Meili and tried hard to take her for himself. He also recalled Wang Li setting up a fake crisis so he could swoop in like a hero at the perfect moment, but it failed, and Meili died because of it. Back then, Meili had used resurrection for the first time to bring Meili back to life. Now Chen Lu wondered if he should kill Wang Li right away, or wait until he got stronger and gave a better crystal. When the planting talk ended, the protagonist Lu Guang moved on to the next topic, the peace plan. He explained that their base would handle all kinds of problems for anyone who paid enough. Then Deng Shanhong stepped up with a level 7 crystal and asked MC to help kill someone. He asked who the target was. Deng Shanhong said he wanted them to kill the food monster, Crazy Dragon, the one who had eaten his brother. The crowd was stunned. Crazy Dragon was actually Feng Long. His big brother demanded an explanation, and Crazy Dragon sneered that Deng Shanhong had escaped last time, but not this time. Deng Shanhong yelled out Crazy Dragon's real identity and pointed straight at him. The protagonist Lu Guang hesitated for a second and looked to the protagonist Lu Guang. MC gave a small nod, so Luo Guang accepted the request and declared that every ogre should be killed. Wang Li stood up and said Feng Long worked for him. Then he asked how Deng Shanhong could accuse Feng Long of eating someone without any proof. Deng Shanhong shot back that he had seen it with his own eyes. Wang Li insisted that could still be a lie. People around them started whispering about possible deceit. In the end, Chen Lu stepped in. He told Deng Shanhong not to worry, since they had taken the level 7 crystal and accepted the job. Feng Long was going to die whether he ate someone or not. Wang Li called the protagonist Luo unreasonable, saying they had no feud. MC Luo answered plainly, he wanted Feng Long dead so Wang Li could hand him over or deal with the result. That put Wang Li on edge. He knew this was Chen Lu's ground, and if they fought, he would lose. Feng Long was useful, but not worth dying for. He figured his attitude would make others hate him, and once he reached level 7, he could team up with them later, so Wang Li backed down. The second he did, Feng Long bolted. The protagonist Lu told Xiahao to take care of it. Xiahao cut him off, and Feng Long angrily demanded to know if he understood who he was. Xiahao didn't answer. He dropped him with a single hit. Wang Li was shaken. His second strongest man had gone down in one punch. Xiahao followed up with a few more punches, and Chen Lu told Deng Shanhong he could do whatever he wanted with Feng Long. Then MC Lu turned to the crowd. He knew some of them thought he was too arrogant and doubted his strength, so he revealed he was at level 8. Everyone was stunned. A level 8 fighter was a true regional ruler, the kind of person ordinary powerhouses couldn't compare to. The crowd quickly asked him to show what a level 8 could do. Chen Lu agreed, then asked Deng Shanhong how badly he wanted Wang Li dead. Deng Shanhong said he wanted that too, but a level 7 crystal clearly wasn't enough. That was exactly what he wanted to hear. He smiled and said that since Deng Shanhong was a customer, he'd throw in a bonus. Then he told everyone to watch carefully. He was giving Wang Li to Deng Shanhong for free. Wang Li stiffened, suddenly realizing Chen Lu was serious. Knowing he couldn't win, he chose to run. But the instant he turned to flee, the protagonist Lu used Void Exile and cut off his head. Holding Wang Li's head, MC asked the crowd if they saw that clearly. The crowd froze, stunned by what had just happened. Guang tried to smooth things over by saying Wang Li kept zombies, which was why they acted. But Luo cut in and said he always removed every future threat and never let anyone who crossed him stay alive. He warned them that unless they had 9 lives, they should never offend him. Seeing his fury, everyone got scared and quickly promised they wouldn't provoke him. Then Chen Luo's tone softened. He told them not to be afraid. He wouldn't hurt anyone unless they came after him. After that, he asked everyone to register and collect their seeds. He said he trusted them to pay what they owed after growing the seeds. Everyone agreed to his terms, out of fear. Sometime later, Sudazu brought Chen Lu news from Dazhuang. a zombie named Iceland had formed a zombie base called Iceland Club. At the name, the protagonist remembered Iceland was a dangerous zombie, and that club was a strong force made up of smart, advanced zombies. Sudazu added that Iceland had used MC's absence to gather zombies and was likely planning a night attack. MC immediately told him to call everyone back and get ready for battle. As he was leaving, people crowded around him and asked to join his base. Chun-Lu told them a zombie horde might hit his base that very night, maybe 10,000 strong. He couldn't abandon home, and since they arrived now, they would help defend it. If they survived, they could become regular members. He also made one thing clear: they could leave now, but if anyone ran during the battle, he would show no mercy to that person. Once everyone chose, the protagonist Lu said the ones still hesitating were out, and the ones who left had made their choice. As for those who stayed, he promised he wouldn't let his people take needless losses. Hearing that, they felt they had picked the right side. That night, Duong reported that they had gathered 6,000 zombies so far. Abelisalin praised him, saying that force was enough to rip the enemy apart while they watched from the rear. Then Abelisalin ordered Duong to lead the horde in and come back after. Duong agreed, but he was nervous. Playing undercover against someone like Chen-Lu was not easy. On MC's side, he was ready. The zombies were in sight, and the battle had begun. He told everyone to prepare, then released Skill 1. The group opened fire with fireballs, but the zombies kept blocking each other, so the skill wasn't landing well. Even so, the fire users kept fighting. A few minutes later, Myling reported that their large area fire spell could only be used twice, and the elemental fighters were running low. It was time for the next move. Chen-Lu then ordered the physical fighters to get ready and join the battle. Sudiju and the others rushed out to fight the zombies. Watching from above, Abelisalin admitted the enemy had some real skill. Another zombie told him not to worry. The wall was close to falling, and one more wave should finish them. But Abelisalin got angry. If the enemy was this prepared, then someone had tipped them off. He turned to Duong and started suspecting him. Back with him, Luo. Luo Guang relayed Duong's message. His cover as the mole was about to be blown. Duong also said Abelisalin planned to kill him, then gather another zombie wave. The protagonist had hoped to make Duong leader of that group, so if Abelisalin killed him, that plan was done. He decided to deal with Abelisalin himself. Before leaving, he told MC Luo Guang to let Mili and Miling take over. Meanwhile, Aslan was beating De Zhuang and demanding to know why he had betrayed them. Then Chen-Lu appeared behind Aslan and asked if he was the leader of the zombie base, the one bold enough to attack him. Aslan fired an ice crystal attack at him. The protagonist Luo just smiled and cut off his head. After that, Chen-Lu waited for Da Zhuang to make a move, so no one would doubt his loyalty. Da Zhuang understood right away. He jumped up, shouting that MC Lu had killed his big brother, and that he would take revenge with everything he had. Then Da Zhuang threw a punch at him, and Chen-Lu played along, acting like he had been beaten back. He fled while shouting that he'd return for revenge later, happy that Da Zhuang's cover was now safe. Da Zhuang shocks everyone by punching the protagonist without hesitating. They ask if he wasn't scared. The protagonist might cut him down with his sword. A zombie named Black Thunder says they can't risk making MC an enemy right now. Still, the group needs a leader, so he suggests taking charge himself. The group listens in silence. Da Zhuang slams a punch into Black Thunder and snaps that their big brother just died, yet he's already trying to grab power. He keeps beating him until Black Thunder finally gives in. Black Thunder quickly apologizes. Even so, Da Zhuang says that's not enough. He has to make an example of him. After that, everyone starts calling Da Zhuang their leader, but Da Zhuang stops them. He says they're all equals now, no higher or lower, and from this day on their clan will be called Brotherhood Alliance. Later, De Zhuang returns to him and asks how he did. He praises him, says he'll help him get stronger, and reminds him to keep recruiting smart, high-level zombies. Before leaving, the protagonist Luo hands Da Zhuang a crystal as a reward. MC wonders why the zombies pulled back so fast, figuring the next few days should bring in plenty of crystals. Then Jiazi contacts him through telepathy. Haiji found a level 10 creature and wants Chen-Lu to come collect the crystal so he can level up fast, just like she promised. Excited, he tells Jiazi to let Haiji know he's on the way. The story cuts to the sea, where the protagonist Luo meets Haiji and warmly calls her sister. Haiji says a few pests had been bothering her lately, so she dealt with them for him. Then she gives him several crystals. MC is thrilled, just from calling her sister. He got 2 level 7 crystals, 2 level 8s, and 1 level 9. He thanks her and promises to work hard, grow stronger soon, and help her in return. Then he asks about the level 10 creature. She says it's out in the sea and tells him to wait at the shore. Once the time is right, they'll attack it together. 10 minutes later, Haiji comes back, driving the creature out of the sea. The two of them attack at once, and Chen-Luo immediately uses spatial cut. But the fish dodges and fires back with an ice beam. Luo senses up. The blast is too close and he can't avoid it. The beam freezes Chen-Lu on the spot, making him realize he underestimated the mutant fish. When the creature fires the ice beam again, the protagonist Lue uses space exile and sends the fish away, far off. Haiji asks where he sent it, saying the result looked uncertain, kind of like what happened to her before. Chen-Lu tells her not to doubt him. This time he sent it about 30 miles east. After that, they collect the crystal. MC is delighted to get a level 10 crystal from the fish and figures he only needs 4 or 5 more to reach level 9. Haiji then tells him to try eating the giant mackerel. He stares at her shocked and asks if mutant flesh isn't hard to eat. Haiji then explains her strange evolution and why she advanced so much farther than humans. She says that a year ago, while resting on the seafloor, something fell into her body, a piece of meat, or at least that's what it seemed like. It caused intense pain as it slowly merged into her body. She was convinced that if it kept going, she would die. Luckily, her old friend the Turtle King saw what was happening and ate the rest of the meat right away. Haiji says they both gained a huge benefit from it. The pain was terrible, but the effect was amazing. Chenlu is still puzzled about what that meat really was. Haiji explains that after she swallowed that mysterious meat, fierce fish started hunting her. The giant mackerel had also eaten some of the same meat. The protagonist Luo thinks it over carefully, but for the sake of power, he's willing to try it. Haiji adds that she can still feel the mysterious meat's power inside the mackerel's body. Chenlu says he'll eat it no matter how awful it tastes, though privately he's already thinking about asking Mayu to cook it first. Elsewhere in the sea, a seal rushes up to a girl and calls out to Frost's sister. Crying, the seal says his brother was killed. Frost asks if the killer was that bloodthirsty white shark that calls itself the sea god. The seal says no, it was a giant clam and he can still sense her scent. Hearing giant clam, Frost starts to wonder if this could be the fake god's accomplice. The seal begs Frost to avenge his brother. Frost tells him to lead the way.